Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was Betrayed by Everyone and Got Trained by Garou, Yujiro Hanma Ryu Part 1. Before we start, please go support ancalagonintheblack for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Deku is a male in this story. Chapter 1. In a world where quirks exist, being what gives people powers, apart from that there were some people who were called quirkless for not having any particular quirk, but apart from that there were also heroes and villains. But the most important thing is about a green-haired man who was walking through the halls of the UA. Izuku. I have to say, this year wasn't very easy. He said this as he remembered all the attacks they received from the League of Villains, apart from the death of his mother. Flashback. Izuku was in a hospital in a room where his mother was, who was in bed, noticeably ill, while Izuku was just holding her hand. Izuku. Mom, everything will be okay, I know you will recover, you will be fine again, we will be like before. Inko Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya's mother was suffering from a very serious illness which Izuku couldn't believe, but even though he wanted to do something about it, the boy couldn't do anything but put his hopes in the doctors. Inko. Izuku, everything will be okay, but I want you to make me a promise. Izuku. What promise? Tell me what you want and I'll keep it. Inko. Please live well, be a good boy, fight for what is fair and necessary even if I'm not here. Izuku. Mom, I don't know why you're asking me something like that. If you're going to be okay, you'll get through this, I know it. Inko. Izuku, I know I'll be in a better place. I've already gotten over it, but you have to get over it too, please. Izuku just let his tears run down his face, partially wetting his mother's sheets. Izuku. Okay, I promise even if you're not here I'll do it. Inko. Thank you. The older Midoriya closed his eyes as the machine taking his pulse made its typical noise that the person died, so Izuku was quick to scream while holding his mother's hand. Izuku. Please, a doctor quickly please. The doctors did not wait and entered the room where they had to take out the boy who ended up outside. Well, they did everything possible to save Inko Midoriya's life. The boy was left alone in the hallway, devastated by seeing how this type of thing happened. Well, he fell into the helplessness of not being able to do anything about it. The minutes passed and Izuku was sitting on the floor leaning against the wall looking at the floor until the doctors came out of the room, but one approached Izuku. Doctor? I'm so sorry, we couldn't do anything about it. Izuku just stood up slowly while putting his hand on the doctor's shoulder, who noticed the boy's sadness. Izuku. It's okay, they did everything they could do, I don't blame them for anything, everything happens for a reason, that's life. The boy left the hospital, but not before seeing his mother's body. Izuku was walking down the street totally dejected by what he had just seen, and to make matters worse as he walked, he noticed how there were families of children who were with their mothers, causing the boy to shed some tears, but he ignored it until he got to the UA dormitories. When he entered, no one noticed his condition except 3 girls who saw how bad Izuku was and his mood until he left the place, until he got to his room where he stayed locked up crying in silence. End of flashback. Izuku, remembering that, put it out of his mind so as not to get depressed. Izuku. Look, for some reason everyone is staying away from me. He said this remembering how everyone was moving away from him, even his best friend Lita and his girlfriend Uraraka, who was increasingly moving away from Izuku, who had to completely ignore this by not giving it much importance. Izuku. Without thinking that 3 girls were looking at me in a very strange way, although I didn't understand it. Every time Izuku walked through his class or through the hallways, he noticed 3 specific girls staring at him as if he had to run, leave the place, leave UA to stay safe, apart from giving him hints about that. Izuku. I really don't understand. The boy walked to his classroom, where he entered, feeling calm, although he noticed that almost everyone except for 2 girls who were one of the 3, had evil smiles, as if they wanted to do something to him, and it was nothing good, although he did what he always did and gave it little importance, so he continued on to sit in his usual seat. Lita. Hey Uraraka, today is the day. Uraraka. Nice, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Haminari. Can we finally do it? Lita. Yes, but we need you to give us the order. The green-haired boy didn't understand this at all. Izuku. What are you talking about? What's going to happen today? Lita. You'll see, Midoriya. Izuku ignored the evil look his best friend had as Izawa entered the place. Izawa. Hey everyone, before we start class, Izuku eats. Izuku just listened to him leave the place, walking behind Izawa, waiting to see what was going to happen, until they reached a room where they entered, seeing the director with the teachers apart from more heroes in the place, making him not understand what was happening. Izuku. Excuse me, but why did you call me? Nezu. We want some answers, Midoriya. He said this while throwing him some photos that were of him with a League of Villains and also showing a computer that had many videos of Izuku with a League of Villains. Aizawa. Do you have something to say? Izuku. I don't know what this is, I've never done anything like this. The boy, without realizing it, had a hair pulled out from him for someone to eat it. When Izuku turned around he saw that it was All Might who tied the hair that he pulled out from Izuku, since he was in his muscular form to hit Izuku, sending him against the wall. All Might. Stop lying. Izuku. I'm telling the truth, I'm not lying to you. The boy was getting up as best he could, but he ended up being grabbed by Aizawa's ribbons which sent him against the table, breaking it. Izuku. I'll tell you the truth, I didn't do any of that. Aizawa. Stop lying to us, you can't do anything about it anymore, and your class has something to do. He showed class 1 who had those smiles. Before Izuku said anything he ended it with Todoroki's fire on his chest, causing him to scream in pain, but before he could do anything else, Bakugo gave him some explosions, causing him to end up on the floor, so Lita could kick him sending him to the ceiling, causing him to break it, but he ended up falling to the floor. Lita. You will die, damn traitor. Izuku. I'm not a traitor, I'm telling you the damn truth. It ended with a lightning bolt from Aoyama along with electricity from Kaminari, causing him to end up against the wall apart from Jiro, using his ears to torture Izuku who screamed in pain. Sato and Shoji went against Izuku, giving him several blows, causing him to scream in pain from those blows, apart from breaking some of his bones. Zero took him with his ribbons along with Minetta's balls, so that they began to hit Izuku who couldn't do anything about it, and more when Tokoyami used Dark Shadow attacking Izuku and Todoroki's ice with fire not letting the boy stay well. The ribbons broke, so Izuku began to get up with enormous difficulty. Aizawa. The villain tries to escape. Izuku. I'm not trying to escape. Before he finished the word he ended up receiving blows from Kirishima, who used his quirk causing Izuku's blood to start on his hands along with Bakugo's explosions, and to make matters worse, Todoroki's fire didn't help at all like Aoyama's laser, having no mercy on Izuku, who was beginning to get up with difficulty, but ended up being massacred by All Might's blows like the shots of some heroes. Present Might's screams didn't help at all, and even less mean as acid. When they left him Uraraka approached him. Uraraka. You know something Deku, this whole time I was cheating on you and guessing with whom. The boy couldn't say a single word in the face of everything he received. Uraraka. Lita-kun, Todoroki-kun and Bakugo-kun were kind enough to give me what you couldn't and more in bed. Izuku couldn't cry, but he did feel enormous pain, but what he could do was give a few words. Izuku. My mother gave me hints to leave you, that you were unfaithful, but I didn't listen to her, how stupid I was, but now that made something clear to me. Uraraka. And what do I make clear to you? Izuku had enough strength to headbutt Uraraka in the face, causing some blood to come out of her nose. Izuku. You're a bitch. Uraraka walked away while holding her nose, and Izuku just laughed a little at what she did. Momo. Todoroki-kun, that's not true, right? Todoroki. To be honest, yes it is. Momo's heart broke because Todoroki was supposed to be her boyfriend. Todoroki. What you couldn't give me, she did give it to me, every time I wanted to have sex with you, but you always denied it, you didn't want to. Momo slapped him at that, surprising the Vi color. Momo. You're a bastard. Todoroki. How dare you. When he was going to hit Momo, he was hit by Izuku's head, who could barely move, moving away from the girl. Todoroki. And what are you getting involved in? Don't you see that I'm minding my own business? Izuku. Even though she is nothing to me, I am clear that you are a damn villain, all of you are the real villains who deserve to die. Because of those words he ended up receiving a blow from All Might followed by Bakugo's explosions, Kirishima's blows, Todoroki's fire and ice that ended up going through some parts of his body. Kaminari was not far behind throwing his electricity along with Mina's acid. Midnight's whips did not make much of a difference, but due to the open wounds they ended up making him bleed even more, but he did not stop since Uraraka touched some furniture that threw Izuku's enzyme, causing him to scream even more in pain. Sato ate all the sugar he could give him a few blows to Izuku's chest, which only screamed in pain at this, without mentioning Shoji's blows. Tokoyami's Dark Shadow and among other attacks leaving the green-haired man in bad shape, apart from parts burned by Endeavor's fire, so that he was on the floor. Bakugo. Let's finish him off. He launched a huge explosion at Izuku, but when it exploded everything formed a cloud of dust which slowly went away revealing a shield. Nezu. Young Momo, what are you doing? Momo. That would have killed Izuku. Bakugo. And who do you care? Momo. You will prove to be more of a villain than a hero. They watched as Tsuyu stood with Izuku to put some handcuffs on him. All Might. Okay, we'll take him to Tartarus. At that point the police entered, who upon seeing the place wondered what happened, but everyone told them that he tried to escape, so they only took Izuku, the green-haired boy, although he could hardly see, noticed how they were talking about how the villain Izuku Midoriya was captured, who tried to escape. So they left him seriously injured because even without his quirk the boy was very dangerous. When they arrived at the gates of Tartarus, they left Izuku in a cell with chains, although he was in chains the whole time, the boy was even dragged leaving a line of blood. Chapter 2. After Izuku was betrayed by his companions and the boy was massacred by all of them to be taken to Tartarus, leaving him in a cell in which he had more than one chain, since they did not take him as a threat for not having a quirk. At this moment I was thinking about how it was possible, since the entire League of Villains is supposed to have been locked up in Tartarus. Izuku? How was this possible? Tartarus is too good for this. The boy was thinking about how it could be possible, but he remembered something. Izuku? Kurogiri. Upon saying the name, the same villain appeared in front of the boy. Izuku. No matter the prison, none of them have anything advanced enough to keep you inside, you can't lock up what can't be touched. Kurogiri. What did you expect, kid? It's amazing how heroes and future heroes do things like this. Izuku. Get to the point, Kurogiri, you and I both know you didn't come to see the cute marks I have all over my bucking body. Kurogiri. You're absolutely right, if I came for that I would have brought a chair, but oh well, what are you going to do? I came to offer you something. Izuku. What are you offering me? A milkshake, popcorn, a bed. Kurogiri. No, I just wanted to give you one more chance in your life or what's left in your life. I came to offer you to be a villain, and obviously Mr. All for One will give you a new quirk not as powerful as One for All, but it will be something. Izuku. Do you want to know what I think about that offer? Kurogiri. Of course, otherwise I wouldn't still be here. Izuku. Writing that offer on 5-meter solid concrete and shoving it up your ass won't be difficult for you after all, you're a fog. The boy gave a little laugh so he told the villain who showed a little description. Kurogiri. Well, I tried, but I failed to be able to do it. The villain left the place so that Izuku would be a little calmer in the place, thinking about wanting to train for one of these days to leave Tartarus and get revenge on the villains, but if he was silent he was stopped by some pesos. Izuku. Now who the hell is there? He saw how they opened the cell revealing 3 people, one was a dark green-haired man of considerable size and wearing a black business suit with a red tie, another was the tallest and muscular man, revealing that his clothes were tied on him, apart from being a red-haired man, and the third was a white-haired man. Izuku. Who the hell are they? First man. Let me introduce myself, I'm Ryu. Second man. My name is Yujiro Hanma. Third man. I am Garou the human monster. Izuku. I already know them well. Garou the most dangerous human for his monster abilities. You are a true monster. Yujiro Hanma the strongest martial artist or well possibly the strongest for your great fights against Garou that none won in exchange for Garou using his monster form at 100%, but I don't know you Ryu. Ryu. And it's better to stay that way. Izuku. What are such big and powerful people doing in this place? Garou. We know about all the things you accomplished in your life, brat, you did things that make even I say you're a true hero. Izuku. For the human monster to say that someone is a true hero is hard to see or even impossible, but it is quite an honor coming from you. Yujiro. Let's be honest boy, we want you to be free. Izuku. Free? Why? Garou. This Ishashi guy convinced us to let you go and train you. Izuku. And why is that? Ryu. We have our reasons, boy, but the important thing is that it will take us a while, since we will do it in a somewhat legal way. Izuku. What do you mean, a little cool? Ryu. We will get a court order to release you, although it will obviously be very difficult since we will get you out in a way that is not at all legal. Izuku. Okay, then I accept but you won't achieve anything, I don't have a quirk. Yujiro. You won't get anywhere if you're like that and your mother would surely be disappointed. Izuku. Don't talk about my mother. The boy let his anger be seen by causing some fire to come out of his body. Garou. And there's this, a quirk. Izuku looked at the fire here least, impressed that he finally made his quirk appear. Ryu. Okay kid, we'll come in a few days to free you in the meantime try to train. The 3 of them left Izuku's cell. Izuku. What stupid guards, making a cell in Tartarus that can't identify a quirk, but well I'll have to start training. The boy would begin to train as the days passed, one day out of the blue he received a visit. Izuku. Visitors, it's been a while since I had anything. I look at a blonde who was standing next to a blue-haired girl. Izuku. Melissa. Najire. Melissa. Izuku I can't believe you're here. Izuku. Here we go again. Najire. What are you talking about? Izuku. It's not obvious, you guys also think I'm a traitor after everything that happened everyone thinks that. Melissa. I don't think that Izuku, I still remember risking your life to save my father and me. Najire. Or when he was protecting Eri. Izuku. And Eri, is she okay? Najire. Yes, I'm personally looking after her, she thinks you're innocent. Izuku. That's good that he's okay. Melissa. I can't believe Uncle All would do this to you. Izuku. It will only be a while until I am free, when I am free I will see what I do with my life. The girls were there for a while until they had to leave. Days went by in which Izuku remained calm, but he heard the alarms that a prisoner was escaping. A while went by in which he heard in the hallways how all the villains ran from one place to another without stopping. Izuku just ignored this while he listened to all the guards say that they escaped. Hours passed and he saw how some people entered his cell. Izuku. Who would have thought? Visits. He said this as he raised his head, seeing All Might, Endeavor, and one who was wearing a bird suit. Izuku. Sorry for the mess, I was really busy. He ended up receiving a blow from All Might in the stomach, causing him to spit out blood. All Might. Don't play the villain, where are the others? Izuku. Who? That punch shook my mind a little. Because of that I end up with another blow. Endeavor. We talked about the League of Villains and the precepts of death, everyone escaped. Izuku. Isn't it obvious? Hero. What are you talking about? Izuku. Kurogiri is a villain who is practically a bucking mist. It is more obvious than even for a police academy officer to notice that he was going to end up escaping. Endeavor. So where are your bases? Izuku. What base? I finish with another punch from All Might. All Might. Speak. Izuku. If I've never been with a League of Villains and you want me to tell you about all their bases, are you stupid or what? Endeavor. We won't achieve anything this way, let's go. They walked out as All Might approached a guard. All Might. May he suffer a lot. The guard agreed for him to go to where Izuku was to hit him with some other guards, apart from making some cuts on his body, so that with a huge hose, they ended up hitting him, causing him to be against the wall, causing his wounds to open even more. When they approached him to put the chains on him the boy ended up taking them by the neck to hit one, followed by a kick to another, making him look bad, so that with a grab, he would throw one into the group. More guards came in to begin to control the situation, although they couldn't do much against Izuku who finished them all off until they managed to throw him into the well, so that they could finish beating him. Guard. What do we do with the gentleman? Boss. Send him with the other prisoners that are still there so they can kill him once and for all. The guard agreed for him to enter the cell, and with some chains take Izuku to another cell where there were some prisoners only for a guard to approach a prisoner. Guard. They'll have less time and Tartarus if they manage to kill him. The prisoner just smiled to tell the other prisoners, a total of 5, while Izuku got up with difficulty. Izuku. It was a bad idea to leave me with more people. The 5 prisoners were getting dangerously close for the first prisoner to try to attack, but Izuku took his arm to throw him against the bars, followed by dodging a blow from the second and third, to which he took them by the arms to make them collide heads, so that he ended up taking the fourth by the head, giving him a knee, followed by an elbow in the face to the fifth. He saw how the first one launched himself against him, but he took him by the clothes to throw him against the other first 2 to jump and hit another one in the face, leaving him lying on the floor to take the fifth by the shirt and hit him repeatedly in the face until he left him against the wall, giving him more blows to the face, leaving his face bleeding, so that he was taken by 2 prisoners while the one he hit alone fell to the floor bleeding. The remaining 3 tried to kill him, being 2 who took him by the arms. Prisoner. You will die. He showed a knife to go and stab him, but Izuku jumped to avoid it to kick him in the face, followed by using his remaining strength to throw one against the other, leaving them against a wall, so that Izuku could hit both of them at the same time, since they were very close together until he stopped, leaving him unconscious on the floor. Izuku walked a little, seeing the last prisoner getting up with difficulty. Izuku. That's their prisoner. Damn. He showed the knife to go against Izuku, but he grabbed it by the clothes to lift it into the air and throw it against a bench that was there, breaking it in the process. Izuku. Apparently that was all. He noticed how the guards were approaching, so he knelt down with his hands behind his head, but when the guard entered they ended up beating him while they threw electricity at different parts of his body. Guard. What do we do? Boss. Send him to another cell. It seems he will have to go to different cells until it is his turn to die. Upon that hearing, the guards took him to another cell, so that the same thing would happen to him as in the first one, and in that way he went through different parts of Tartarus for months, until currently Izuku was in a kind of pit. The boy looked at the prisoners who were in front of him, who were clearly seen with intentions of killing him. Izuku. They never learn. The three prisoners went against Izuku, who only dodged them as if nothing were wrong in front of the guard's eyes, while the boy took the kick of one to lift him into the air, to quickly throw him to the floor, making him feel the pain from the hardness of the floor, while the second tried to do something against the green-haired man who grabbed him by the face to make him slam it against the wall. Followed by throwing him against a third who held him for a few moments to leave him on the other hand, so that Izuku could kick him in the face, so that he would take the first one by the leg and use it as a mallet against the other two, leaving them unconscious apart, leaving a lot of blood all over the place. "Guard. Are you sure, sir?" He said it with noticeable fear at the idea of the gentleman asking him for something. "Man. Yes, I'm sure." He said this while smiling as he looked at Izuku, who was just calm. Chapter 3. After Izuku went to Tartarus, where he met three men apart from what he saw like Melissa and Najire, months passed in which Izuku was in Tartarus fighting against the prisoners who tried to kill him, but the boy defeated them all with enormous ease. Through the corridors of Tartarus there was a man walking, so that he could meet the boss of the place, who looked at the man who gave off an aura of fear. "Boss. What do you need?" "Yujiro. I'm Yujiro Hanma and I have a permit to get Izuku Midoriya out of Tartarus." The boss began to tremble at the man's request. "Boss. Are you sure?" "Yujiro. Yeah, let's go or I'll look for him myself." "Boss. Please follow me." They were walking, but as they walked the prisoners were afraid of where Yujiro was passing, and more so when they noticed where they were going until they came to a part where they saw a kind of hole in the floor. They looked inside to see a long-haired green-haired man who was using a prisoner as a mallet against two other prisoners until he knocked all three unconscious so that he would sit on the floor leaning against the wall. "Yujiro. Hey Izuku, today you will be free." He said this while throwing a rope through the hole so that from above you could see how the rope moved until a hand was seen on the floor so that the green-haired boy could begin to emerge. "Izuku. I'm finally free." "Yujiro. Yeah, let's go anyway." The two of them were walking while the prisoners looked at the green-haired man with fear. They walked until they left Tartarus so they could get into a limousine where they began to leave the place. "Yujiro. You really smell bad." "Izuku. What did you expect other than that? I hope there's some good food because they barely fed me in Tartarus." "Yujiro. Food will be one of your least worries for the time we get there." They were in the car until they reached a part where they got out to enter a traditional Japanese house so they could see a lot of food where Garou and Ryu were eating. "Ryu. Come on, sit down Izuku and eat." The green-haired man did as he was told, sat down and began eating at full speed without stopping for a moment. "Izuku. I know you want to train me, how are you going to train me?" "Garou. I will train you in my martial art as well as show you how to be a monster." "Yujiro. I will train you in the rest of many martial arts and believe me I will not be merciful." "Ryu. I will be in charge of training you in weapons such as pistols and bladed weapons among others." "Izuku. So with you I'm going to become stronger." "Yujiro. Yes, apart from that now that you are outside of Tartarus you will be able to train with your quirk." "Izuku. That sounds good to me, then how strong can I become?" "Garou. Enough to be able to defeat anyone and possibly take on your entire former class." "Ryu. Alright, let's get started." In that way the next day they began to train Izuku being his physique since they had to put it back apart from push-ups, sit-ups and among other things since they had some weights making him stronger. Yujiro was training him in martial arts, making him learn more things as time went by. Apart from that Yujiro gave him something special. "Yujiro. Izuku, there is something you don't know and that is that I can give you my power." "Izuku. What's your power?" "Yujiro. My quirk lets me hit people, but they aren't normal since the first hit may be normal, but the next one will be stronger and the next stronger and it will keep happening more often." "Izuku. And how are you going to give it to me?" "Yujiro. That's why I'll give you a specific part of my blood so I can give you my power." He gives him a vial of his blood, causing Izuku to take it so that from then on he could begin training with a new quirk. When he finished training with Garou, he taught him his martial art and also taught him about the ways of a human monster that he could learn, although it cost him too much. "Garou. Izuku, I want you to understand one thing." "Izuku. What would I have to understand? There isn't much to understand nowadays." "Garou. Monsters are not all the same, some are very difficult, but if people think you are a monster, let them think that, it doesn't matter what others think, in the end you are the monster you want to be." "Izuku. Are you a poet or what?" "Garou. And that's why you're training harder than usual and fighting me today for the rest of the day." 11. Izuku gulped at that. The next day he began training with Ryu, who taught him the use of both firearms and bladed weapons. The days went by, and Izuku learned more and more to the point that he ended up shooting from afar with great ease, as if it were nothing. "Ryu. Izuku, do you want to know the reason why I wanted to get you out of Tartarus and convinced Yujiro and Garou to train you?" "Izuku. Actually, yes." "Ryu. Well, the thing is that I'm your father." That surprised Izuku. Izuku? That kinda explains the resemblance we have. Ryu? Yes. Izuku? At least you can tell me why you weren't there when I was a child, when mom was sick. Or when she died. Ryu? Izuku, I work in special forces and as you can imagine it is not a job where you get vacations, there is always a new problem, and because of that new problem we have to go take care of it. They never told me about your mother's illness, and believe me when I tell you that I would have liked to see your first steps, I wanted to be there, but that is why I use this. He said this while showing off a kind of mini robot. Izuku? And that? Ryu? It works to see what I want, like surveillance. I was using it to see you at every moment of your life, but a few days ago after you were betrayed I noticed, and when I saw everything I came right away. Izuku? And when did you talk to Yujiro and Garou? Ryu? I don't know what year you live in, but the telephone exists, they owed me favors from a long time ago. Izuku? And your quirk is being able to breathe fire. Ryu? It's not the only one, I have two. Izuku? And what is the other one? Ryu? I can create very good illusions, you may see this field of roses, but the truth is that you are in a field full of dead people. Izuku looked everywhere. Izuku? Are we in an illusion? Ryu? I am your father, I would not do that to you, apart from that if Garou trained you and Yujiro too, then you developed your ability to realize in a fight or whenever you are in an illusion yes or no, although my illusions are very good, unfortunately I cannot fool those two. Izuku? They might regret training me. Yujiro? Not really. Garou? And I don't regret having trained you, or well, a little. Izuku? Thanks for the support. Ryu? Well, we have to do some things, I heard how you sing secretly and you do it well, and if you ever thought about making a one-person band, so you will do it, we will do a small tour. In this way the following days passed, everything was going on normally, but in class 2 they were now fine, although somewhat worried about not knowing anything about the League of Villains or the precepts of death. At this moment class 2 was about to go to Tartarus to get information from Izuku, even if it was the bad way, but they saw how Melissa entered. All Might. Melissa, what are you doing here? Melissa. All Might, I was investigating something and found evidence of someone's innocence who must be released. All Might. Well, let's see what happens. They saw how Melissa turned on a device that showed the videos of Izuku's betrayal, of how the green-haired man was with a League of Villains. Lita. What's wrong with this traitor? Melissa. Look carefully. The girl approached a part where the photo showed Izuku's eyes with a yellow tone. Melissa. It's impossible for Izuku to have this in his eyes, but when I searched about the League of Villains I found Toga and her quirk. Yujiro. But that's not so valid, the entire League of Villains was in Tartarus. Melissa. Yes, but Kurogiri is a mist, he could escape from Tartarus whenever he wanted, and I also found some bases of the League of Villains which had information about Izuku, and that they had known for a long time that Izuku was the bearer of One for All, and the videos and photos have the time and date of when they were taken. I was checking where Izuku was at that time, and found that he was in the hospital with his mother. Nezu. This is more than enough to prove that Izuku is innocent. Melissa. Besides, it's not strange that the entire League of Villains escapes except Izuku, they're not the ones who leave their own, apparently. Mina. Then we made a mistake. Melissa. Yes. Momo. Director, we need to free Izuku right now. Nezu. Yes, I'll go get the papers. A few hours passed and the entire class 2 with the teachers and Melissa were in Tartarus. When they entered they saw the location of all the cells apart from how they behaved like animals. Boss. Do you need anything? Nezu. Yes, we want Izuku Midoriya to be free. Boss. But that's already been done, they came to pick him up months ago. All Might what? Boss. Yes, a red-haired man came and took him away. Nezu. Can you show us all the recordings of Izuku Midoriya during his stay in Tartarus? Boss. Yes. The man took them to the room where they saw all the recordings since he arrived, going through some moments like the visit he had from Kurogiri, where he rejected the villain's offer, making everyone feel worse for what they did to the green-haired man, but some girls felt good seeing how he rejected him. They saw his fight against the other prisoners until the part that ended in that pit acting like an animal, making everyone feel worse, until they saw that red-haired man who took Izuku out of Tartarus, leaving one who recognized him surprised. Yujiro. He is Yujiro Hanma, nicknamed the Ogre. Yujiro. Do you know him? Yujiro. Are you kidding? Yujiro Hanma is the most dangerous person in the world of martial arts. He was nicknamed the Ogre because of his back that forms the face of an ogre. He is known for his cruelty, apart from how bloody he can be without having mercy against his opponents. He is someone who nobody would want to mess with. He has a quirk, but even without using his quirk he was able to defeat several very dangerous heroes and villains. Given that information, everyone was surprised to learn about that person. Uraraka. But what would Izuku want? All Might. I don't know, but we need to find him. Boss. About that, you received a visit that we didn't show you. He showed another recording in which you can see Yujiro, Garou and a man wearing a cap, not allowing himself to be seen entering Izuku's first cell. Nezu. And Yujiro is not the only one interested in Izuku, but also Garou, the human monster, the villain possibly considered the most dangerous of all. All Might. But who is the other man? Nezu. I don't know, but if 2 out of 3 men are very dangerous, then the third must be equally dangerous. Todoroki. We would have to know what they want with Izuku, he must have something very special for them. Nezu. Didn't you take off his cap before he entered the cellar? Tartarus. Boss. He never had a cap on him since he came in. Midnight. Maybe he has a quirk that allows him to make illusions even for cameras or people, and that's why no one takes their hat off to him. Nezu. It sounds very logical, since today the innocence of Izuku Midoriya and his search for him are published, we will not stop looking for him until we find him. Bakugo. Even if we find him, he's quirkless and he's of no use to us. Nezu. Maybe not, but we have to apologize, he was his partner, he didn't become a villain apart from All Might's successor, we have to apologize. In this way they began to publicize Izuku Midoriya's innocence, apart from their search for him. Chapter 4. After Izuku was freed from Tartarus to begin his training by Yujiro, Garou and Ryu, awakening his true power, while those of the UA thanks to Melissa, turned out to be innocent, only for them to see how he left Tartarus with another person. Everyone was spending their time looking for Izuku apart from the fact that Izuku's innocence was seen on the news, causing all of Japan to be on the lookout for the green-haired boy, until one day they were at the UA tired. Mina. We spent days looking for Izuku, but we didn't find him. Jiru. There must be a way to find it. Hiroshima. How about we clear our minds a little, we've been thinking about the same thing for several days, and it's not doing us any good. Shoji. And what do you advise? Hiroshima. There is a concert nearby, it is said that the singer is his own band apart from being famous outside of Japan, since he did several world tours. Haminari. Then let's go, we don't have much to do anyway. Everyone went out to buy tickets, barely managing to get them because of all the people who were in the place, since there were girls and men buying tickets, until they managed to get in, and to their surprise, their teachers also got in. Mina. I never thought teachers would be around here. Jiru. And who cares, this singer is said to be very good. Presenter. My dear people, here is the person who is his own band and without much help he achieved great things. Almost everyone started celebrating, but the teachers and students were shocked to see that on stage, they saw a head of green hair apart from that face being a single person. Mina. That's. Todoroki. Izuku. Izuku. I hope you like the songs I made today, my dear people. In this way, I started playing music from a device while I sang. Izuku. If the strong men here like that one, I hope they like the next one. He began to sing the next song. Izuku. Well, my people, I hope to sing in this place again. In this way he was getting off the stage, but while he was walking he signed some autographs, as well as taking some photos with his fans. Momo. Come on, we have to take advantage of this opportunity. They moved among the people until they were in front of the security guards who were not letting anyone through. All Might. We have to get through. Bard. I'm sorry, but even if he's a hero, we can't let him pass. All Might. Why? Bard. In exchange for having a platinum card, we cannot let you pass to speak with Mr. Izuku. Not. Let's wait for All Might so we can talk to him. Everyone went out to think of a way to talk to Izuku. All Might. How are we going to be able to talk to Izuku? Momo. I have an idea, once I came with my dad to see a concert, although we ended up leaving the place in the singer's limousine. They came to a part that looked like an alley, through the door of the building where Izuku sang, they saw some people come out until Izuku came out to everyone's surprise, although the boy had a blue sports jacket, along with sports pants of the same color and white sneakers, they saw how he had bandages on his hands. Haminari. And those bandages? She didn't have them when she sang. They saw how he put on a hood along with some headphones so he could start jogging, being followed by all of them who watched how the boy was calm on the street without any problem. The boy was calm until he reached a park where there was a physical training part for the green-haired boy to start training. He was there for a while until he stopped so he could see a part where they were all hiding, although for Izuku it was a terrible hiding place. Izuku. Hide behind the bushes, old trick, don't the UA people believe it? Hearing that, everyone began to come out of the bushes, seeing the green-haired man who had a serious look, surprising them a little since he was almost never serious, or at least that's what they still thought. All Might. Young Izuku, we came to see a concert that young Kirishima recommended to us, and we saw you, that's why we came separately, we didn't know how he was going to behave when he saw us all again. Izuku. Get to the point, All Might didn't come to say hello, or did he? Nezu. It's just that we want him to return to UA as a student again." At that point he would start laughing in front of everyone, who was surprised that Izuku was laughing at such a thing that they had just told him, apart from the fact that his laughter scared them, apart from his smile, since it was not the same as before but one more sadistic than anything else. "Haminari. What's so funny?" "Izuku. First they kicked me out of the UA, they treated me like a villain, and they didn't even hold a trial with me to prove something, or they wanted to listen to me, and for the best they wanted my stay in Tartarus to be worse than it already was. That's what makes me laugh so much." "All might. But it's the truth, Melissa was able to prove that you are innocent." "Izuku. And who cares anymore, I'm world famous, apart from that I already have many things that you don't, and all because I left the UA." "All might. At least let me give you my one for all so you can get into UA." The blonde approached Izuku, who looked at him wanting to kill him. "Izuku. If you try to give me that, I'll send you flying." All Might didn't listen to him, he just kept walking before Izuku's eyes, who, seeing that the blonde was already very close, made fire come out of his hand, hitting him in the stomach, sending him flying to everyone's surprise at how the boy demonstrated a quirk. "Izawa. How?" "Izuku. What do you think? I awakened my quirk a few days after I was sent to Tartarus. I awakened it in a fit of rage when they insulted some things that I appreciated a lot." "Izawa. But how is it possible?" "Izuku. Have you ever heard of the few cases in the world of people who awaken their quirk after years? I am one of those cases." "Nezu. Then we are glad, but at least we would like you to enter the UA so that you can be a student again. Your dream was to be a herp and we give you the opportunity to fulfill it." "Izuku. It sounds very interesting, but what would it take to return to that place once more?" "Nezu. We'll let you have all the things you want back apart from the latest tests passed without any kind of problem, special classes, so you're up to date with all the things." "Izuku. A gym just for me." "Nezu. Excuse me?" "Izuku. I know that UA has a gym like the other academies, but I know what their gym is like, so I want them to add more things so I can train." "Nezu. Okay, tell us what you want." "Izuku. Weights that exceed more than 3 tons, treadmills that can easily exceed Lita's speed, and a hand-to-hand combat robot that is very strong enough to withstand blows from All Might." "Bakugo. Do you think you can just show up and set a price like if it were just child's play for you? We're not desperate to have you back at UA. Just look at yourself. What does it matter if you have a quirk? Yes or no? No one wants you back at UA." "Izuku. I knew you would say that, Bakugo. You have become very predictable to me, but well, what can I do if after all you have never done anything good for others? As for the issue of returning to UA, it seems that the teachers are the ones who want me back. I care little or nothing about you these days, since to me you are simply garbage, especially you, Bakugo." "Bakugo. Damn nerd, at least we are future heroes and you are just a singer and nothing more." "Izuku. If only I'm a very famous singer who does this." Revealing a small robot in his hands that caught everyone's attention. "Bakugo. What the hell is that?" The little robot showed a hologram in which the entire class 1 was torturing Izuku, and not only that, since they saw how All Might asked for Izuku's stay in Tartarus to be worse. "Izawa. But how?" "Izuku. The people who freed me recorded this for me, they surely saw the recordings of Tartarus of how Yujiro freed me, but the truth is Yujiro was not the only one who freed me from Tartarus, there are more." "Nezu. Young Midoriya, then we have to see who they are, possibly they will end up betraying you or doing something bad to you." "Izuku. No, all you guys want is to know how you had this, so you can erase everything and be safe." "Izawa. It's not true, they might do something bad to you." "Izuku. I still don't believe you, since one of those people is a relative of mine, and as they say, a person of the same blood does not betray someone of their own blood, it is more than obvious, don't be stupid." Everyone remembered when in Tartarus there was a person with a kind of cap that didn't let him see his face in any way, but Bakugo ended up taking the small robot from his hand to destroy it as if it were nothing in front of everyone. "Bakugo. Now what are you going to do without that robot? You don't have the information anymore." "Izuku. Did you really think that if you destroyed it everything would end? Because if that's the case you're very stupid." "Bakugo. What are you talking about?" "Izuku. Everything is in a very secure database in my house and I have more information about where that little robot came from." He said this so that hundreds of those little robots with red lights would appear, causing everyone to look at them for such an impressive act that the boy did, because for all this time they were being watched without having known it at any time. "Izuku. If you allow me, I'll go, and by the way, I'll leave you my phone number." He gives them a paper with that number so they can start leaving, but before they can take a step All Might is already in front of them. "All Might. Don't think I'll let you go." "Izuku. If you don't, you'll face him." "All Might. With whom?" Out of nowhere he was sent flying by a blow to the face, causing him to end up crashing into the trees. "Izawa. Who is it? When the dust was gone, Yujiro was seen with a smile that caused enormous fear in everyone apart from his presence. Yujiro. It's Yujiro Hanma, the ogre. He said it with noticeable fear, while Yujiro only began to turn around to see the class, who were more scared than necessary by receiving Yujiro's direct gaze, but Mama Caterpillar stood in front of everyone. Izawa. I won't let you hurt my children. Yujiro. I don't fight with useless children. Out of nowhere Izawa catches him with his bandages, not letting him move, but Yujiro had a smile as he began to force himself off the bandages, as if nothing had happened, since he broke them in front of everyone's eyes. Yujiro. That was very weak coming from a hero like you. Izawa. You'll see. He launched himself at Yujiro, but Yujiro ended up hitting him in the face in a second, knocking him unconscious before everyone's surprised gaze, but All Might came out of the trees and went straight towards Yujiro, who looked at him with a smile, only for them to end up bumping fists. Yujiro. I don't think you can fight any longer. He said this as All Might had a kind of steam coming out of his entire body. Nezu. All Might is right, you can't keep fighting for much longer, young Izuku, we will be making preparations so you can come to UA, and I swear that you will not regret everything we will do. Izuku. I hope so, I wouldn't like to go to the best academy where I can't directly let out all my power at 100%, but well, see you bye. He said this as he began to jog, and Yujiro left with a smile that gave everyone a deep fear, until Izuku was lost from the gazes of everyone who refused to go back to UA to rest, as long as they knew that their old partner would return with them. Chapter 5. After class 2 ended up taking a break to be able to look for Izuku later, they ended up finding him as a singer at a concert, so that later, they could talk to him about some matters, so that he could return to UA getting it after ending up in a deal with him. At this moment Izuku was walking down the street, but while he was walking some girls recognized him so they could ask for autographs. He was like that until he arrived at UA where he entered to walk to the director's room where he entered. Nezu. Young Izuku, I was just going to call him, but hey, he's here now. I was going to tell him that we did what he asked with Davi's help. 20. Izuku. Yeah, whatever, are you going to give me the things to get into class, or do I have to keep waiting even longer? Nezu. Of course not, I have your suit right here, take it and follow me so I can see where your new classroom is. Izuku. I hope so Nezu. Nezu. Tell me young Izuku, how did you train him? Izuku. And why does that matter to you? Nezu. It is to know a part that we would like to know a little about your quirk, so that you know how to have information and have a way to help you in your training, since we cannot leave anything aside for our students, so that they can advance. Izuku. You'll see, director, you'll see my quirk, and when you see it, believe me when I say that I'm the strongest, I'm right. They began to walk, but because some students had not yet entered class, they saw the green-haired boy with astonishment, since everyone knew Izuku Midoriya. They walked until they reached the door of a classroom that said Tua, to which the director knocked on the door to be opened by Izawa, who looked in astonishment at Izuku, who only had that serious look that even the coldest being in the world would want that look. Izawa. Do you need something? Nezu. Yes, I came so that your class could see Izuku again. Izawa. Please wait a few moments. Izawa looked at his class with a serious look, making them wonder what just happened. Izawa. Well my children, today we will have a new student, although you already know him, like Izuku. Izuku walked into the room with his serious gaze looking at each one who couldn't stop shaking because of how he imposed that respect that he learned to do thanks to Garou, although he managed to see something that interested him a little, but he ended up ignoring it so that he could continue doing it without any fear, but as always, there is someone who doesn't know how to do something well. Lita. Hi Izuku, I hope we can be friends again like before. He said this as he stood up but was completely ignored by Izuku, who only walked to an empty seat that was in the corner with a view of the window, letting him see the sky. He just sat down completely ignoring Lita, who had her hand extended for Izuku to shake, but she didn't go through. Izawa. Everyone put on your sport suits and go out because we have some very important things to do. Everyone did as they were told to go change, but when the boys were changing they saw how the green-haired boy had scars all over his body, some of them and others of tartar. They got dressed until they came out with their UA sports clothes, although Izuku was somewhat far away. Lita. Izawa-sensei, what are we going to do? Izawa. As you know, Izuku returned to UA, so it will be a fight of everyone against him to see his power level, although something I do ask of you is that it will be a one-on-one fight. If Izuku wins a fight he will go on to the next one and the next one until he is defeated. Everyone agreeing, although they heard a laugh and saw Izuku laughing, although with that sadistic smile that scared them a lot. Izawa. What's so funny Izuku? Izuku. A one-on-one fight is very boring, it's better that everyone comes against me, I want to fight everyone at the same time, since it's the only way for this to be at least somewhat fair. Kirishima. You're too confident. Izuku. No, I just don't want my fight to be too boring, but anyway, what do you say? Izawa. Okay, everyone attacks Izuku at the same time, start whenever you want. Almost immediately the first to go was Bakugo, who got in front of Izuku to give a huge explosion in front of Izuku, hitting him full on. Bakugo. This is already over before it even started. From all the smoke came a hand which grabbed Bakugo's neck, not allowing him to breathe or speak. Izuku? Do you really think that Bakugo? With one blow he sent him flying, making a line of destruction on the floor, causing everyone to look at him in a bit of astonishment at that action. Izuku? Who's next? At those words the first to go was Kirishima with Bakugo, who recovered as quickly as he could, although he moved a little slower because of that blow, that Izuku didn't even use strength. When he got in front of him, Bakugo began to make many explosions in front of Izuku, who received them full on, so that Kirishima tried to hit him, achieving it, but when the smoke went away, he was surprised to see that he hit him in the face, but Izuku was as if nothing happened, so he took the two in a grip, sending them flying. Aoyama launched his laser, which was easily dodged by Izuku, who advanced to see how Mineta launched his spheres, which were dodged by Izuku, who looked at him as he advanced, scaring the dwarf. Mineta. Get away, get away. Izuku. What's wrong, Mineta? Before you liked having me near you, and what can I say? I'll just come over to give you a hug like a good friend. When he was in front of Mineta, he kicked him, sending him flying, causing him to end up against the wall unconscious from the force of that attack before everyone's eyes. Izuku? Or was it a punch? I'm sorry I used the wrong word, but hey, we all can make mistakes with our words sometimes. 15. She watched as Kaminari stood in front of her with a serious look which changed to a smile. Izuku. Now I will face a pervert who, if he uses his quirk too much, he ends up stupid. Kaminari. I'll show you what a full body electric shock feels like. He said this to unleash a massive amount of electricity that surrounded him, causing everyone to move away except Izuku. Izuku. I have to remind you that you already threw electricity at me in the past apart. He entered Kaminari's electricity, surprising everyone because he walked as if nothing happened until he was in front of Kaminari, who was beginning to get scared of Izuku, who didn't seem to be affected at all. Izuku. You're not the only one who can use electricity. He said it so that huge amounts of electricity began to come out of his body, surprising everyone, but the surprise increased when they saw how Kaminari was the one who was increasingly hurt by the electricity, showing signs of injuries from Izuku's electricity, who with one blow, sent him against the wall, leaving him completely unconscious and unable to move. And even more so when he had his eyes rolled back so that the rest of the class could see him, although his feet began to be frozen, Todoroki being the cause of such an act. Izuku. Nice try, Todoroki, but out of pity for you. With a movement of her legs she ended up breaking Todoroki's eyes so that he could start walking, although something that everyone noticed was that his skin was like Kirishima's when he uses his quirk, leaving them impressed. Mina threw acid at the green-haired man, but at such a thing Izuku, with a movement of his hand, launched an enormous amount of wind, causing Mina's acid to end up flying against the wall. Todoroki threw an enormous amount of fire at Izuku, who at this only extended his arms. Izuku. Huge wave. A huge amount of water came out of his hands and went against Todoroki's fire, winning over him, who couldn't believe how the boy was beginning to take control in the fight, although when the two attacks collided. The cloud of steam was created in which Izuku was walking calmly, but out of nowhere, he received some blows that threw him back until he came out of the steam, while having a face of astonishment. Izuku. What just happened? Izuku's mind. Those blows were like Garou's, as if he had just attacked me, but that is impossible. The only ones who know this martial art are Garou, Silver Fang and me, but in exchange no, I don't believe that someone other than me has been trained by Garou. While the old man stopped teaching. He couldn't continue thinking when he saw how Sato came out of the steam and tried to hit him, which Izuku dodged as if it were nothing, so he could see how it broke the floor. Izuku's mind. He wasn't the one who attacked me in the steam room. He had to dodge Sato's blows, which didn't even come close to Izuku, who just looked at him as if nothing were wrong, so he chose to start counterattacking, starting with a fist bump, but in doing so, the blow ended up hurting Sato, who moved away, because the blow hurt him taking his hand, so Izuku approached at great speed to start raining down blows on Sato, who ended up winded all over, although he couldn't continue as he dodged an attack from Dark Shadow while Sato fell unconscious to the floor. Izuku dodged the Shadow's attacks until it took him. Izuku. Dark Shadow, you don't like the light. She said this while hugging him. Izuku. Then too bad because I'm turned on. He let out a large amount of fire that didn't burn Dark Shadow, but it did hurt him to feel all the light it gave him, until he released it, causing him to return to Tokoyami. Kirishima went against Izuku to hit him, but ended up failing so Izuku could hit him, but at this Kirishima covered himself. managing to block the blow, but in doing so, he ended up moving away from Izuku, making a line of destruction, although that wasn't the worst part, since part of his arms were broken, causing everyone to be in shock. Kirishima. It's a huge force. Momo. I already solved it. Izuku. What did you decide, beautiful? Momo. Your quirk has to do with the elements. Everyone looked at those words with doubt. Izuku. Interesting, keep going. Momo. You even used fire, electricity, earth, wind and water, you didn't use anything else, so your quirk is like something elemental. Izuku. Great, you solved it in a great way that I never thought someone would be able to solve it so quickly, since it is more than obvious that some of them were able to solve it. Momo. Don't take me lightly. He said this as he tried to hit him with his metal staff, but he failed as the green-haired man dodged it, as if it were nothing in front of the eyes of everyone who tried to help. Uraraka being the one who tried to throw some giant rocks at him that ended up being dodged by Izuku, but he noticed how the brunette was not going to dodge it in time, so he took her hand taking it out of the place, so that it would go against Uraraka who, seeing that Izuku was going against her. She was only waiting for the impact because she knew very well that she couldn't escape from him, but Lita got in the way going against Izuku, but he himself began to shoot out yellow rays while increasing his speed, hitting Lita sending him against some rocks, leaving him unconscious. Izuku. They can't handle me. But the jump he dodged Todoroki's ice who tried to throw his fire, while Izuku was in the air, who only began to dodge all the fire using the wind until he reached the front of Todoroki to hit him, but the Vickler put up a wall of ice, which was of little use against Izuku's enormous strength, which broke it, as if it were nothing causing his blow to hit Todoroki, sending him against a wall, but he was able to dodge in time a kick from Izuku who just looked at him although he moved away when he saw that Yujiro tried to attack him with the help of Shoji who tried to hit Izuku, but he himself dodged them with enormous speed, so that with a single movement of his hands, he left the two lying on the floor unconscious. Aoyama launched his laser, but in doing so he ended up piercing Izuku, but everyone was surprised to see that the green-haired man was as if nothing had happened. Bakugo. How is it possible? Izuku. It's one of the things I learned, but what can I do? I'll destroy them for being a nuisance. It was against Aoyama who couldn't do anything against Izuku who with a single blow to the face left him unconscious, so that with one movement he could hit Toru, surprising everyone because he discovered her, but what was most surprising was to see that Momo managed to hit him in the face, but the boy with a quick movement hit her in the neck, leaving her unconscious on the floor, so that Sayu could try to attack her with her tongue, but Izuku took her to bring her closer to him, only for her to receive an attack on the back of the neck, leaving her unconscious next to Momo. Izuku walked towards where the rest of the class was, and in one leap, he would pass next to some leaving Jiro, Mina, and others unconscious, leaving only Kirishima, Todoroki and Bakugo standing who were badly hurt while they looked at Izuku who just walked as if nothing had happened towards them. Todoroki. He's too strong. Kirishima. Whatever we do will be useless against Izuku. Bakugo. I won't give in to a piece of trash like him. Bakugo using his explosions went against Izuku who just looked at him as if he were nothing before him. Bakugo when he got to the front began to give all the explosions he could give against Izuku, who just stood still until he could not attack anymore, only to receive a blow from Izuku in the face, leaving him lying on the floor for Kirishima to try to hit him, but to his shame, Izuku was faster. Hitting him in the stomach leaving him unconscious, Todoroki launched his fire along with his ice against Izuku, in the hopes of doing something to the green-haired man who just looked at this. Izuku. This is ridiculous. He threw his arm back, causing a huge amount of fire to come out of his elbow to hit Bakugo's attack, causing a huge explosion, but when the dust went away Todoroki was on the floor, while Izuku had his foot on the Vi-color, becoming the winner of the fight. Izawa. Izuku is the winner. Izuku. They're just trash. Izuku left the place to change. Chapter 6. After Izuku arrived at UA to end up defeating the entire class Tua in a fight, defeating them all as if they were nothing before him. At this moment the entire class Tua was being taken to the infirmary, while Izuku walked to his room to find out how it would be now, although he was accompanied by Nezu, until they arrived to open the room, but they noticed something, and it was that all of All Might's things that Izuku had were no longer there. Nezu. I'm sorry young Izuku, I think your things were stolen while you were in Tartarus. Izuku. No need to apologize, this is more of a favor. I didn't want to see a single thing from All Might in my room, but oh well, what can you do? At that point some people came in with boxes among other things that surprised Nezu because they appeared out of nowhere. Nezu. What is all this? Izuku. They're my things, if I'm going to live in this place then I have to have some things to be able to live and be comfortable, you know, like at home. Nezu. Yes, I understand. Thank you for coming back and one of your classmates will bring you the schedules and all the tasks already done. Izuku. Whatever, you have better things to do than being with a guy like me, so I advise you to go. The director only left while Izuku only approached the boxes to start opening them, being some furniture, a bed, simple things, well past, and the entire class Tua was back in the bedrooms, although in the living room to be calm. Haminari. Izuku hits really hard. Hiroshima. Even my 100% toughness couldn't stand up to him. At that moment Aizawa entered through the door with some papers in hand. Lita. Aizawa-sensei, what about those leaves? Aizawa. I need one of you to give this to Izuku. Uraraka. I'll take care of it. Todoroki. I don't think so, it's not a good idea. Uraraka. Why? Momo. Maybe because you were his girlfriend, but you ended up turning your back on him, apart from being unfaithful to him even before that thing about the supposed betrayal that Izuku did to us happened. Uraraka. And you would be a better partner in giving him the task. Momo. Being the vice president, one of the few who did not do anything to protect him, I think it would be best if I did it. Sayu. To be honest, Momo is right. It's better if she does it than one of us. The brunette took the leaves to leave the room and start walking to Izuku's room, knocking on the door. Izuku? Who is it? Momo. I'm Momo, I have the leaves for you. At that the door is opened by the green-haired man who had a serious look to see the leaves he took. Izuku. Thank you. The boy entered, but before he could close the door Momo ended up entering with Sayu, causing the green-haired boy to hit himself in the face for not closing the door. The girls looked at Izuku's room which had a normal bed, some furniture to store clothes, a television, a table that was used to work and a guitar in the place. Sayu. Everything has changed a lot. Izuku. Yes, but you can go because I have things to do. Momo. It doesn't hurt to hang out for a while. Izuku. Okay, stay as long as you want but don't touch anything. The boy took out a toolbox and the girls noticed him so he could leave the place calmly. The girls began to look everywhere, although a piece of furniture that had its door half open caught their attention, so they approached it. Sayu. Izuku said not to meddle in his things about him. Momo. But I'm curious. The brunette opened the door, but when she did so a revolver could be seen as well as a sword. Sayu. What is all this? Momo. I don't know but we have to ask Izuku. The girls left but they didn't see the green-haired man in the room. Momo. Do you know where Izuku is? Hiroshima. Yes, you can see it through the window. Everyone approached to see through the window how a truck was approaching, while Izuku signaled for it to continue entering, causing everyone's attention to be drawn to it, who decided to leave the room and go down to see that there was a motorcycle and a car. They were about to approach, but they saw some feet under the car so they approached that part. Todoroki. Izuku, is that you? Izuku. Well, who else is it going to be? No, Lo Creo. Mina. What are these vehicles? Izuku. They're mine. Hiroshima. How much did it cost you to buy this? Izuku. Not much about the car, but I made the motorcycle myself since I was a screw. I made it myself. Hiroshima. Great. Izuku. Don't you dare do anything to one of my vehicles or I'll break all your bones. Haminari. What tell you we're going to do that? Izuku. They beat me, tortured me, sent me to Tartarus, and it wouldn't be strange if they wanted to do something to my vehicles. The Kugo tried to make an explosion, but when he tried he ended it with an electric shock, leaving him a little bad for a few moments. Izuku. Did you really think you could do something? He got out of the car to get up and clean himself up a bit with a rag. Izuku. All of this has a program that I put in it myself to prevent anyone from harming it using a quirk or anything else. The Kugo. Damn bastard. Izuku got on the bike to start it up. Lita. Midoriya, where do you think you're going? You can't drive, you're a minor, and you can't just leave UA like that, you have to ask the director for permission. Izuku. Fuck you Lita, nobody gives me orders just like that. Lita. You have to take at least the president with you so you can justify yourself a little when you get back, and I don't think you want to go anywhere with me hugging you. 15. Izuku. I'm not homosexual, but if you are it's another problem, but if you jump like that, Momo, are you coming? Momo. Me. Izuku. Yes, if Lita jumps like that then the vice president is more than justifiable to be able to leave the UA and return, but you decide if you come or not, in total I don't care much. Momo. Okay. The brunette got on Izuku's motorcycle. Izuku. By the way, there's a new driver's license. Lita. Wait, remember who the class president is. Izuku. And remember who gave you the position, Momo, I advise you to hold on to something. Momo. I don't think it's very. She fell when she felt Izuku start at a high speed, causing her to hug the green-haired boy, who only drove as if nothing happened, passing through the UA grounds, as if it were nothing for her to continue. Izuku drove for a while, although the brunette increasingly let go of the boy, who was like if nothing happened until they reached a part. Momo. What are we doing here? Izuku. I'm going to buy something, it's very important. Momo. Izuku, we have to talk about a very important topic. Izuku. Okay, let's talk to a little. He said this as he entered the store with the brunette, who followed him to begin walking around the place. Momo. I want to know why you have weapons in your room. Izuku. What are you talking about? Momo. A revolver, a sword, does that sound familiar to you? Izuku. That is part of my future hero suit. Since knowing how to use it, I'm obviously going to use it in a fight. They walked until they stopped at a part of the store where Momo had just realized where they were, so she could see a place that was for children's things like toys. Izuku took a stuffed animal, which was a kind of small monster with a green color, so he could walk to where he had to buy it. Momo. And now it turns out that you like stuffed animals. Izuku. It's not for me. After buying the stuffed animal, they left the store to start walking calmly around the place until they reached the motorcycle. Momo. If it's not for you then. Izuku. I need to keep up to date, I have to go get a person, and by the way, can you hold this for me? He gives her the stuffed animal so she can start driving, causing Momo to hug Izuku as the boy drives until he reaches a part that is a house. Momo. What are we doing here? Izuku walked to the door, knocking on it, but Nijire came out. Nijire. It's you, Izuku. Izuku. Yes, is she there? Nijire. Yes, hello Momo. Momo. Hello Nijire. The two of them entered to walk until they reached a part where they saw a white-haired girl who, upon seeing Izuku, threw herself at him and hugged him. Eri. Dad, are you really here? Isn't this a dream? Izuku. It's not a dream, it's real, but before anything else I brought you something. He shows her the stuffed animal that for some reason the girl thought of her father, and more because of the green color, so she took it. Momo. Why do I call him Dad? Nijire. It's that for Eri, Izuku is her father figure, the closest thing she has to a father for her. The brunette just watched as the two hugged each other, having a father-daughter moment. Nijire. Ever since Izuku went to Tartarus, Eri wanted to see him, she wanted to go see her father, but she couldn't let a girl see her father suffering in her place. Eri. Dad, are we going home? Or can I stay? Izuku. I need some time to have a safe house for you, Eri. Eri. Yes. The girl seemed more than happy. Izuku. Why are you celebrating so much? Nijire. Well. Eri. Nijire gives me a lot of delicious food like cakes and very delicious desserts. Izuku. So Nijire gives my daughter a lot of candy now. Nijire. I couldn't let that girl go through a childhood without eating something sweet. Izuku. Well, what are you going to do, Eri? I have to go back to UA, but I warn you that I will visit you a lot. Eri. You promise? Izuku. Yes, I promise that I will visit you many times, and I will bring you more sweets. Nijire. Don't try to bribe Eri, it won't work much for you, Izuku. Izuku. We'll see about that. The green-haired man stood up to walk to the door. Izuku. Let's go Momo, or do you want to stay? Momo. Wait. The brunette went to where Izuku was to get on the motorcycle so that he would start riding, only for them to leave the place. They were driving until they reached the UA where they entered without problems, but when he parked the motorcycle Izuku noticed Aizawa, who had a serious look. Aizawa. May I know what two of my offspring were doing outside without my permission? Izuku. There are more important matters than your rules, Aizawa. Aizawa. And young Momo, I think, has an explanation. Izuku. Look, I took her without asking her, so the blame falls on me, and if you don't have anything better to say, I'll go to my room because I have more important things to do than listening to you for half an hour talking about villains and other things, since we face villains very often, or at least that's what we're supposed to do. Izuku walked past Aizawa followed by Momo, who only followed him until they reached a part where they were alone. Momo. Thank you very much for saying that. Izuku. It's the least I can do after what you did. Momo. What do you mean? Izuku. That time when the class was torturing me, if it hadn't been for you standing in front with a shield, I would have practically died from the attack they launched at me without a doubt. They practically saved my life that day. That's why this is the least I can do for you, Tsuyu, and that's not even mentioning the times they hinted at me to leave UA. Momo. It's nothing, it's always a pleasure to help a friend. Izuku. Yes, but when you saved me, I want to know if you also thought I was the traitor. Momo. To be honest, Tsuyu and I talked a little, and we came to the conclusion that you were not the traitor of the UA, risking your life when we saved Bakugo, when you went for Eri, when you saved Koda and more things, that's why we don't believe that you are a traitor. Izuku. Then thank you very much for trusting me. When they reached the living room they entered so that Izuku could go directly to his room. Chapter 7. After Izuku had humiliated the class apart from having gone to see Eri with Momo, who could only see how the green-haired man was with Eri as if she were his real daughter, at this moment they were all at UA, calmly having their normal classes with Aizawa being only things of questions and answers that they answered as if nothing for Izuku, who was already well informed of everyone. Aizawa. Let's all go out with our hero costumes because we'll have some very important things to do. Everyone listened to them so they could leave the room calmly until they reached the locker rooms where they changed without any problem until they finished so that everyone could come out with their normal hero costumes like last year's without having changed at all, but as it was obvious the only one who turned out to change was Izuku since he had a shirt like Garou's that stuck to his body with black pants along with black sneakers and a jacket that reached almost to his feet while he had some kind of collar apart from some gloves. Momo. New suit. Izuku. Same clothes as last year. Lita. Izuku and your previous outfit. Izuku. Obviously I burned it along with the rest of the cooking stuff. Bakugo. He's just being interesting. Momo. What does this suit have that the previous one doesn't? Izuku. Only things that benefit me. Aizawa. Well, they will do surveillance around the city, they will have to form a group that will be formed at random. But those words Uraraka and Lita already asked to be paired with Izuku, but when they started choosing who was going to be in a group, Izuku ended up being in a group with Todoroki. Izuku. She's way better than Uraraka or Lita. The boy walked to get ready to begin surveillance. Aizawa. I forgot to say that you have to form groups of 3. Saying that, Uraraka and Lita regained hope, although Izuku did not, as he cursed a little to show how the group's companions were going to be chosen, so that it would end up being Tsuyu who stayed in Izuku's group, so he approached the green-haired man. Tsuyu. Hello Izuku. Izuku. Hello Tsuyu. Aizawa. Okay, you may leave to begin surveillance. Saying that, they began to walk through the city calmly, although Tsuyu noticed that in the environment, Izuku did not speak or think about it, since he had Todoroki with him. Todoroki. I'm sorry. That caught the attention of both of them. Todoroki. I'm sorry Izuku for attacking you back then and not listening to you because I had no other choice. Tsuyu looked at this with a bit of astonishment while Izuku just had his serious gaze barely looking at Todoroki who had his head down. Izuku. Explain yourself better. Todoroki. It's that All Might threatened my family that if my father and I didn't attack you, he would end up making us never be with my mother again. Izuku just looked at him out of the corner of his eye, already knowing what his mother went through in the past because of Endeavor. Izuku. And where is your mother nowadays? Todoroki. She's at my house, but I'm still very sorry Izuku, I had no other option, I did everything I could to be with my mother. Izuku just looked at Todoroki to continue on his way with his hands in the pocket of his jacket. Izuku. I'll give you an answer later, we're working now. Todoroki. Okay. They were walking calmly until they saw a bank being robbed and people inside. Todoroki. What do we do? Izuku. I'll take care of getting everyone safe while you guys take care of fighting the villains when I give the order. The two agreed as Izuku began to disappear into a mist. Inside the bank Izuku saw that there were approximately 5 thieves, one of which was noticeably having a strength quirk, another speed quirk, another could make whips, the fourth could things to him, and the last could only make a kind of shield. Izuku began to lift all the people into the air being noticed by the bandits. Bandit? Who is using a quirk? Everyone denied it until they were sent to a room while the door closed and Izuku appeared. Izuku. 5 people, 5 bandits that I can break their bones however I like. Saying that the bandits looked at Izuku for the speed one to go against him to hit him, but Izuku dodged him as if it were nothing to hit him in the face, sending him flying followed by dodging the one who had great strength, but before he attacked him, he ended up being attracted by one of the bandits, but before he reached the bandit himself the same ended up with half of his body frozen. Todoroki. I think that was the signal to start. Izuku. That's funny, just do your part of the work, I'll take care of the strongman, the one with the whips. Todoroki. That leaves me with the shield one and the speed one. Tsuyu. And me with the one that can attract things. Izuku. Yes, begin. Everyone went against the 3 young men who only moved to start fighting. Izuku dodged the whips apart from a blow from the bandits looking at them seriously, so that the one with strength would begin to try to hit him, but Izuku dodged him as if nothing happened, to jump to dodge the whips that came from behind him. Hitting the one with strength so that Izuku would go to where the one with the whips was in front of him and then spin and kick him in the face, sending him against the wall, causing him to end up bouncing so that he would end up receiving a kick from Izuku, causing him to end up destroying the wall. Before Izuku did something, he had to dodge a blow from the bandit with strength and then spin and kick him in the face, sending him against a table, breaking it in the process, and then jump and be on top of him looking at him as if nothing happened. Izuku. 1,000 hellish strikes. His fist began to turn red, so he could start hitting them several times all over their bodies, and with each hit fire came out, causing some burns on the bandit's body until he ended up leaving him unconscious with many burns. Izuku. It's 5 for 1. Izuku walked so that he could go through the destroyed wall, seeing the one with the whip who was barely getting up from the blow from Izuku, who was just walking calmly so that he could use his quirk against Izuku, trying to take the green-haired boy, but the same way, so that the whips would end up piercing his body. Izuku walked until he was in front of the bandit to knock him unconscious with a single blow and break the floor. Izuku. There are two. With Todoroki, the Vi-color launched his fire against one of the bandits, who used a shield that came out of his arms protecting him from the attack so that the speed would go against Todoroki, but the Vi-color made a pillar of ice under him, avoiding it completely to look at him. Todoroki. He's very fast, but let's see how he runs on ice. He made the floor of the place freeze, causing the villain to start losing his balance and starting to skate until he lost part of his balance, causing him to fall, so that he ended up against the wall for Todoroki to launch his fire, but before the attack hit the bandit was protected by the one who had a shield, preventing his partner from being harmed until Todoroki stopped attacking, so that the villain would look at him and smile a little. Bandit. There's no way you can do anything against my shield. Todoroki. Really? Let's see how much. He made large amounts of ice pillars come out of the floor that went against the bandit, who could only protect himself from that receiving the attack, causing him to end up against a wall. But before he could do anything, his feet were frozen, causing him to not be able to move from the place enough for Todoroki to be in front of him to touch his chest, causing his body to freeze completely so that he could see the speed one who was just running around the place, but for Todoroki it was nothing, so he made a wall of ice, avoiding an attack from the bandit to take advantage of the moment he was close to use his ice, freezing his right leg, not letting him move, only for Todoroki to take out the ice wall, and with a fire attack, hit the bandit full on, causing him to end up on the floor unconscious. Izuku. You're done, Todoroki. Todoroki. Yes, just one more missing. But Tsuyu, the girl, was avoiding all the things that were behind her, since the bandit used his quirk to attract a few things against the frog girl, but nothing worked, so he chose to attract Tsuyu, which in the face of this, ended up taking a chair with her tongue to throw it at him, but the bandit dodged it. Tsuyu was not going to give up so easily, so she took a few more things, throwing them with her tongue, causing the bandit to have to dodge them all the time, but obviously Tsuyu was not going to give him a break, so that in this way he could not use his quirk against her, but something that the bandit did not know was that he was leading him into a trap, since each time he threw him into a room where the bandit no longer had the opportunity to use his quirk, since there was nothing at all. When he turned around, he ended up receiving a kick from Tsuyu, which used her tongue to grab the villain and throw him against the wall, followed by lifting him into the air to send him to the floor. Bandit. Damn. He took out a gun. Tsuyu had nowhere to take cover, but when the bandit fired the bullet, it ended up bouncing, so that Tsuyu saw how in front of the bandit was Izuku, who knocked him unconscious with one blow. Izuku. Okay, Todoroki, you can take people out now. Something they didn't know was that one of the people left the shelter to record the entire fight that took place there, but when he noticed that Todoroki was going towards them, he only returned to the shelter. When Todoroki arrived, he only freed them so that everyone could begin to thank them, but when they saw Izuku they were surprised, since he was that green-haired man that everyone once hated. Izuku. Come on, we have to continue the surveillance. They just agreed to start walking with Izuku, who only had that cold look that froze everyone's blood. Tsuyu. We made a good team. Izuku. Yes, but the important thing is that everyone is okay, that's the only thing that matters to me. Todoroki. Now what's your hero name? Izuku looked at him sideways at that, being noticed by the two of them. Todoroki. If you changed your outfit, I'm sure your name changed too. Izuku. Just call me Shadow. Izuku walked with them without any kind of problem until they arrived at UA, because their hour ended, so they went to change to be in the dorms. Izuku and Todoroki were alone in a part where no one would be able to hear them. Todoroki. You called me Izuku. Izuku. Yes, you asked for my forgiveness while ago, and the answer is that I forgive you. Todoroki. Thanks, but I think you have a good reason. Izuku. You just had to say sorry. Before I returned to Japan I was looking at the reasons why everyone betrayed me, and I used the robots to see your reason, and I completely understand it. I would have done the same thing too if I could save my mother. It's understandable, Todoroki, and that's why I want us to be friends. Todoroki. Despite what I did to you, you still want to be my friend. Izuku. You practically did what I would do to have my mother by my side, so I forgive you, but well, let's each go back to our part, I have to make improvements to my bike. The two of them went to the living room although they saw something, and it was the news since it showed the bank that they saved. News. No young man left the shelter that some people left him, so he could film his rescuers who fought to save the people from the bank. He showed the recording of how Izuku, Todoroki and Tsuyu fought against the bandits. News. This is the new Deku hero that we once lost, but is now back in the Deku AU. The news showed a photo of Izuku in his previous outfit and another Izuku in the current outfit he had. Izuku just went to where his motorcycle was being seen by everyone, although some understood that Izuku did not like that at all, because of how they just called him on the news. Mina. Apparently she went to show her happiness somewhere else. Todoroki. No, he's depressed. 11. Uraraka. I'd better cheer him up. 15. Tsuyu. It's not a good idea, we don't know the current Izuku very well, so we don't know how he might react to any of us. Everyone just felt bad for what they did in the past to Izuku who did not forget anything from his past. Chapter 8. After each one made a group to be able to go on surveillance, although because of this they ended up fighting against some bandits, and on the news they talked about the previous Izuku and the current one. At this moment Izuku was making some repairs to his motorcycle, although he did not notice that some people entered the improvised workshop that Izuku made. Momo. Hello Izuku. Izuku. Hey Momo, is something wrong? Don't tell me Mineta and Kaminari want to come over and you need someone to give them a good hit so that all their current thoughts come out. Momo. No, although I would like to, but no, I came because I noticed you were a little depressed about the news. Izuku. Me depressed by a few words. You need more than that to depress me, and you have to know it very well. Momo. Yes, but well, I brought you someone who wants to help you a little with the motorcycle issue. At that, Mei entered, showing that smile that Izuku noticed, causing him to stand in front of his motorcycle, covering it in a protective way in front of the inventor of Class B. 11. Izuku. I don't want it to explode, I have a lot of confidence in Mei, but this bike is a bit advanced for anyone. Mei. Come on, how advanced can a motorcycle get? Izuku. Don't say later that I told you so. Touch a part of the motorcycle causing a compartment to open revealing some capsules with a red liquid, making a total of 7. Mei. That's what I think it is. Izuku. Yes, it is what you think it is. Momo. What is it? Mei. It is red energy, it is a type of energy that can last up to 40 years just by keeping a vehicle in constant use without it running out. Izuku. It was originally used to make some bombs that were at least close to a nuclear one, but on a small scale, when it is put on a motorcycle, it ends up exploding by nature with one of these. Close the compartment. Momo. And you have it on your motorcycle. Izuku. Yes. Mei. How did you put it on? Izuku. It wasn't very easy to say, the bike is capable of withstanding blows from All Might himself, it has enough resistance so that not even a small part of the bike ends up breaking, with a compartment where you can leave an egg and drive up a mountain, but the egg won't break apart from its attack capacity. There was a part where some machine guns came out, although instead of normal bullets they were like tranquilizers apart from electric ones. Momo. And you're afraid that it might end up exploding. Izuku. With the possibility that if it explodes we will all die. Mei. Then show me how you did it. Izuku. Okay, but don't rush. Momo. By the way, she's not the only one who came. Melissa came through the door, but before they could say hello, unfortunately for her, Melissa heard everything, so she went straight to the bike and between her and Mei, they were already checking all the bike's functions. Izuku. How? Momo. How did Melissa get here? Her father let her stay in Japan with us. Izuku. No, how did they manage to lift the bike? Even Sato would have a hard time lifting the bike. Momo looked at this with a bit of amazement while the other two girls just thoroughly checked the bike to start making some new designs on it. Izuku. If you allow me, I'll be at a safe distance in case it explodes. Before he left he ended up with a leash around his neck. 11. Momo. You're not going anywhere Izuku. Izuku. Get this out of me. Momo. No. They were there for a while, while Izuku just watched as they thoroughly checked the bike without any kind of problem, until a few hours passed when they finished lowering the bike, making Izuku continue to be impressed by how they did it. Izuku. I'm going to be left with the universal doubt of how they could do that. Melissa. You have to try the bike, we made some nice improvements to it. Mei. Go to the vehicle training camp we made, it's very good since it only works for vehicles. Izuku. Okay. The boy got on to start driving alone, but by pure chance, Class B and A were outside looking at that field when they saw the motorcycle enter the place. Kendo. That place is very dangerous. Mei. It doesn't matter now, that bike will handle it. Izuku. They increased their speed a lot. Everyone noticed that it was Izuku who was driving until flamethrowers came out from the sides that attacked Izuku, but the green-haired man already knew that his bike could withstand the fire, although he was surprised to see that his body had a kind of force field, not letting the fire reach him. He was on one side where they shot him, but the same thing happened with that field not letting them do him any harm. Izuku. A force field, seriously, they made some nice improvements to it. The boy increased his speed as some large stones appeared along the way, which went against Izuku, but the force field did not allow the stones to do any damage to him, but at one point he noticed a small crack. Izuku. We better get this over with. The boy increased his speed so that he could end up off the track and end up in front of Mei and Melissa. Melissa. What did you think? Izuku. Very good improvements. The speed didn't surprise me much, but the force field did, apart from that I noticed that they made improvements to the arsenal. He said this as he pressed a button and the machine guns came out and fired at a sign, hitting the target. Izuku. It has a better scope, improved aim, rubber bullets that end up launching nets. Seriously, this time they left me with my mouth open, I have no words. Mei. And that's without even trying it on the snowy part where it can walk without any problems. Izuku. Let's see. The boy began to drive and ended up in a part where there was snow. On the screen of his motorcycle a button was shown that he pressed so that some kind of spikes appeared on the wheels, allowing him to drive safely. Through a microphone he had in his ear, they began to speak to him. Mei. Try it at the top of the mountain. Izuku did as requested to start driving so that it would go through the mountain, so that it would end almost at the end of it until a button that said flight mode appeared, so he did as requested to begin to increase speed until he jumped over the mountains. Toru. He's going to die. The wheels of the bike separated so that it began to do something similar to a glide, managing to reach the ground safely so that it could end up in front of the two classes. Izuku. Without a doubt, they are the best things they did apart from the fact that I will let them be in charge of my things more often. Mei. You can always count on us. Melissa. Although it almost ended up exploding at one point. At that Izuku ended up with a pale face just like Momo. Kirishima. What would be wrong if it exploded? Todoroki. I don't see anything wrong with it. Mei. Nothing special or anything we have to worry about except that if the entire UA exploded and those in the dormitory were going to die. Monoma. That's a good joke. Izuku. It's not, we were literally all going to die. That caused everyone to look at the girls who had a smile until Izawa appeared. Izawa. Everybody eat. Everyone followed him to see Izawa. Izawa. The director asked that since they are second-year students, they have to do some things that can serve as help, support or something beneficial to the UA. Both Class A and B can participate. Lita. Everyone who has things that can help, please come forward. Only a few came to the front, being Abara, Mei, Kendo, Tetsu and Monoma from Class B, while from Class A Uraraka, Mina, Kirishima, Momo and Izuku came to the front, to everyone's surprise that the green-haired boy had come to the front. Izawa. Well, everyone should do what they have planned, since they can do whatever they want at the moment to improve the UA. Everyone just agreed as they began to go to different parts of the UA. Some time passed in which everyone was waiting for news until everyone entered and left before everyone's eyes. Izawa. It's good that you're done, now let's see what changes you made. Who wants to be the first to show us? Kendo. I formed a group with Abara and Mei. Izawa. Then let's go and along the way the director will accompany us. Everyone began to follow the girls who showed that the back of the UA had some plants that were chosen by Kendo for Abara to make and Mei with her inventions to leave them in a better shape, but it was not the only part since in front of the UA, the same thing happened apart from having some plants like flowers on the sides of the walls, giving it a better touch. Nezu. I like how they made these changes even if they didn't put them on the UA walls, but if they had put some pillars it would have looked better. Izawa. Who's next? Tetsu. Monoma and I. Nezu. I want to see what the changes are. They went to a part where there were pillars apart from things like antiquity. Monoma. There is nothing better than ancient Rome, an empire so powerful without any enemy that could resist it, apart from showing great camaraderie to the point that no one could stand up to it. Tetsu. I think you went a little too far. Izuku. Putting aside that the Romans did many things against their own people as well as Maximus, apart from being conquerors doing inhuman things against their own people, causing Rome to destroy itself, as well as how many enemies he had some like Spartacus among others. Monoma. They are small details. Nezu. The place is kind of nice, but it's not as nice as I thought. How did they do it? Tetsu. Monoma was in charge of copying Professor Cement's quirk, and I just broke a few things. Nezu. Who's next? Mina. I teamed up with Uraraka. Nezu. Show us what you did. The girls took everyone inside, making them look at how everything had more colors like pink, yellow among others, not to mention the parts like some kind of things that made it look like a garden. Izawa. I'm not even going to ask how they did it. Nezu. Well done girls for your efforts. Izawa. Only 3 left. Kirishima. I actually teamed up with Izuku and Momo. Izawa. We're excited. They all started walking until they came to the front of a house. Izawa. A house. Izuku. If they come in, it's better. Everyone went in to see the normal things, but what they liked was seeing how there were 3 doors, one of which said girls, another boys and the last one unit. Izawa. And this? Momo. They are hot springs. Nezu. How did they do it? Momo. Izuku was in charge of making the water appear apart from this part of the place and some defenses. Kirishima was in charge of setting up the men's part and I was in charge of setting up the women's part. Izawa. What do you mean by defenses? Izuku. Mineta, Kaminari, there are many women behind the girls' door, they are all yours if you pass through the place. The 2 perverts were quick to go and finish off the electrocution in a huge way so that they would be left unconscious on the floor. Izuku. The hot springs have sensors to prevent perverts from entering, their system identifies if you are a man or a woman, apart from being able to identify in your mind if you are going to do something perverted at some point, so it reacts as quickly as possible, nothing can happen not even from the outside. Nezu. What about that door? Unit. Kirishima. These are for those who have no problem taking hot springs with girls. Mina. So it works so that girls and boys are alone. Izuku. Yes. Uraraka. But isn't that something perverted? Izuku. No, this is for those who have no problem taking hot springs with girls or girls with boys, and if something perverted happens the system reacts, this is only so everyone can relax once and for all. Izawa. This is definitely a good job. They heard some electricity so they looked where Mineta and Kaminari were who tried to enter the uniroom. Izuku. Come on, anti-perverts. Izawa. Tomorrow they can enter, today not. Saying that, everyone left, although a little angry, except for Izuku, who was just calm. Kirishima. We just want to relax. Izawa. But today it won't happen, now everyone get training, Class B go back to your place. Those from Class B left while those from A began to train, putting their quirks to practice, but Izuku walked to the side. Izawa. Where are you going Izuku? Izuku. I'm going to train, what else? Izawa. That's why I have to see you. Izuku extended his hand forward. Izuku. Wind cut. All the trees were cut down, revealing a kind of mountain near UA for Izuku to walk until he was in front of the mountain. Izuku. Izawa just come watch me and let another teacher watch them. Izawa. Okay. Izawa went to where Izuku was so that he could start hitting the mountain. Izawa. This training is pointless, your quirk is elemental. Izawa just watched attentively as each time the blow began to be stronger than the previous one, causing him to find a cave in the place each time. Izawa. Midoriya, you never said anything about a second quirk. Izuku. My other quirk allows me to hit, once I hit the next hit will be stronger than the previous one and will continue that way, increasing the strength of the blows until the fight is over. The boy turned around to continue with his thing, breaking the mountain more and more, spending a while in which Izuku counted his blows. Izuku. 343, 344, 345. Before he could continue telling, Izawa ended up interrupting him. Izawa. Training time is over, come back. Izuku just walked out of the cave he made, although it was beginning to get covered by Izuku's quirk, making the cave seem like it had never been there, as if nothing had happened before Izawa's surprised gaze. Izawa. How did you do that? Izuku. My other quirk Izawa, you didn't think I was going to leave the cave in place. Izuku went to where his classmates were, and upon seeing Izuku with Izawa, 2 girls immediately approached him, since they noticed something that the others didn't. Momo. Izuku you are hurt. He said this while taking his hand which had bloody knuckles from the force of Izuku's blows. Izuku. This is nothing. Sai. It doesn't matter, you have to be okay. The girl put some bandages that Momo made covering Izuku's wounds on her knuckles, although a certain brunette did N''T like seeing how the 2 girls did that with her ex-boyfriend. Chapter 9. After improvements were made to Izuku's bike, apart from the fact that they were making some teams to do some things for the UA, letting the school end up having hot springs and Izuku, showing how he has trained in front of Izawa's eyes. At this moment everyone was in class quietly without any time of trouble until they were given a break, so they went to eat in the dining room while the green-haired boy was calm. Kendo. Midoriya. Izuku. What do you want Kendo? I'm very busy. Monoma. Really? Eating is so important to you. Izuku. For someone to keep fighting for hours they have to have a lot of energy, and the only way to have that much energy is by eating. Someone like Kendo should know that by having martial arts. Kendo. Yes, I know, but I only came so that on behalf of Class 2B. Izuku. Apologize to me, don't start joking. One thing you have to keep in mind, never come on behalf of other people. If the others want to apologize, then let them come and apologize themselves. Don't send you as if you were their only way to apologize. Kendo. Then in that case I apologize for. Izuku. I'm done eating, I'm leaving. The boy stood up to start walking, but his arm was taken by Monoma, which was a very bad idea. Monoma. You better be. He was silenced by a punch from Izuku, leaving the remains of the food on top. Izuku. Look boy, if you want to touch me, let it be in a fight, and I don't think an insect like you want to fight someone like me. Monoma. Damn you, then I challenge you to a fight. Izuku. Don't you dare miss the gym today. Izuku left the place, and the entire conversation was heard and seen by everyone, so they would go to the gym where Monoma and Izuku's fight was going to take place with the two of them. Izuku. Tell me, how do you want to fight? Monoma. I want to do it in the ring. He said this while pointing to a part where there was a boxing ring. Izuku. With or without a quirk, I'll give you the favor of giving you the advantage. I'm not going to use my quirk, but you are. Monoma. You're finished, we'll fight almost like a boxing match. Izuku got into the ring to take off his shirt, revealing a body made by gods before the eyes of all the girls, while Monoma only did the same to get into the ring and put on his gloves to fight. Izuku. Come on, surprise me and show me that I'm wrong, that you are stronger than me. Monoma. You'll see. The boy launched himself at Izuku trying to hit him, but the boy dodged him as if it were nothing to hit him in the face, leaving him against the ropes, working as a back and forth, since through the ropes, Monoma returned to where Izuku was being hit again, leaving him unconscious on the floor. Izuku. It took less time than I expected. 11. The boy got off the ring to put on his shirt and a sweatshirt to start jogging, leaving the UA since classes had ended. The boy continued jogging until he reached a part where it was a park to train, so he began his training, but he noticed something. Izuku. Maybe what are you doing following me, Momo? He said this as the brunette trotted over to the spot, taking deep breaths of air. Momo. It's just that I wanted to be stronger, and I was thinking of a way to make myself stronger, and I came to this point of following your training. Izuku. But this is just the warm-up for me. Momo. It doesn't matter, I'll still continue with this, I'll follow your training pace in order to become stronger. Izuku. Then I better start helping you train. Momo. Are you really going to train me? Izuku. I can tell from far away that you're going to follow in my footsteps, so even if I forbid you or something like that, you're not going to listen to me, so you're not giving me many options. The brunette had a smile on her face. Izuku. You better stop smiling, your training begins. The brunette did as she was told to do and start training, even though she had to pay attention to the words the green-haired girl was telling her, but without her noticing her, someone was walking slowly in her direction. Man. It seems like young people nowadays train their bodies too much, I think steroids would be better than that. The two looked at the man being a very tall person like All Might's height, apart from being someone very muscular with a grey sports jacket like his pants, apart from having short blonde hair. Momo. And who are you? Man. Didn't they tell you that it's bad to ask someone's name without telling yours first? Izuku. He is Jack Hanma, the first son of Yujiro Hanma, known for being someone with one of the most muscular bodies in the world, apart from having many steroids. Jack. Boy, you know me so well, kid. Izuku. Don't act nice, Jack, I know they're coming because you know very well that your father trained me, so you want to kill me. Jack. You're right, boy. Izuku got into a combat stance under the gaze of the brunette who didn't know what was going to happen. Izuku. Momo, you better get out of the way, this is going to get a little rough. The brunette did as she asked to walk away, while Izuku looked at Jack who had a smile on his face. Jack. Do you really think your martial arts can defeat me? Izuku. I know you fight street style, you play dirty in fights. Jack. Then let's get started. Jack looked at Izuku who was only serious until he decided to move, trying to kick him, which Izuku dodged with a little difficulty, and with one jump he reached Jack's face, kicking him in the face, moving him away, although Jack tried to hit him with a punch that Izuku ended up dodging to give him another kick in the face. Spinning around so that he fell into a combat pose looking at Jack who simply got up. Jack. I'm definitely going to like this fight. Izuku. I would like to say the same, but out of pity I don't believe it. Jack. Then let's test how long you can stand. Jack launched himself at Izuku trying to hit him with a punch that Izuku dodged to hit him in the chin with the palm of his hand, but Jack didn't back down as he tried to hit Izuku, who dodged it once more as he hit him in the stomach using both of his hands, pushing him away so that he ended up crashing into a bench, breaking it in the process. Izuku. You won't be able to do anything about it. Jack. We'll see about that, you know something, those blows didn't do anything to me, my muscles protected me from the blows. Izuku. So quick consecutive hits don't work on someone like voice. Jack. I'm afraid not and I imagine you're not using your quirk. Izuku. Just like you said, it's a hand-to-hand fight. I don't plan on using my quirk. Jack. Well, that's too bad, that's a serious mistake. Jack once again launched himself against Izuku, who had to dodge a blow from Jack, followed by blocking another blow. The movement stopped him partly so he could see how the man launched himself against him, trying to give him a blow that Izuku kept blocking, causing him to be against a tree so that Jack could start hitting him, while Izuku only covered himself from Jack's strong blows. Worrying the brunette who was about to get into the fight and didn't care if she couldn't do anything against Jack. Izuku's mind. If I circa N' fight him by hitting his vital points or something, then I have to hurt his muscles, I have to punish his muscles. When Jack was going to give another blow, Izuku ended up dodging it, causing the blow to end up breaking the tree, but when he turned around, he ended up receiving a blow to his ears from him, causing him to end up backing away. Jack. What's wrong? Are you tired of blocking? Izuku. The truth is, I discovered the way to defeat you. Jack. Really? I want to see it. Jack walked towards Izuku to hit him, but was dodged by Izuku, who took the opportunity to hit him in the arm, followed by a kick in the other arm. Jack tried to hit him again, but it was useless since Izuku dodged it, as if it were nothing in front of Momo, since when Izuku attacked, he went for the arms or parts that were not vital points, but on the contrary, he attacked where the muscles were. Izuku attacked until at one point he moved away. Jack. Seriously, attacking my muscles? That's the worst idea you've ever had. Izuku. Then come and check it out. Jack tried to hit him, but to his surprise Izuku got there first, hitting him in the stomach, knocking the wind out of him, and causing him to back away. Jack. How is this possible? That blow just hurt. Izuku. And I have more for you. The boy stood in front of Jack and began to punch him in the stomach more until he kicked him in the face, which raised him slightly in the air so that Izuku could jump and spin around to kick him in the stomach, causing him to run out of air and ended up on the floor so that Izuku would fall on him, kicking him again, causing him to spit out some blood. Jack tried to get up, but when he did, Izuku threw a punch at his face, causing Jack to be sent flying into the trees, where he was left unconscious. Izuku. This fight is over. Momo. But how did you do it? Izuku. Do what? Momo. Your blows weren't supposed to hurt him, but out of nowhere your attacks start to hurt him. Izuku. Let's go, I'll tell you on the way. The brunette began to walk next to Izuku who was now calm. Izuku. What I did was punish his muscles, he can't fight if his muscles hurt, if they hurt the resistance he had begun to go away, and after that I was able to take advantage of forming a weak point to begin to enlarge it to the point that he could no longer resist my blows and ended up unconscious, as you see, if you can't hold on to it, you'll end up badly. The girl was amazed at such a thing that Izuku had just done, who was only walking until they arrived at UA where Izawa was waiting. Izawa. Izuku, I heard that you stole a boy from another class. Izuku. Yes, but it was because he ended up challenging me to a fight, so I responded with the same. Izawa. Then if it's Monama's fault I'll have to leave you alone. Izuku began to walk directly to the hot springs being seen by everyone even by class A and B. Izawa. Where are you going? Izuku. Isn't it obvious, I'm going to rest a bit after all I came from a fight. Izawa. Against whom? Izuku. Jack Hanma challenged me to a fight so I accepted and defeated him. Izawa. Momo, what Izuku says is true. Momo. Yes sensei, Jack came and wanted to fight Izuku to kill him, although Izuku defeated him. Izawa. And why were you with him? Momo. I tried to keep up with the training. Izuku. If you leave us, I'll relax for a while. Izuku went to the hot springs so that everyone could also see how he entered the Yuna making a girl smile. Hiroshima. He's a real man, he doesn't care about anything, he goes wherever he wants to go. Momo. Or he went to that part because he knows very well that no one would enter that part, no girl dares to enter a place where there are naked boys so he can be calm. Bakugo. Let's just go relax. Each one went their own way while Izuku was calm in the hot springs without any problems until the door was open for someone to enter the water. Izuku. And I thought I would be calm, but that enormous virtue cannot be fulfilled. I look forward noticing that it was Uraraka who was naked in the water. Uraraka. Hello Izuku-kun. Izuku. Now what do you want, Uraraka? I'm trying to relax. Uraraka. If you want, I can help you with that. The girl said this while pressing her breasts against Izuku's chest, who showed that he didn't care what the girl did. Uraraka. Come on Izuku, I just want to have some fun with my green hair. Izuku. I'm not your green hair, in fact I'm not anyone's green hair. The girl was about to do something else, but she heard the door open so she walked away seeing that it was Momo and Mei who had their towels entering the hot springs, causing the girl to say softly. Uraraka. Girls, what are you doing here? Momo. We just came to relax in a place where there is no one or well, almost no one. Mei. By the way Izuku, your suit is ready. I made several improvements that I'm sure you like. Izuku. Thanks Mei. The four of them stayed relaxing for a while, although the boy kept being bothered by Uraraka having an annoying face being noticed by the other girls, so he chose to get up. Uraraka. Where are you going Izuku-kun? Izuku. There's a big annoyance and I can't relax so I'm leaving. The boy came out of the water, causing the three girls to blush at the sight of Izuku naked who left. Uraraka. She has it bigger than Lita, Todoroki and Bakugo together. The girls spent more time in the hot springs to see Izuku like that. Chapter 10. After Izuku defeated Monoma apart from fighting Jack, defeating him in a fight without using his quirk, so that he ended up being bothered even in the hot springs. At this moment Class 2 was in their classroom relaxed, and Izuku was just in a corner looking out the window coming to see a bird flying, making him have a smile which was calm being noticed by only two people until Izawa entered the place. Izawa. Well class, today we will have a somewhat special class unlike the other classes that are more different. All Might. Because you will come with me to keep watch around the city, each of you will go to parts that are considered very dangerous, so you will have to be careful where you go, understood? Everyone agreed except Izuku who was just staring at that bird that was flying through the skies until they called him. Izawa. By the way Izuku, from Class B Mei, said that she already has your suit ready, so I recommend you go get it right now. Izuku just got up to start walking out of the room going to the mechanics part until he reached a huge door passing, as if it were nothing just for Mei to stand in front of him. Mei. Hey Izuku, you came for your suit. Izuku. Yes, I came for the suit. Mei. So you see that everything is ready. The girl handed him a briefcase that Izuku took to go change. Mei. By the way Izuku, your suit has parts where you can store your weapons apart from other parts, where you can resist the impact of some attack such as physical, and not to mention that it adheres to your body, so you can use your quirk a lot more easily Izuku. Izuku. Thanks Mei. The boy put on the suit to go with his companions who, upon seeing Izuku's suit, were surprised by his suit since it was totally different from the one before or from Deku's, since the suit was a black one from Assassin's Creed. Todoroki. New suit. Izuku. Obviously yes, I have more fighting capabilities with this suit, even if it doesn't seem like it. All Might. Okay, students, now you will form groups of 3 like last time, only this time you will be accompanied by a hero who will watch you to see how good you are with your teams of heroes, and be very careful where you go, but there will be a team that will not have a hero, meaning they will not have a teacher with them, and their progress will be seen by a robot. Everyone watched as they began to randomly choose teams, ending with the teams that everyone saw being Izuku's with Momo and Sayu. Izuku. Then it's my turn with you. Momo. And we don't have a teacher to accompany us. All Might. I better do this again. The blonde's plan was for him to end up with Izuku just like Uraraka and Lita, who wanted to be with Izuku to be her friend again. Nezu. Why do you want to choose the teams again All Might? It's already done, leave them alone. All Might. But director. Nezu. But what? You're going to tell me that Izuku isn't strong enough to be with your group or that he isn't trustworthy? All Might. No director. Nezu. Then in that case leave him alone, he will be fine, Izuku can go. Izuku. Just so you know, director, the law that Nomus must be locked up still applies. Nezu. No, we realize that it's impossible to interrogate them so you can kill them, since they're not human either. Izuku. Thanks directly for saying so. Izuku left with the girls before everyone's eyes, the 3 of them were walking through a part where they left him informed. Sayu. This place is supposed to be very dangerous, but there is nothing dangerous. Izuku. Maybe because we don't go that deep to look for the villains. Momo. Wait, you just want to search for villains. Izuku. We're supposed to be heroes so looking for villains is what we have to do and we have no other choice. The 3 of them walked until Izuku saw how that bird that was in the sky came down to where he was, so he extended his hand holding the bird in his arm, while the girls looked at that bird like an eagle. Sayu. And that eagle? Izuku. She's mine, her name is Falcon, I trained her since I met her, and today we understand each other perfectly. Momo. It's like those people who have a very strong relationship with their dogs, and if the dogs do something, those people already understand what it means. Izuku. Something similar, only it's not a dog but a bird. Sigh. And what are you trying to say? Izuku. Looks like he saw something suspicious. The bird began to fly away from the place, being seen by Izuku, who understood what his bird meant. Izuku. Girls, there's something approaching us. And just as Izuku said, a few houses in front of them generated a cloud of dust from which a Nomu came out, but it was not just any Nomu, but the same one they saw for the first time in the first attack of the USJ villains. Izuku. Girls, I want all the civilians to be safe, I'll take care of this. Momo. Are you sure? Remember that Nomu was used to fight All Might. I know, but unlike that idiot, my hits are harder and they hurt more than you can imagine. Izuku began to walk towards the Nomu, who looked at him, while the girls began to evacuate all the people. Izuku. Let's start dancing chicken. The Nomu just screamed to go against Izuku, who dodged it as if it were nothing, making a cut on his throat with the weapon he had under his arm. Izuku. I guess you didn't expect that. The Nomu turned around trying to hit Izuku, who dodged it to hit him with a blow that pushed him away, followed by going against the Nomu, starting to give him a shower of blows, which the Nomu did not counterattack, apart from using his fire, to be able to increase the power of the damage towards the Nomu, who ended up moving away, so that with a kick, he would lift him into the air, and with a jump he would hit him with a mallet, leaving him on the ground, but it did not end, since the boy, when he landed on him, he gave him a blow that shook the earth so that the boy could see how the Nomu began to regenerate, but before Izuku could give him another blow, he ended up receiving a blow from the Nomu, sending him flying against a building. Izuku. I'll have to go a little rougher. The boy jumped to where the Nomu was to kick his leg, causing him to kneel, followed by a punch to the jaw, lifting him into the air so that Izuku could grow his hand using fire, making a kind of giant claw, hitting the Nomu full on, leaving him against the floor so that he touched the floor, causing two pillars of earth to crush the Nomu, leaving him no escape that Izuku took advantage of to go against them to give him a blow that pierced his stomach, apart from sending him flying, causing him to crash into a wall. Before Izuku did anything, the Nomu went straight to him, giving him a punch in the face, followed by a kick sending him towards a building. Izuku. What happened? Nomus are not supposed to think, and that kick was to a blind spot that I overlooked. Nomu. Death. Izuku. I see, he's starting to use what he has for a brain or a little. The Nomu went straight at Izuku, who, in response, caused lightning to come out of his body to make him dodge the Nomu and kick him, making him look up, followed by a punch that sank him into the ground so that the Nomu would grab him by the leg and throw him away. Izuku. Girls, I want you to call for some support, this will be a little more difficult than I thought. The boy flew away so that Tsai would go to look for support and Momo to where Izuku was while he was hitting the Nomu in the air, not letting him touch the ground until the part where the Nomu hit Izuku, causing him to fall to the ground, but luckily it was in a place where there was no one, so he looked at the Nomu, who was preparing to attack. Izuku. Let's test how well you can withstand my blows. Izuku went against the Nomu, who did the same, so that they ended up colliding fists, followed by another fist clash, so that they would continue that way, but the Nomu began to back away from Izuku's blows that were increasing their strength, while he managed to make fire come out of his elbows, increasing the force when hitting, doing more damage to the Nomu, until he managed to see an opening that he took advantage of to hit the Nomu in the chest, causing a huge burn apart from leaving the mark of his fist, while he was sent flying against some rocks, causing him to end up on the floor, but he got up. Nomu. Death. Izuku. Is the only thing you know how to say death. Nomu. Death. Izuku. With that I prove that yes. The boy jumped in front of the Nomu, silencing him with a blow, sending him flying, causing him to end up crashing into more rocks, but when Izuku was going to give him another blow, the Nomu grabbed him by the leg to lift him into the air and crash him into the ground several times until he sent the green-haired boy flying, but before the boy could crash into anything, the Nomu was already above him, hitting Izuku in the face, sinking him into the ground, but before he could land another blow, he suffered a large cut on his chest, causing him to move away. Izuku. Divine Oz. The boy went against the Nomu to make his blows begin to be stronger, apart from being more reinforced by using the earth in his body to hit the Nomu in the face, moving it away from the place, and with a jump he gave him another one, raising it in the air, but the Nomu was not far behind, since he kicked him, sending the green-haired boy back. Izuku made some spheres of fire that he threw at the Nomu, followed by sending air currents, increasing the attack that collided with the Nomu, which ended up flying against some rocks remaining among the rubble. Izuku. This is getting worse every time. Momo. Izuku, are you okay? The boy turned his head, seeing the brunette who was coming straight to the place. Izuku. Momo, don't come any closer, it's very dangerous. At one point the Nomu was already behind Izuku, giving him a blow that buried him in the ground so that he began to hit him repeatedly, not allowing the green-haired man to defend himself until at one point Izuku managed to kick him away so that from his hands a huge amount of water was made that he threw at the Nomu, hitting him full on while sending him flying, causing him to end up between the rock so that the green-haired man would collide their two hands, causing two pillars of earth to keep the Nomu imprisoned. Izuku. Momo, get out of here, it's very dangerous, this Nomu is not like before, now he can think a little more, he is more dangerous than you imagine. Momo. I don't care, I came to help you, that's what this job is about, and the professionals don't take long to come. At one point the pillars of earth broke while the Nomu was already behind Momo, causing the girl to slowly turn around, seeing that the Nomu was about to hit her. But Izuku took her by the arm, throwing her to the other side, so that the Nomu ended up taking Izuku's face to begin dragging him along the floor, making a line of destruction until he left him against a huge stone to begin giving him consecutive blows, not letting Izuku get out of those attacks while his body, while being massacred by the Nomu, was increasingly sinking against the huge stone, making him think that if he did not do something soon, he would die until the Nomu moved away from him a little by a cannonball, looking to one side seeing Momo with a cannon. Izuku. Momo, run. The Nomu began to walk towards her, while Izuku just watched as the Nomu approached little by little. Izuku. If I don't do something soon, he'll kill her. Suddenly he remembered all the times he went to see his mother at the hospital feeling helpless for not being able to do anything, also all the times he did nothing when everyone teased him for being quirkless, and when his classmates beat him up to send him to Tartarus. Izuku. No, I won't let that happen again. The boy came out of the huge stone so that the Nomu was about to hit Momo, but was sent flying by a blow from Izuku, who went against the Nomu, showing that a huge amount of fire was coming out of his body without stopping at any time. When he got to the front of the Nomu he hit him a blow that left him on the floor, but he did not stop at that part since he began to rain down blows on the Nomu, which could only receive the enormous amount of blows that the boy gave him without stopping at any time, to the point that the floor began to melt from Izuku's fire, and just arrived the heroes who watched as the green-haired man massacres the Nomu with blows without letting him have the chance to regenerate at any time or have the opportunity to defend himself until the boy raised his hands to raise them in his enzyme and gave one more blow to the Nomu, making a pillar of fire that went towards the sky. When everyone approached they saw that there was no trace of the Nomu while Izuku was standing. Izuku. This is over. He said this as he fell to the ground, falling into unconsciousness, and the fire coming out of his body stopped coming out and began to turn into smoke that left the place, leaving only Izuku's body. Chapter 11. After they had distributed the equipment for surveillance, Izuku's group ended up facing the first Nomu, with Izuku being the one who defeated him, who was unconscious in a huge crater that he himself made, apart from the fact that he couldn't enter because of the heat of the place, so Endeavor had to go to take Izuku to the hospital. The confrontation between the Nomu and Izuku was made known to his companions, some of whom were worried about the green-haired man who was in the hospital, while Izuku was waking up to sit on his bed. Izuku. What the hell happened? In the moment all his memories of his confrontation against the Nomu came back, causing him to have a slight headache. Izuku. True, I forgot that happened. Endeavor finally entered through the door and saw the green-haired man sitting on his bed, noticing that he held his head at what happened a few hours ago. Endeavor. You seem to be feeling better than you were a few hours ago, boy. Izuku. Of course, it's better to be like this instead of being inside a totally burning crater and only one hero can enter, but well, I know you didn't come to see my physical condition or anything like that, tell me what's wrong. Endeavor. Endeavor. Well, boy, I'm not very good at this, but I want to apologize for what happened while ago. Izuku. No need to apologize, Endeavor, I forgive you. Endeavor. Wait, what? I didn't even finish speaking. Izuku. No, you didn't finish talking, but I know what you want to say is about why you torture me together with Todoroki. Your son told me everything, so I know very well that with the Ray issue, and I understand it, even if it doesn't seem like it, so I forgive you. Endeavor. Thank you very much, Izuku, and it seems to me or you have to go to classes. Izuku. The truth is that if I have to go, that damn Nomu hits very hard. The boy got up to get dressed and leave the place to walk directly to his classroom, entering it before the eyes of everyone who were surprised to see Izuku standing again, and knowing what happened in his confrontation against the Nomu, Izuku went directly to his seat where he sat down to be calm. Momo. It seems you are better than before. Izuku. Obviously I'm going to be better than before, I'm not someone that easy to beat. Izawa. Well, if someone would be so kind as to give all the things we've done so far to Izuku. Uraraka was about to get up to go directly to where Izuku was, but unfortunately for her, Momo, being next to Izuku, was already talking to him about that day's task. Uraraka. This isn't fair. Lita. What are you talking about? Uraraka. I should be the one next to Izuku, not her. I should be the one giving today's things to Izuku, not her. Lita. Don't worry, there will come a time when we can talk to Izuku and we will have him among us again. The brunette was just angry while Momo was explaining things to Izuku, who was only paying attention until classes ended, so Izuku went straight to the gym to start training, although he noticed that someone was following him, and it was the brunette. Izuku? Is something wrong, Momo? Momo? Just remember that you have to help me train or I'll end up following your training. Izuku? True, I don't want to end up being blamed for the death of a classmate. Momo? By the way, thank you. Izuku? What are you talking about now? Momo? It's not obvious, when that Nomu wanted to attack me you stepped in and saved me. Izuku? It wasn't much, it's something that classmates always do. The boy just went to the gym seeing the place that had some improvements. Izuku? At least Nezu is still doing what he was asked. The two began to train so that after a while more people arrived which were class A and B who trained near Izuku. Momo? It's the first time I see everyone training and more so because Mineta and Kaminari are there. Izuku? They are only here because I am in this place, they want to get my forgiveness at all costs, they don't care about anything else at the moment, but now you have to be focused on your training. The two continued with their thing until Nezu, Aizawa, All Might, Endeavor and a man who was carrying an old man in a wheelchair entered through the gym door, causing everyone to look at this. The group went to where Izuku was, causing him to look at them. Izuku? Now, what the hell is going on? Nezu? It's just that this gentleman has something to tell you. Izuku looked at the old man who was in a wheelchair. Old man. Hello young man, nice to see you. I'm Kaku, I'm here because I found out that Yujiro Hanma's disciple is here. Izuku. Get straight to the point old man, I'm not in a good mood. Kaku. Vera I want to fight you in a fight without quirks you know. Izuku. Then in that case you see we're going to fight. The two of them went to a part, although Kaku was taken by the man to a part where they were to fight. Lita. Are those two really going to fight? The man left Kaku in the center of the battle arena to get up from his wheelchair while he took off his shirt. Man. Mr. Kaku is 143 years old. Mina. He's older than he looks. Bakugo. What is your quirk? Man. Mr. Kaku does not have a quirk, he is quirkless, although he has been granted the title of Emperor of the Sea. They saw how Kaku took his wheelchair to throw it at Izuku who then dodged the chair to see Kaku. Hiroshima. So that old man is finished against Izuku. Kaku walked towards Izuku so that he ended up receiving a blow, moving him away, followed by kicking him, raising him in the air, but when he fell to the ground he landed on his feet. Izuku. I'm gonna like this, old man. Kaku. Then I want to see how long you can endure, make it worthy of being named Yujiro Hanma's disciple. Izuku looked at him to try to hit him, Kaku jumped back and dodged it, leaving his glasses on Izuku's arm, surprising everyone, so that the boy threw the glasses at Kaku, who ended up receiving a kick from Izuku, sending him back. When he tried to get up, he ended up receiving a hit from Izuku, but he got up without any problems to see Izuku starting to walk towards him. Kaku. It's my turn. When he was going to hit Izuku, he ended up hitting him in the face, moving him away a little, so that he was in front of him, kicking him in the face, causing him to move further away from the place. Jiru. Izuku is going too far with him. Man. Wait, there's more time left before the fight ends. Kaku got up to start walking towards Izuku to hit him, but Izuku dodged him, moving away from him. Kaku. What's wrong? Don't tell me you're afraid of an old man. Kaku began to walk towards Izuku, who, with each step, moved away from him until he ended up against the wall, surprising some that Izuku now ended up against the wall. Kaku. Let's fight. The old man was going to hit him with a punch that Izuku ended up dodging, and everyone saw how when he hit the wall he ended up cracking it, surprising everyone with what the old man had just done. Bakugo. Didn't you say he didn't have a quirk? Man. And that's right, Mr. Kaku didn't have a quirk. Mina. Then he has great strength to do that. Man. In fact, Mr. Kaku doesn't even have enough strength to hold a simple chopsticks. Yujiro. Then how did he do that? Man. I understand that you are the one who does martial arts. Yujiro. Yes. Man. Well then I inform you that you should know about Mr. Kaku, he is the martial artist with the greatest logic in all of history, he is the ultimate logic that is fighting against a possible successor of the ultimate force. That surprised everyone to see how Kaku approached Izuku once again to give Izuku a blow that he blocked himself, but in doing so, he ended up flying, so that he landed looking at Kaku who only had a smile. Izuku. I better finish you as soon as possible, but I guess what you just did was Shiori. Kaku. You already realized it just by looking at it. Izuku. And you thought it was so easy to hide it from me. Kaku. Let's see if you can take another hit. He approached him to hit him, but before he could reach him, Izuku got there and hit him, causing him to spin through the air, so that he ended up kicking Izuku, sending him against the wall. Looking at Kaku, who was just walking, so Izuku went against him, giving him a punch that sent him against the wall, making some dust, which when he left Kaku was seen standing with some blood coming out of his nose. Kaku? It's one of the few times they've managed to draw blood from me. Izuku? And now I know how to win. Kaku? Then let's try it. Kaku went against Izuku, who kicked him, causing him to crash into the wall, but before Kaku could do anything, Izuku got ahead of him to hit him, causing him to continue against the wall, so that he would grab him by the leg and start slamming him against the wall, so that Kaku ended up kicking Izuku in the face, causing him to let go, followed by him being sent flying, so that when Izuku reached the wall, he used it to propel himself against Kaku, who then prepared for the boy to hit him in the face, and Kaku a kick in Izuku's face, causing him to be sent flying against the wall each one. Izuku? It seems I'll have to try harder than usual. Kaku was going against Izuku just like him, so that they would come against each other, so that Kaku would start to give him some blows just like Izuku, although this one did not come out so well, the green-haired one, since Kaku's blows were increasingly stronger, doing more and more damage to Izuku, who only hardened Kaku's blows as much as he could, but something that everyone noticed was that Izuku sent Kaku back, not leaving him more and more space until he left him against the wall, so that he ended up crashing against the wall, ending up bouncing off it so that he would bounce off the wall, again causing Kaku to start to bleed more until the old man managed to send him flying with one blow. Izuku? You sure hit hard, old man. Kaku? I say the same thing, only that your blows were to your intelligence since you discovered my weakness, Shiori's weakness. Izawa? What are you talking about? Nezu? Don't look at me because I don't even know what you're talking about. Everyone saw the man who was calm as he looked at the two fighters who had a smile on their faces, surprising everyone because that smile was from a person who found fun in a fight. Nezu? Can you explain to us what you are talking about? Man? Yes, Shiori is a very strong form of fighting since it tries to make everyone who handles this almost invincible, since they can receive many hits from the enemy without feeling any damage or getting hurt, but it has a weakness which I can't say, but that boy Izuku solved it, but it's amazing. All Might. What's amazing? Man. That Izuku can withstand so many hits since Shiori has the ability to store the supposed damage he would have to receive and changes it into an attack, is why Mr. Kaku can do such a thing as breaking that wall. That surprised everyone. While in the fight, Kaku was hitting Izuku, who hardened Kaku's blows, who did not come out so unscathed since he also received some blows from Izuku, some blood coming out until in a blow they ended up moving away so that they could see each other. Kaku? I have to admit, you are a very resilient boy. Izuku? Same here, old man. Not everyone can withstand Yujiro Hanma's blows or manage to fight him and stay in one piece, although that trick of your death wasn't very honorable, if you can call it that way, although now you can't do that trick with me. Kaku? I know, but you have to admit that it was a good strategy, but if Yujiro hit me that way I didn't know if I would have been able to stay standing. Izuku? Whatever, I'll finish you off once and for all. Kaku? Not if I do it first. Kaku went against Izuku as well as this one who were preparing to give the last blow, but when the two arrived they hit each other at the same time, so that they flew against the wall, so that they remained standing against each other, staring at each other, so that they put on a smile, but at one point when they took a step, there were no problems to continue fighting, but when they took a second step, Izuku fell unconscious to the floor, surprising everyone by how that old man defeated Izuku, while all of them in a hand-to-hand fight could not do anything to the green-haired man. Kaku? Someone can take care of the boy. A while passed in which everyone looked at the green-haired man who was on the floor until he began to open his eyes, finding the sight of the brunette being the first thing he managed to see. Izuku? What happened? Momo? Well. Flashback. When Kaku said those words everyone approached Izuku, being Uraraka who wanted to have the green-haired man between her legs, or All Might who wanted to have Izuku in her arms, as if he were her son. Uraraka. I have to have Izuku, he needs me right now. All Might. Although I being his father have to take care of him. Everyone was talking but without realizing it, Momo approached him to put her head on her lap and began to caress her head. A few minutes passed until everyone noticed this. Uraraka. What are you doing? Momo. I'll take care of him, but it's better if we wait until he wakes up. End of flashback. Izuku. So I lost that old man. Kaku. I'm afraid so. Everyone made a way for Kaku who only looked at Izuku who stood up looking at him face to face. Izuku. I was more than satisfied with the fight. The boy bowed showing his respect to Kaku who stood up only to start shaking from the effort to make him bow in the same way to Izuku. Kaku. You also have my respect, you are one of the few that makes me bleed and lasts that way against me or my blows. The old man sat back down in his chair so they could start leaving the place. Kaku? I hope to face you another day, Izuku Midoriya. Izuku could only smile at this as he watched Kaku leave the place in front of everyone's eyes. Momo. Now what do we do? Izuku. I'm going to rest a little more, that old man's blows really hurt me. The boy left the place being watched by everyone. Chapter 12. After Izuku finished facing Kaku losing to him, everyone surprised that old man without a quirk beat Izuku. At this moment Izuku was calm in his room lying on his bed, thinking about that fight he had yesterday, remembering every blow that Kaku gave him, and his way of fighting being one that he could never see even in Garou or Yujiro. The boy got up to go directly to classes where his classmates were, but he ignored them to sit in his usual seat to begin his routine of looking out the window. Momo. Looks like someone is feeling better. Izuku. Obviously I'm going to be better than before. Momo. After all, a while ago you were getting beaten up by that old man, and now you're calmer because you're not being hit. Izuku. I would like to see one of you without using your quirks and fight against him for at least 10 minutes, although I think you will last less than 5 minutes. Momo. Don't be so mean to us, I don't think we'll last that long. Izuku. Although it may not seem like it, they would last so little after all if they do not withstand my blows. At that moment Izawa entered, starting the class naturally, while everyone was doing their thing until Izuku noticed his bird flying, so he opened the window when he noticed that his bird had something. Izawa. Midoriya, what are you doing? The bird came through the window to sit on Izuku's shoulder, holding a piece of paper in his hand that Izuku took without problems, so he could begin reading the letter. Izawa. Midoriya, what do you think you're doing with that bird? Izuku. It's my pet, he just brought me something. The boy was reading the face while everyone was looking at the bird that was just calm on its owner's shoulders. The Uraka. She's very cute. The Uraka wanted to touch it, but immediately the bird gave a small roar as a warning that if she dared to get any closer, it would end up attacking her. Izawa. Midoriya, get that bird out of here, it's dangerous. Izuku. It's just that Falcon doesn't like being touched by new people, he's easily distrustful. When the boy finished reading the letter, he only kept it so that he could write on a piece of paper that he gave to his bird, which left the place so that Izuku could close the window. Todoroki. What happened? Izuku. Nothing special, it's just a notice that I have to go home, there is a matter that I will have to talk to my father in particular. When he said father, everyone was surprised to know that the boy had one since he never talked about his father, it was only known that he lived with his mother at home. Classes went on normally until they had to leave the place because classes ended, so Izuku went to where his motorcycle was, seeing that Mei and Melissa were doing things to his car. Izuku. I'm leaving for a few hours and I found out that my car is being modified. Mei. I just can't wait to improve your car. Izuku. Whatever. The boy got on his motorcycle to leave the place. He drove for a while until he reached a mountain where he was calm, until he reached the top of it passing through many trees, until he saw a house which looked like one from ancient times, apart from being very big, so he entered, but when he entered it was the opposite since it had high technology. He went directly to where the living room was, finding his father. Ryu. Hello, Naruto. Naruto. I know you call me through Falcon, wouldn't it be easier to send me a message through your phone? Ryu. Well, as I say, it seems that a millionaire family, so to speak, invited us to a gala party, and since I have to go with my family, I thought of you. Izuku. Okay, I'll go, but is Yujiro there by any chance? Ryu. No, why are you looking for him? Izuku. I just want to ask you a question about a guy named Kaku and an ability called Shiori. Ryu. So that old man came to confront you directly? Izuku. Do you know him? Ryu. Obviously yes, once I had to protect him. At first I thought he was just a simple old man, but when I saw him fight against Yujiro, he left me more than amazed, and I learned a little more about Shiori. It took him 20 years to be able to do Shiori. Izuku. Then there's nothing else you can tell me, right? Ryu. I'm afraid I have no choice, but son, I think there is someone you might be interested in meeting. Izuku. Like, someone I'm interested in meeting? Ryu. He'll see you in some time, but if he asks you a question like where does the bird go? Say to the sky or can humans defeat God? Then say yes as long as it's with determination. Izuku. Is he someone very strong? Ryu. Not so much, but his quirk is more than amazing, and there are some people who are amazing and are interested in meeting you. Izuku. Okay, then in a few days I'll go to that weird party. The boy left the house to return to the UA. He was there for a while until he arrived at the UA, entering as if nothing had happened since no one was getting in his way. Nezu. Young Izuku, where did you go? Izuku. I needed answers, nothing more than that. Nezu. I hope you had them. Izuku. Yes, I'm afraid, although not enough, I left with more questions than answers. The boy went straight to his bedroom where he began to rest for a while waiting for something new to happen, but nothing happened until they touched his body, so he would open it and see that it was Mei and Melissa. Izuku. Is something wrong, girls? Mei. Nothing, it's just that we've already finished with your car and made the same improvements to it as we did to your motorcycle. Izuku. Thank you very much, girls, I'll see you tomorrow, I have to rest a little. The girls said goodbye so Izuku could go to sleep until the next day, getting up and leaving to train early since it was Saturday. The boy arrived at the gym to be in the middle of the place. A few hours passed while the others woke up, although in Momo's room, the brunette heard a knock on her door, so she went to open the door seeing Mei and Melissa. Momo. Is something wrong, girls? Melissa. Do you want to see something amazing? Momo. Okay. The girls went inside to start seeing what was going on as the girls pulled out a computer. Mei. We managed to get into the academy's cameras so we can see everything that happens at the UA. Melissa. Even though we know it's a very bad thing, we just want to know what's happening everywhere. The girls left at a specific time when the brunette noticed a green hair. Momo. Look. The girls looked at the cameras noticing Izuku walking to the gym, although the most important thing was that it was 5 in the morning. Momo. Some parts of this building have cameras, look when Izuku left. The girls did as requested so they could begin to see how the boy had left his room to go directly to training, looking everywhere. Mei. Apparently I didn't eat breakfast. Melissa. How about we go to Izuku's place and bring him breakfast? Momo. That's a good idea. The girls went to the dining room where they saw the rest of class 2A. Jiru. Hey girls, today we're going to the mall to hang out, do you want to eat? Momo. Yes, let's go. They saw how they made breakfast for them apart from one more person making this catch their attention, and more when they left, so they began to follow them seeing how they went to the gym. Haminari. They want to train already, it's very early. Hiroshima. But that's the attitude. Everyone went inside to see how the girls went to a part where they saw the green-haired boy who was training, surprising everyone. Mina. What are you doing here? Shoji. He's been training since early. They saw how the boy was making slow movements, noticing a face of total concentration on something that they didn't know how much it was. Lita. It seems like he's really training in a very strange way. Bakugo. What does that nerd matter, he can't do anything with that move. Yujiro stared, drawing the attention of someone until he ended up with a face that was only surprised. Toru. What's wrong, Yujiro? Yujiro. He's doing a martial art, I've never seen anything like it, it's like he's creating it, it has some flaws, but he's fixing those mistakes. Everyone looked at this, not being very surprised until the boy hit the wall, which for them would be something very light, but when he touched the wall he ended up breaking it, surprising everyone. Izuku. What do you want now? Melissa. We just brought you breakfast. Izuku. I'm not hungry and I already had breakfast. Mei. Don't try to lie to us, we know you didn't have breakfast. Izuku. I'm not going to have breakfast anyway, I have to train. Momo. Come on, a little food isn't going to hurt you. They saw that near the boy there were some wooden boards, 2 of which were hanging one after the other. Izuku hits the first board, failing to move it. Izuku. I still have a long way to go. The boy looked at the wood very carefully until he was tied by a rope and saw that it was Momo. Momo. Let's have breakfast. They placed a breakfast in front of Izuku who looked at this. Izuku. You know I'm not hungry, and how am I going to have breakfast since I'm tied up? The boy ended up having the food put in his mouth, causing him to start eating. Izuku. Well, I didn't expect that. The girls had a smile on their faces as they began to eat, watched by the rest of the class. Izuku. Did you lose something? Mina. It's not that we were impressed to see the girls who brought you breakfast. Melissa. Is it wrong to care about someone else? Mina. No, it's not bad, it just surprised us a little. The girls had a smile so they continued with breakfast until they finished so the girls could leave the place and Izuku alone left the gym. Lita. Where are you going? Izuku. I need to do some things in private, so leave me alone. The boy left the place calmly, he was walking without noticing that someone was following him until he came to a part where there was a lake and in the middle of it a pillar of a stone. The boy from a height arrived above the rock so that it began to move with great tranquility, as if nothing was happening around him until with one movement he made fire come out of one of its parts, followed by water coming out of another part. Izuku. I finally did it. The boy continued with those movements while making his elements pass through all parts of his body at the same time, revealing his 5 elements at the same time. Izuku. Can you tell me what you're doing watching me, Melissa? Melissa. I was just curious about what you were doing, so I came to see it. Izuku. Then that's it, I'm done anyway. The boy came down to stand in front of her. Izuku. Let's walk to the academy before something dangerous comes. Melissa. What do you mean, something dangerous? Izuku. There are animals around, but they're not coming close at the moment. Saying that, the blonde approached Izuku so they could walk to UA and enter the bedrooms. Momo. Hey Izuku, do you want to eat? Izuku. Where to? Momo. We're going to the mall and we have some important shopping to do. Izuku. No thanks, I have some very important things to do too. Hiroshima. Come on Izu bro, it's something very important. Izuku. I don't care, now if you let me I have to see some things. The boy went to take a shower and later went to his room where he got dressed to leave the UA. The boy was walking towards the exit. Nezu. What is Izuku doing? Izuku. I have to do some shopping, nothing important. The boy left to start walking through the city, although he ignored the looks that people gave him, since they immediately recognized a young man who walked among them, until he entered a place where he walked up to where a person was. Man. Do you need something young man? Izuku. Yes, I would like a suit. Man. How do you want it? Izuku. Of course, it's partly for business and partly for a gala party. Man. Let me see you, come here please. The green-haired boy went to a part where he began to dress in a suit so that they could make sure of Izuku's size and everything, while outside not far away Class 2 was walking with some bags doing some shopping until he was passing by a store, but one noticed something. Mina. Guys come on, it's Izuku. Everyone came closer so they could see through the window how the green-haired man was in a test suit. Man. How about that, young man? Izuku. Sounds good to me. Man. Is it for night or day? Izuku. At night. Man. Should I send him somewhere or will he come for him? Izuku. I already left you the address where to send it. Man. Okay. The class was surprised to see how their partner was there trying on some suits until the boy was going to the door to leave the place. When he left he completely ignored the class so that the green-haired boy could go directly to the UA. Shoji. We have to know what he's doing here. They all came in to see the same man. Man. Can I help you with something? Todoroki. Yeah, did the boy who just left ask for something special or what did he do here? Man. I'm afraid I can't give you any information about my clients, otherwise if they want something I'll ask them to leave. The class left so they could go to the UA calmly, although they saw the green-haired boy in the living room watching a horror movie, as if it were nothing. Momo. Hello Izuku. Izuku. Hello. Hiroshima. Hey Izu bro, were you by any chance at a store today? Izuku. Don't pretend, I'll go in front of everyone. Momo. One thing Izuku, my family is going to have a gala party and they're letting me invite everyone in the class. Do you want to eat? Izuku. No need to say it. The boy went to his room to watch the movie in peace. Todoroki. It seems like he doesn't mind going to the party. Everyone was a little sad while the green-haired man was just calmly watching the movie until he heard a knock on his door. Izuku. What does one have to do to watch a horror movie in peace? The boy got up to go to the door, seeing Melissa. Izuku. Is something wrong? Melissa. I just wanted to know if you even care a little about the party. Izuku. You don't need to tell me, I know very well that very important people are going to attend the party and they have to go with their families, that's why I know what's going to happen. Melissa. So your family is going? Izuku. Yeah, that's why I don't mind being told anything about that party since I know. Melissa. Okay, I'll stop bothering you. Before the boy could say anything, the blonde had already left the place, so he closed the door to be more calm watching the movie, while the blonde was just happy to know that the green-haired man was going to go. Chapter 13. After Izuku had trained apart from talking to his father, so that he would end up knowing about the approaching party, so that Izuku would go ask for an outfit for the party. The days passed and Izuku did not stop being bothered by Uraraka and Lita, but the boy ignored them as if it were not a problem, so that the big day would arrive in which everyone was at UA, since it was still daytime, so he had to wait until it was nighttime to start the party, although the entire class was in the room with Class B. Monoma. Thank goodness the day has come, we will show how good we are at a party in Class B. Kendo. You better shut up Monoma before you ruin everything, at least they invited us. Hiroshima. It's bad that Izu bro can't eat. Melissa during all that time did not tell them anything about Izuku who was going to be invited through his family. Haminari. Well, we can't do anything. Out of nowhere there was a knock on the door, causing them to go to the door and open it, seeing that it was the man from the store a few days ago. Man. This is the place where Mr. Izuku. Hiroshima. Yes, why is that? The man walked a little so they could notice that Izuku was present so that the boy could take the package so that the same boy could give the man money and leave like Izuku. Kendo. What did they give him? Jiru. It's a suit from what I understand. Everyone looked at this with curiosity until night came and everyone was already in their suits to wait outside, but they noticed how some limousines came which they took to go to Momo's house, seeing the mansion so they could enter, and a black-haired woman approached. Momo, hello mom. Momo's mom. Hello daughter. Momo. Friends, let me introduce you to my mother, Elizabeth and mom, they are class A and class B. Elizabeth. Okay daughter, you can take them to that room where they will eat and if they want to dance. The boys noticed another room that had some people like Endeavor who was with Ray and his brothers. Todoroki. Excuse me, but what is that other room for? Elizabeth. That room is for families of great degrees such as heroes, businessmen, among other things, who are with the families to talk about very important things among us. Monoma. Surely he doesn't want to have the great class B in that place or me, the great Monoma. Elizabeth. Sure, Momo isn't ready yet. Melissa. Out of shame my dad sent me to you, I'm not ready to get into that part either. They only entered to see that they were only separated by a wall which had a large door through which they could see the adults who were talking in the place. Something they noticed was that if a family arrived, it was always announced by a butler who said item. Bakugo. We should be in that part. Lita. You're right, even my family is in that part. Monoma. They applaud for every family that arrives apart from those who have not yet eaten. Haminari. Someone noticed that there are 3 free seats. Todoroki. One of those is next to Elizabeth. Momo. It seems that my father is not coming today, the same thing always happens, he is very busy. Mineta. So that means there's only one family missing. Lita. Then we have to stand up and applaud the next family to show that we can be among them. Everyone agreed to watch for the next family. Butler. The last family arrived, Mr. Ryu Infernicus with his children. Mina. Your son must be someone hexy. Jiru. Oh, beautiful. Yui. They will only be able to check it when I enter. Butler. Izuku Midoriya Infernicus. Saying that, everyone except Melissa froze as the two made an appearance wearing suits that were completely black tuxedos, even the shirt was black with a red tie in Izuku's case, but Ryu's was black. The two walked, although Izuku had a bored look with seriousness, while he had his eyes closed so they could sit in the 2 free seats that were near Elizabeth. Monoma. How could that bastard sit on that part? Elizabeth. It's nice to see you again Ryu, it seems that you brought your son and he is just as you said, someone who can be in this part. Ryu. Yes, I always speak the truth and if I say that my son can be in this part it is because he can be. Davi. The way he dresses says it all. Izuku. Sometimes Mr. Davi, when the one who suffers the most becomes the most mature and the one who learns the most to get back up, although some are not saved and fall to the ground, showing that they need a little help. Endeavor. Then you are more than ready to talk to us. Izuku. I know it's none of my business or anything, although I apologize if it's offensive, but I noticed there's an empty seat. Who's missing? Because I understand that we're the last to arrive. Elizabeth. He is my husband, but he is involved in very important matters, but I represent him. Izuku. Then thank you for saying that, Monsieur Rozu. Elizabeth. He's more than polite when he really needs to be, Ryu. Ryu. I taught him everything I know. Elizabeth. It was not expected of you Ryu-san. Kendo. Hey Momo, what is his relationship with your family? Momo. Well as far as I know, Ryu had to be my mother's protector once because my father asked him to, but well it turned out that he comes from a very important family. Bakugo. And Deku just happens to be that guy's son. Haminari. Wait, that's the guy who visited Izuku in Tartarus for sure. Everyone looked at the man as that family began to eat showing elegance while talking as they talked a lot with Izuku's family, although the boy spoke little until a point where some music was heard. Elizabeth. Apparently kids can dance now. The boys were not encouraged by this because they understood that if they went to the place to dance, they had to do it in the way the music was playing, and they did not know how to dance that song at all. Mina. Todoroki, you don't know how to dance this? Todoroki. I'm afraid not. Haminari. And you Lita? Lita. Neither. Jiru. Wait Momo, you know how to dance. Momo. Yes, I know, but I need someone who knows how to follow my steps. Monoma. I can dance this. Kendo. Wait, do you know? Monoma. No. That discouraged everyone. Monoma. But I can learn as if nothing since this is more than very easy for me, it doesn't matter if it will be my first time learning. Izuku. If you'll excuse me, I'd like to go to the dance. Elizabeth. If Izuku eats, I'd like to see what you do. The green-haired boy stood up, being noticed by the other table who looked at this, as the boy walked up to where they were, making them a little nervous. Mina. He's coming this way. Kendo. Why? Momo. It seems that he is going to invite one of us to dance. Saying that, the girls began to think about which one of them he was going to ask to dance, making them more than nervous, although Uraraka was more than confident that he was going to invite her. When the green-haired man walked to that table, he made the girls look at him, although Uraraka had already prepared to say yes, although she noticed how he passed by, making her look at Izuku as the boy walked to the edge of the table to read a little. "Izuku, can you grant me this peace, young lady, and grant me this enormous favor?" He said this while Momo looked at this in surprise, so she could only take Izuku's hand from her. "Momo. Yes, it will be a pleasure, Izuku." The two of them got up to go to the dance section to start dancing, and everyone noticed this, although the adults saw how the others did not go on to dance. "Ray. How about we go?" "Endeavor. It's okay, Ray." The two adults began to dance like the rest of the adults with their respective partners, who began to dance next to the two young men who were calm looking at each other, although Momo sometimes looked away when she saw the bloodshot eyes of the boy who was calm as if nothing was happening around him. They were like that until they finished their part of the dance, taking a small break. "Izuku. If you allow me, Miss Elizabeth, I'm going to get some fresh air in your yard." "Elizabeth. If Izuku eats, there's no problem." The boy went to the patio, staying outside the place, taking some fresh air, although now he would be bothered. "Uraraka. Hello, Izuku." "Izuku. I was calm, Uraraka, now what do you want?" "Uraraka. Nothing special, I just wanted you to teach me how to dance like that a little quickly so that the two of us can get together and dance a little." "Izuku. I'm afraid not, I just finished a dance and would like to rest for a while." "Uraraka. Come on, Deku, I just want us to dance a little." "Izuku. Look at Chaco right now, I was enjoying the tranquility, but you're starting to bother me. Besides, I don't want you to call me Deku, he never died when they sent him to Tartarus, when they turned their backs on him, when you were unfaithful to him." "Uraraka. So that's why you behaved that way." The girl began to cry to show how tears were coming out of her eyes. "Uraraka. So that's why, did you forget that we were the victims, we were the ones who saw the videos, and when we learned the truth we suffered a lot." "Izuku. But what about that time when they enjoyed hitting me when I was defenseless, that time they celebrated when they put me in Tartarus, you were even unfaithful to Deku before they saw the supposed evidence that I was the traitor." Maybe those words can work with Deku, but now you're seeing Shadow, not Deku, learn a little Ichako. "Uraraka. So you prefer that Sayu, Mayor Melissa, even that Momo girl since you danced with her?" "Izuku. If I talk to them or treat them well, it's because they didn't turn their backs on me, in fact they prevented you from ending up killing me. The reason I danced with Momo was because she knows how to dance, if she can keep up with me, and if you let me go back in maybe I'll be calmer inside." The boy came in to go to the adults' table since he was with his father among other people, but something he didn't notice was that Elizabeth saw and heard all of this. "Elizabeth. So all that happened." The woman had a smile on her face as the hours passed, and everyone at the party enjoyed themselves until it was time to leave, although Momo stayed with her mother until they went to sleep. "Elizabeth. By the way, daughter, if you want to have children with Izuku, that seems fine to me, after all, he is a strong, brave and quite good boy." The brunette left, leaving the younger brunette blushing at what her mother said about Izuku and her, that they could have each other, since they had possibilities, so that she could go to sleep peacefully, although with that in mind, while Izuku was with his father. "Ryu. Apparently Elizabeth really liked you." "Izuku. Apparently yes." "Ryu. We should visit him more often." "Izuku. Why?" "Ryu. I say if it seems okay to you, you can have a relationship with that girl, Momo would approve of it." "Izuku. I think we should focus on my things and you on yours." The boy got out of the limo to enter the UA. Chapter 14. After it was said about the party in which the two classes went to see the families apart from how they were separated from the families, so that they could notice how Izuku could be with those families apart from a dance, at this moment all of the UA they were calm so that they were in the room, but in that Izuku entered taking the glances of some of them. The boy only walked until he sat in his usual seat so that he could begin to look out the window being calm or what he could, since some people were not going to leave him alone. Bakugo. Damn Deku, how can you be with people more important than us but not me? Izuku. That's very easy to know, unlike you, I am prepared for things in that place, things that you are not. Lita. Explain, how is that possible? Izuku. To start, think of a way to go to a gala party when it comes to dressing, apart from that you have to take into account the things that can be talked about that are more important than you think or understood a word of what they said. Everyone looked at each other, showing that they didn't understand anything they said. Izuku. It's like I imagined, you weren't ready at all for something like that, or at least not all of you, since few of you were almost ready to be in that part of the place. Everyone thought about who the people who were almost ready to be in that part could be, but at that moment Momo entered who walked to sit down, but when she sat down, she looked at Izuku and ended up blushing, so he would look somewhere else. Flashback. Momo went to sleep to start being calm, but she moved all over her bed, making it clear that she couldn't sleep until there came a time when she could sleep at the end of it all. But her dreams didn't help her much since in her dreams, Izuku was present with her, always ending up kissing in different ways, in a bed when the two of them were hugging each other, on a park bench. In other things the same thing happened until she woke up seeing that it was already daylight, so she went down to breakfast. Elizabeth. Hello Momo, tell me, did you dream about Izuku? He said it with a mischievous look that Momo noticed, making her blush so she could only look away. Elizabeth. Then that's a yes. Momo. Well, it was your fault for what you said yesterday. End of flashback. The brunette didn't get to see much of the boy who was calm in his seat for him to blush, but obviously no one noticed until Izawa came in, who she had a serious look as always, although more bored than anything else. Izawa. As you know, last year they held the sports festival, but this year they will once again hold a sports festival for Class 2A, but it will be held after the first year sports festival a week later, so we are going to take advantage of the time. We will have to train with everything we can, and as you know, increase your abilities, so now we are going to train. Everyone agreed to leave the place in high spirits, although Izuku was calm as always, as long as they didn't bother him. Izawa. I want them to take their quirks to the maximum to surpass their limits. Everyone started celebrating, but Izuku was walking into the forest. Izawa. Where are you going, Midoriya? Izuku. If you don't mind, I have to train and I prefer to keep it coming, well no one sees the future movements that will destroy them, but obviously as long as they don't make me angry. Izawa. You have to bring at least 2 companions with you. Izuku. Okay Momo, Todoroki, are you coming? The two of them looked at him to walk towards where he was, followed by the 3 of them, walking to where they could be calm being in a part of the forest. Todoroki. Where are we going? Izuku. It's easy, a part where we can train calmly. At that moment they arrived at a cave which had several holes, so it was illuminated so they could train quietly, just so each one could settle in a part. Todoroki. Hey Izuku, you always knew how to increase your abilities, but I want to know, how can I increase mine? Izuku. You can only train with your quirk at the moment, like creating a weapon using your ice or something special. Todoroki just looked at her ice to start training, while Momo was in charge of training with her creation to withstand more energy expenditure to become stronger, while Izuku just looked at her hands, while he was thinking something that was noticed by the other 2 companions he had. Momo. Is something wrong, Izuku? Izuku. It's just that my quirk that deals with the elements, I think they have an evolution. Todoroki. What are you talking about? Izuku. I just want to try something, I ask you to get away from me a little. The two did as requested, so that Izuku began to form a large amount of fire in his right arm that was increasingly increasing, although he was compressing it trying to do something until the two saw how it began to get more and more heat, but it did not stop at some point until he hit the stones, making an explosion of heat that caused both Todoroki and Momo to move away so they could see how where Izuku attacked had melted parts being lava, but that was not the most surprising thing, but the most surprising thing was how Izuku's arm now had lava. Todoroki. What happened? Izuku. This is the evolution of an element, what surpasses fire is lava. Todoroki. What can surpass your other elements? Izuku. I don't know, but I'll try. The boy approached a part where there was a large amount of water just to touch it. Izuku closed his eyes as if he was concentrating on something until at one point the water began to freeze, causing there to now be a large amount of ice, surprising Momo and Todoroki. Momo. It's amazing. They saw how Izuku tried to concentrate, pretending that from his mother where she looked like stone, the stone began to come out so that it began to change, looking more and more like metal, until her entire body was metal, surprising them, so that she would return to normal and fall to the floor, kneeling, only for Momo and Todoroki to go to where he was. Todoroki. Are you okay? Izuku. Not much, this uses up a lot more energy than my elemental form. Momo. Elemental form? Izuku. Yes, a way in which I get to use my 5 elements allows me to have great power, and believe me, it is not very nice when I end up getting tired from using a lot of energy. Todoroki. Is that all you have? Izuku. No, I'm trying to use my other quirk. Todoroki. Another quirk? Izuku. Yes, All Might is not the only one who can give quirks, there is a way to give a quirk to someone else, and it was Yujiro who gave it to me. Momo. What is it about? Izuku. I have to hit, but once I hit the next one will be stronger, and the next one will be even stronger, that's why I try to use both quirks at the same time, I can barely use it with just one element, and it wastes some energy. Todoroki. Come on, I'm finishing training. The three of them left even though the boy was slowly beginning to recover enough to be able to stand up and walk on his own. Momo. Are you sure you can walk alone? Izuku. If I wasn't then I wouldn't be walking right now. Izuku walked leaving that serious face visible throughout class. Tua, who just watched as the boy had some damage to his body, such as wounds, as well as a little blood on his arm among other things. Momo. You are hurt. Izuku. It seems I went a bit overboard when using element evolution. Melissa. Hi Izuku, I'm here to help you, they left me in the medical part. Izuku. What are you talking about? Melissa. It's just that the UA left training groups as well as some people in the medical part to assist after training, they left me as the doctor for your group, so sit down. Izuku. But there's nothing wrong with me. Melissa. Come on, sit down. 11. The blonde sat the green-haired man down, so that with a cotton ball soaked in alcohol, she began to wipe Izuku's wounds, cleaning them while the boy just stayed still, listening to his doctor who was attentive to every part of her body. Once she finished, the boy no longer had any wounds so he got up. Izuku. Now that I'm okay I'm leaving, I have to take some things from my room. Momo. Hey Izuku, at least be a little thankful. The boy left without paying attention to what the brunette told him, who seemed upset. Melissa. It's okay Momo, it's normal for things like this to happen. Momo. No, come on, now he listened to us. The girls went to Izuku's room followed by Mei who let me in because she wanted to, the three girls were in front of Izuku's room door. Momo. Izuku, open it now. They received no response. Melissa. I think it would be best if we left it. Momo. No. The brunette opened the door so that the three of them could see the green-haired boy lying on the floor, making them worry, so they could put him to bed. Mei. What happened to him? Momo. It's probably a waste of energy. Melissa. What happened during training? Momo. I'm trying to make my elements take a kind of evolution from what he told me. Melissa. How many elements did it evolve? Momo. They were only 3 for a few moments, they were just seconds. Mei. Even if it was for a few seconds, it was too much energy even for Izuku, and he is someone very strong. The girls looked at Izuku as they began to pet his head, while inside the boy's mind, it was another case, since the boy was in a dark space. Izuku. Where am I? The boy looked everywhere not seeing anything until he managed to see a kind of copies of him, but these were a little different since they had their quirks activated. The first showed that he drew electricity from his body, the second drew water from his body, the third had skin that was noticeably hard being made of earth. The fourth had a slightly transparent body being made of air, and the fifth had a large amount of fire coming out of his body. Izuku. Who are they? Third Izuku. We are you. Izuku. Excuse me, is that me? Second Izuku. Yes, I know it's confusing, but if you let us explain. Izuku. Okay, talk. Fourth Izuku. You see, unlike normal quirks, those that are like you, that is, they get their quirk years later and end up having the ability to take their quirk further, like a kind of evolution, like you said a few moments ago, and you demonstrated with fire, water, and earth. Izuku. And now I think they're going to tell me how to take my quirk to limits that I didn't even know I had. Fifth Izuku. They will be like some kind of tests. Izuku. Tests. First Izuku. You see, you have to do tests that we ourselves will give you, but in summary, you will have to fight each one of us and defeat us to be able to use all your power, and in exchange, you will not have as much energy drain as it is now. Second Izuku. In short, you will be stronger than before now. Izuku. I understand that well, but well, you decide when and who I'm going to fight. Fifth Izuku. About when you are going to fight, you yourself will decide, but against which one of us, we ourselves will decide. Izuku. They do sound like me. Fourth Izuku. By the way, it would be better if you come to your mind more often so you can control your monster form. Izuku. What are you talking about? Third Izuku. We are practically you so we can know everything that happens inside your mind, so we know that your monster form is not complete, in your mind you will know how to control it better apart from throwing the elements at it. Izuku. Now I see why you know me well. First Izuku. You better go, you have things to do outside of your mind. And that they took Izuku out of his mind, so that he was waking up noticing what happened all night since it was morning, but the most important thing for the boy was to see his companions Momo, Mei and Melissa, who were asleep with a tray of food which had 4 plates being that 3 plates had remains of food, but the rest still had food. Izuku. So they stayed overnight. The boy got up to take the tray to the kitchen being early, but when he arrived he just washed things to start preparing breakfast, although he noticed Todoroki entering the place. Izuku. So you're awake. Todoroki. Yes, I have to be after all if I want to become stronger and face you I have to become stronger. Izuku. And you took his advice that you wake up early like me, you know that today we have classes, right? Todoroki. True, but changing the subject, the girls were in your room all night yesterday, they even brought you food, they looked a little worried. What happened yesterday? Izuku. Nothing important happened, maybe I fell asleep and they thought it was something serious, but the truth is it was nothing serious. Izuku's thoughts. Apparently they worried a lot about me, after all the last thing I remember was entering my room and nothing else. Without Todoroki noticing, Izuku took a tray with breakfast, which was some cups of coffee with toast, bacon, and fried eggs. When he entered, he saw the girls still asleep, as well as some medical things that made it clear that they were looking at part of his body, in case something bad happened to him. Izuku. I really had to worry about them a lot for them to be with all this apart from staying to sleep though. I see that the girls were using their bed as if it were no one else's but theirs. Izuku. Staying in my bed is going a bit over the line. The boy left the breakfast on a small table he had, but when he sat down, the girls magically began to wake up seeing the green-haired boy. When they saw him standing, they threw themselves at him, causing him to end up on the floor. Izuku. What the hell is wrong with him? Momo. You had us very worried, sneaking into your room like that, ignoring everyone only to end up unconscious without anyone seeing you is very dangerous. Izuku. But it was okay. Melissa. But you had a huge energy expenditure. Izuku. And now I'm standing. May. But you don't have to look strong all the time, sometimes you have to let us help you. Izuku. Okay, I'll let you help me, but can we have breakfast now? The girls looked at breakfast and were already sitting on the beds more than ready to have breakfast, making Izuku end up sighing and sitting on the chair where they started having breakfast until they finished, so they could go to the living room where they each sat in their place, although May and Melissa had to go in different directions. Momo. Hey Izuku, you came up with a new way to train. Izuku. Maybe so, I have something in mind although it will cost me a lot, but the increase in power will be incredibly huge. Momo. If you're already very strong with what you've done now, I can't imagine what you'll be like later on. Izuku. It will be a surprise when I finish my training, when the sports festival arrives, I will be the strongest in the class, although I already am and will continue to be. Momo. By the way, Izuku, what does your father do for a living? Izuku. He is in the armed forces which with their name make it clear that they are always ready for a fight or an act of murder. A few years ago my father had to be with your family on a trip, although he never told me anything about your father, but many things about your mother, so that I wouldn't make any mistakes when meeting her. Momo. Someday you'll meet my father. The two of them were there until they got to leave the place when the bell rang, accompanied by Todoroki, but in the middle of the road, Uraraka got in with Lita and some of the class. Izuku. What do you want now? Move or I'll crush you. Lita. Calm down Midoriya, we just want to talk. Izuku. The last few times we tried to talk, it didn't end well, so it would be best if you left now. Lita. But. The boy couldn't speak as Izuku took a step forward, causing the place to rumble. Izuku. Now get out of my way. Everyone just started to move out of Izuku's way as he passed by with his two companions. Chapter 15. After Izuku trained with Todoroki and Momo to end up unconscious in his room where he met his others only to learn that he has a way to increase his power, the boy was walking with his group that only consisted of Todoroki, Momo, Melissa, Sayu and May. The five went to the cafeteria where they took their trays of food and as if Izuku had already gotten used to it, they went to a table where they were going to be able to eat peacefully, but unfortunately their tranquility does not always last long since a specific blonde approached. Monoma. Wow, the crazy inventor has now gone with the UA trader. May. Leave us alone Monoma, we didn't do anything to you so it would be best if you left. Monoma. You really want me to leave May if I. At that Izuku stood up, showing himself to be more than threatening in the eyes of anyone. Izuku. You better go because to start with, she's not a crazy inventor, she's someone smarter than you by far, and you're just jealous of her because you have nothing to defend yourself with, and secondly, we're calm, so it would be better for you to leave before she ends up destroying you. Monoma. You bucking piece of. He stood still as he began to fade away like a doll. Shinso. I'm sorry for your attitude, I hope you don't mind. Izuku. It's okay Shinso. Shinso. I can sit down, after all I didn't do anything bad to you as far as I know. Izuku. If you could sit down, I noticed how you didn't try to throw anything at me when everyone else was throwing things at me. The purple-haired boy sat at the table to start eating with the group. Izuku. Tell me, is something special happening? Shinso. How do you think I know that? Izuku. You don't approach someone unless it's to get information or warn them about something, like the girls gave me hidden messages to leave the UA. Shinso. Well, our teacher told us that we were going to have some training with class soon, something we found out recently. Todoroki. So that's why Monoma approached us. Momo. He never comes close unless it's to bother you. Izuku. That doesn't matter now, what matters is knowing how they have to train, since I'm more than sure that they won't let us train in peace, they will keep us all in one place where they can see us. Todoroki. It will be to see our movements, how we fight or how we are going to fight in the sports festival. Shinso. It will be more to know his weaknesses and strengths, surely the teacher wants us to know that, but above all so that we end up defeating Izuku, since he is currently the most dangerous in class 2A. Izuku. They'll probably want that, but we won't let them know that. May. What are you talking about? Izuku. They are going to train but in a lesser way. Todoroki. What are you talking about? Izuku. Practically if they see us training like I made them train in the cave, then they will have an idea of how to train and increase their skills or copy hours, so what I want is for them to do training like the ones they did before I came to the UA. Momo. That will be easy. Todoroki. I hope you're good at pretending. Izuku. I actually have to try something new in my training. Melissa. But if you do then they will try to copy you. Izuku. This is the best part, you're going to try to copy me, but it's not going to work at all. Shinso. Now I really wonder what your training is or what you are going to try to put into it. When everyone finished eating they went to their classrooms to be more calm. Izawa. Guys, go out and train, today is going to be a little special. Everyone went outside ready to train although they noticed class B. Lita. Professor, what are they doing here? Izawa. Today's training will be with class B, apart from that we will have to train in a closed space where we can all see them. Everyone agreed to begin their training although Izuku sat in a lotus position beginning to enter his mind, inside his mind he saw the 5 Izukus who were playing cards. 20. Izuku. Well, who do I have to fight first? First Izuku. It will be with the air Izuku. The air Izuku stepped forward as the others disappeared and the entire dark place changed to a sky as there were clouds. Izuku. Then I have to fight the one in the air. Air Izuku. Yes, you can use other elements, although instead of the attacks being as strong as they are naturally, they will be weaker, apart from air being the strongest thing you can use. Izuku. Understood, get ready because here I come. Izuku launched himself against the air Izuku, so that he ended up trying to give him a blow that was blocked, but he didn't stop, as he tried to kick him that was blocked by the air Izuku, which with a taste of wind, sent the original flying which got up to go again with greater force, to try to do some damage, but nothing worked since he tried to kick him, but when he did he ended up going through the air Izuku which grabbed the original by the leg to spin around a lot, just to throw him far away until a moment when he could stay still. Izuku. He's very strong. Air Izuku. Thousands of cuts. The original Izuku noticed some small blades, so he began to dodge them all, but one managed to cut him in the left arm, causing him to move away. Outside of Izuku's mind, everyone noticed the green-haired man meditating. Monoma. Looks like someone really can't train. Sai. Better leave it, if that's his training you better not bother him. He said this as he noticed that the boy was beginning to have a face that showed he was concentrating on something very important to him. Monoma. Come on, what kind of training can this be? At one point they saw a cut appear on Izuku's left arm that drew blood that partially stained Monoma's clothes, scaring everyone. Todoroki. So that training was referring to Momo. A training that no one can copy without knowing what is going on in his mind. Uraraka. What's wrong with Deku-kun? Lita. I don't know, this seems to hurt himself. Uraraka. Wake up. The brown-haired girl moved Izuku, but he showed no signs of opening his eyes until they saw a small cut appear on his cheek, causing them to move away, in Izuku's mind. Air Izuku. Why don't you use the other elements? Izuku. Because if I use them it would prove that I'm not worthy of using the air. Air Izuku. In that case. In a second he appeared next to Izuku giving him a punch in the cheek, sending him flying, while a small cut formed on his cheek so that he could see the air Izuku to launch against him, seeming like he was about to hit him, so he let him go through him, but before he could take his leg, the boy ended up kicking the air Izuku, managing to draw some blood from his nose, to the surprise of the latter who looked at the other Izuku. Izuku. You said this is my mind, if it's my mind then I can make any weapon in my mind or whatever. He saw how he made a kind of bow with which he began to shoot arrows which the air Izuku had to begin to deflect with his hand, but one managed to graze his cheek, surprising him, because he thought he deflected all the arrows, but he had to move away because of more arrows that went against him, but he managed to dodge all the arrows that went against him, but at one point, he noticed how Izuku was above him to kick him in the face causing him to end up going down, so he could see the green-haired man who was spinning in the air, while he had a sword in his hand, which had a light brown handle with a black blade edge and white letters. Faced with that, the heir Izuku had to summon a sword that was a katana with a black handle with yellow dots, with which he ended up blocking Izuku's attack, causing him to be sent down. Heir Izuku. Make your own sword to fight in this world, and from what I see it doesn't matter if I become intangible anyway, that sword is going to cut me, and with that I will die. Izuku. Then you're not going to last long and you're going to have to believe me. Izuku launched himself against the other Izuku to end up clashing swords, having a fight of strength to end up separating, only to turn against each other, starting the clashes of swords, which instead of taking out sparks like normal swords, these were taking out great tastes of wind, causing the clouds to begin to move away, while some clouds seemed to have cuts, but between the two it was noticed that between these there began to be small drops of blood which came out of their bodies, since some more than another small cut was noticed on the body of the two fighters, who did not stop attacking each other, while outside Izuku's mind, everyone watched as the small cuts were formed. Uraraka. But what's happening to him? Todoroki. It's his training from him. Lita. What are you talking about? Todoroki. This is his training, he is getting stronger so when he finishes training, I do T know how, but he is going to get stronger with this. They watched as Melissa began to put some bandages on his body. Jiro. What are you doing? Melissa. I'm his doctor, I have to help him as much as possible, so I have to do this. The blonde was blindfolded to Izuku who inside his mind did not stop fighting at some point until they separated taking large breaths of air from the intense speed at which they had just fought. Izuku. You are definitely strong, so far the strongest I have faced. There Izuku. Taking out that Nomu. Izuku. Obviously if I beat you, that Nomu will no longer be as much of a threat as before. Heir Izuku. It will be difficult for you anyway. At that moment the heir Izuku launched himself against the original, summarizing his fight with the swords going from cloud to cloud making cuts in them with each clash of their swords, but in one of the clashes, they ended up releasing the swords letting them disappear. Heir Izuku. Looks like we're back with our fists. Izuku. If we don't have another choice. One launched himself against the other starting with a fist clash, but this time they were evenly matched, so they began to go back and forth, clashing their blows without stopping at some point, until a moment in which the original Izuku ended up receiving a blow to the stomach, followed by a blow to the face, so that he was kicked away, only for the heir Izuku to make a tornado that ended up hitting the original Izuku so that he began to spin until he managed to get out going against the heir Izuku. Heir Izuku. A direct attack against me doesn't work. The heir Izuku became intangible, but when the original was in front of him, he was surprised to receive his blow, but he couldn't get out of the surprise, as he ended up receiving more non-stop blows from the original Izuku, who carried them down, without stopping his attacks at some point, since each attack was merciless, while the heir Izuku could only receive the blows, while he began to spit out some blood. Izuku. This is over. It was seen that he was going to give the last blow that was loaded with a storm in it so that he would give him the blow to end the fight once and for all, making the heir Izuku disappear from the entire place while the other Izuku began to appear. Izuku. Now what? Heir Izuku. Nothing, you're done with him now, we're just waiting for you to fight the next one of us. Izuku. Why didn't everything go back to darkness? Lightning Izuku. It's because when you defeat one of us you can use their environment, in this case you have the air, but little by little, you will begin to have earth among other things. Izuku. Then the most advisable thing would be for me to leave my own mind. Order Izuku. If it's the most advisable thing for you to do, we can't have tea in this place all the time. In that way Izuku left his mind while outside Izuku's mind, everyone looked worriedly at the green-haired boy who had the bandages on his body, only for him to open his eyes and begin to get up. Izuku. What a nice break, it seems like it's been years since I took a break like this, why do I have bandages? Uraraka. It's just that you started bleeding from your body and we didn't want you to end up dying. Lita. Midoriya, what you just did was very risky. What kind of training was that? Izuku. My training, that type of training is mine, one with which I become stronger, only you would not understand it, much less could you do this training. The boy began to walk without any problem while he took off his bandages. Melissa. Wait Izuku, you're hurt, you can't do that. He fell silent when he saw that the boy had no wounds on his body, but he was, on the contrary, unharmed. Izuku. Some of the advantages of my quirk is that it allows me to heal quickly, I don't need someone to heal me, just by concentrating, I can heal myself, but still, thank you Melissa for bandaging me. The boy left the place calmly before the eyes of all of them, who could not believe how the boy was so calm, even though a few moments ago he was bleeding. When the green-haired boy arrived at his room he entered alone, but before he went to rest, he noticed how they knocked on his door, so he went to open it, noticing the girls with Todoroki apart, who came accompanied by Shinso, Kirishima, Ejiro, Tokoyami and Shoji. Izuku. Everyone except Shinso and the others who came in as if nothing happened. Why the hell are they here? I'm not in a good mood. Kirishima. We just want to talk, that's all. Izuku. If they know what happens to those who wanted to talk. Yujiro. Please Izuku, we just want to talk a little bit, that's all. Izuku. Okay, come in but do it quickly. He said it for the four of them to enter only for Izuku to close the door seeing what was going to happen. Izuku. Well let's start one by one. Kirishima. I'm sorry. Izuku. Nothing new. Kirishima. I'm sorry for not being what you thought. When I saw the evidence I felt a lot of anger for believing that you were the traitor. I didn't think things through clearly. I always talk about being a man, but I am not really one. I'm a coward, a stupid coward who tries to protect himself by saying that he is a man, but he is not really. He said it while he was crying, surprising those who were watching because none of the four who apologized, even though some showed that they were going to cry because of his words, ever thought that about Kirishima. Yujiro. I want to forgive myself because as Kirishima I was stupid to think that you betrayed us and stained the honor of the UA, but the truth is that I was the one who ended up staining his own honor. I was blind who was never designated to see the truth, someone who should not be here asking for your forgiveness. Shoji. I know you think I'll say the words that I'm stupid because I am. I understand if I don't earn your forgiveness because I'll understand that I lost a partner forever because of a stupid video and a stupid photo. They didn't even tell us where that evidence came from because no one knew where the evidence came from. Tokoyami. I accept that your forgiveness is not deserved by me or any of them, because while you were holding our hand saving us, holding our hand, we acted like dogs that bit their owner's hand. We do not deserve to be heroes, since the only hero we believe in is you Izuku. The four of them lowered their heads making clear what they were saying, while Izuku analyzed their words. Kirishima someone who was always alone knowing of his past, Yujiro, a true martial arts fighter who maintained his honor and proudly would say that he would never stain it. Shoji someone big and strong who speaks with the sincerity of his words all the time when he needs to say something important, and Tokoyami someone cold who demonstrated how Shoji told the truth of everything he said, so the boy only passed between them making them understand one thing. Kirishima. Okay, let's go. The four of them got up to leave, but. Izuku. Hey, what are you doing? The four of them turned around as they received some sodas from a small refrigerator that Izuku had in his room. Izuku. I didn't tell my friends to get out of here. Kirishima. So we're friends. Izuku. Partly yes, it will be difficult for me to trust you again, but what I have so far is enough for me. I don't know about you. The four of them wiped away tears as they sat down to begin talking. Chapter 16. After everyone began training with Class B, although Izuku in his training had to start practicing with the subject of the first test being the Izuku of air that he managed to defeat, only so that at the end of his training, he ended up in his room alone to listen to Kirishima, Shoji, Yujiro and Tokoyami so that he ends up giving them for the joy of these who stayed in Izuku's room in order to spend time with a green-haired boy who gladly accepted the boys in the place. Kirishima. Then let me see if we understood it as well as you told us. Yujiro. Your father, who was out of the country, found out about this and came here, and then he arrived with two more dangerous people, so that with a false judge's order, he could end up taking you out of Tartarus, as if it were nothing to him. Yujiro. So that you would end up being trained by the same ogre, the human monster, and that your father, being a great murderer, would be the one to train you while you only sang to earn money. Izuku. Just as they say, that's how it happened. Shinso. You realize that what you're saying is quite crazy. Izuku. Yes it could be, but well today let's say I ended up being the strongest boy in the UA. Yujiro. Wouldn't it be better if you don't underestimate the other classes? I say this as a precaution. Tokoyami. Although if we think about it very well, he alone wiped out the entire class, and to think that we are possibly the strongest class of all the classes in UA. Shinso. Now what Izuku is saying doesn't sound so crazy. Izuku. You see, when I say I'm the strongest it's because I am. The boy remembered when he fought against the entire class too, when in the middle of all the steam he ended up receiving some blows, which looked too much like Garou's, until he was taken out of his thoughts of him. Melissa. Is something wrong Izuku? Izuku. No, nothing happened, I just had a little memory, nothing important, just that. Todoroki. If you let me, I'll go because it's getting very late. Shinso. Me too, I have to go to the B-class dorms. May. I'll go with you. The rest of the boys left, leaving Izuku alone with the girls, Momo and Melissa not leaving the place. Izuku. And now what do you want? Momo. We just want to know something. Izuku. What do you want to know? Melissa. When you were meditating, cuts began to appear on your body as if you were fighting with something, tell us the truth, were you fighting with something in your mind that was hurting you? Momo. A normal meditation does not cause the person to have any damage to his body, much less show signs on his face that he was struggling. Izuku. Are you sure you want the truth? The girls agreed, so Izuku just took a breath while thinking about how to teach the girls, how to show them what was going on in his mind. Izuku. Okay, but for that reason they have to start medicating me. The girls agreed to begin medicating, although they took Izuku's hands so that inside their mind they appeared in the sky apparently. Momo. Where are we? Izuku. It was hard, but now they are in my mind. Melissa. It's open-ended. Izuku. To be honest, at the beginning it was all darkness, but well now it changed since I defeated the first one. Momo. The first one? Lightning Izuku. From us. The girls turned around looking in surprise at the 4 copies of Izuku, each one representing an element of the green-haired boy, only the wind was missing. Melissa. Each one represents an element of Izuku, but one is missing. Earth Izuku. The original Izuku ended up defeating him today. In the fight all the cuts they saw on his Izuku were products of the fight he had. Melissa. Why were they fighting? Water Izuku. It's that unlike some quirks, being that Izuku is someone who awakened his quirk after years, what happens in other cases happened to him, being rare times in which the bearer of the quirk has to say how his power is divided. Earth Izuku. By having it divided, in this case we cannot use all its power in exchange for having to do our tests in which we have to defeat each and every one of us. The girls looked in surprise to see the original green-haired boy who was spinning in the air without paying attention to what the other Izukus were saying. Momo. This is really confusing. Lightning Izuku. It happens, but with time everything passes and you get used to it. Fire Izuku. Well, you already had your answers outside now. I threw out the girls who opened their eyes, while Izuku just fell asleep being noticed by the 2 girls who looked at him. Melissa. What do we do with him? Momo. Looks like we have to put him to bed. The girls put the green-haired boy to bed who just slept without caring what was happening around him, just to be seen by the girls, who without realizing it ended up sleeping with the green-haired boy. The next day Izuku got up first seeing the girls only to do the same as yesterday, preparing breakfast so that the 3 of them could eat to leave having normal classes, which there was no problem until they left the classes in which Izuku just walked to his room. Hiroshima. Hey Izu bro, let's go to the movies. Do you want to eat? Izuku. No thanks, I have to do some things before that. The boy went to his room where he entered to sit in the lotus pose more than ready to begin meditating until he succeeded only to appear in his mental space where he found the 4 Izukus who were talking to each other. Izuku. Now who do I face? Earth Izuku. I think it's my turn to see what you're made of. You've shown to have great resistance when it comes to cuts, but let's try with brute force. At that moment everything changed. The boy saw how instead of being a normal sky, it changed to being mountains which below them were peaks that showed their enormous sharpness at the tips. Izuku. Well then we'll start fighting in this place. Earth Izuku. Yes, I will show you my strength. The ground Izuku launched himself against the other Izuku, who only had to block a blow that ended up pushing him away, causing him to feel a little pain in his arms, so that he could see the ground Izuku, who was launching himself to attack again, so he had to start dodging. With each blow he dodged he noticed how his copy with a blow to the floor ended up destroying the floor as if it were nothing before him, even the rocks that surrounded them only for a moment to give a blow that ended up destroying another rock, but the original Izuku being below his blow, took the opportunity to start hitting him in the stomach until he hit him in the face, moving him a few meters away. He got into a combat stance but waved his hand a little, meaning that even hitting him hurt him. Earth Izuku. What's wrong? Did it hurt? Izuku. Not as much as it will hurt you. The boy took out the same sword he had when he fought against the air Izuku, but instead of having white letters, they were brown, so that with a spin, he would try to cut him, but the earth Izuku took out a mallet, which had a point on one side, that notably served to kill with one hit, while on the other side, it had its smooth part to be able to break bones with a single hit. Izuku. Being an earth boy I imagined that you had your weapon that would be like a mallet. Earth Izuku. And you with a sword. Izuku. I better finish you off. The boy tried to make another cut, but the earth Izuku kept blocking the cuts with his mallet, as if it were nothing before him, and more when he showed he could handle something so heavy as if it were nothing. The earth Izuku tried to give him a blow that Izuku had to dodge to get away, but before they did anything else, the original Izuku began to move in a much faster way around the earth Izuku, while he just looked at him, so that the circle that the original Izuku made began to get smaller until he had to start blocking the cuts that came from everywhere, having to dodge until there came a moment when he got tired and raised his mallet to hit the ground, making a tremor so that Izuku would move away. Izuku. You are certainly good. Earth Izuku. And you become fast, very fast, but what you need with me is strength. Izuku. Then let's try something new. The boy made his sword disappears just like the Earth Izuku who made his mallet disappears so they could walk against each other. Earth Izuku. You know that a direct fight with me hand to hand is more than stupid. Izuku. I still know this will work. They got closer until they were in front of each other so that Izuku could hit the Earth Izuku in the face, who then hit him in the stomach, sending him crashing into a rock, but the green-haired man got up to start walking calmly, but could only receive another blow that left him against the rock, in which Izuku had a face of pain which began to change to a smile, followed by more blows from the earth. Izuku who attacked mercilessly until the huge rock finally broke sending the original Izuku flying, so that he could get up as if nothing had happened. Izuku. It's my turn. Earth Izuku. Don't you understand? It's useless to make a direct hit at me. Izuku being in front of the Earth Izuku gave him one that seemed simple, but when he hit him, he sent him flying, causing him to end up against a rock, so he could see how Izuku didn't feel any pain when hitting him. Earth Izuku. How is this possible? Izuku. Shiori, I was trying to make some progress during this time, but I didn't have many good results until now that I can use Shiori to its full potential. Earth Izuku. You lie. The ground Izuku launched himself against the original Izuku to start hitting him with blows that Izuku didn't seem to have much effect on feeling any damage until he ended up seeing an opening, so he took the opportunity to hit the ground Izuku in the stomach, causing him to end up moving away while he began to record his stomach. Earth Izuku. This can't be possible, you can't have mastered Shiori in such a short time. Izuku. Well now you're seeing that I was able to master it. Earth Izuku. Impossible. He launched himself once more beginning to hit Izuku, who remained standing with his hands in his pockets, without moving from the spot, while the Earth Izuku gave all the blows he could, but had no result against the boy, who remained as if nothing happened to him, who became more and more angry, until he got tired of hitting him, so he moved away a little looking at Izuku, with a little anger while he was taking breaths of air from exhaustion. Earth Izuku. How is this possible? Izuku. What could you expect from Yujiro Hanma's disciple? Izuku approached to start hitting the ground Izuku, who could only receive them all directly, without being able to defend himself from those blows, which were one stronger than the previous one, causing real damage, and more, since it was noticeable in his body, which was hardened leaving cracks. Izuku. This ends now. The original Izuku gave one more punch, but noticed how the ground Izuku had his fist. Earth Izuku. No, this has just begun. He said this as he began to hit the original Izuku who, faced with this, did not know why he was beginning to feel the damage until he sent him flying, so he could see how the Earth Izuku threw a pill at him, hitting him full force, causing him to end up on the floor and beginning to get up with a little difficulty while he watched as the Earth Izuku began to make his right arm begin to form a giant arm from the rocks that were put on it. Earth Izuku. You were right, this ends now. The ground Izuku threw the huge blow to the original, who could only try to return the blow by colliding with his own, having a fist clash in which they trembled from the force of the blows, while the ground began to break under his feet more and more, until the original Izuku's arm began to have a more platinum color, as if it were metal, until he began to win in the fist clash as he managed to destroy the huge blow to hit him in the chest, causing it to end up breaking, causing the entire body to end up breaking, causing a small explosion before Izuku who was only tired, so that he would end up leaving his mind, so that outside of it, he would open his eyes. Izuku. That was difficult. He said this as he looked at his body with some wounds that began to heal in front of the boy's eyes, who only got up with a little difficulty, while his wounds began to heal, so that he could begin to walk calmly leaving his room with a tank top, black sports pants and black sports shoes with white lines. He walked to the kitchen noticing that the others from the cinema had not arrived yet, although he noticed that only 10 minutes had passed, so he just began to cook calmly without any problem, until he heard a noise behind him, so he took out his revolver, seeing that it was Momo who only took out a jar of candy that was apparently hidden in a very high piece of furniture, since the brunette was standing on a chair so Izuku had to put down the stir. Izuku. Any more and I'd end up shooting. Momo. I don't think you shot me except when I found Sato's candy stash. The green-haired man noticed that they were just chocolates. Izuku. Everyone is supposed to have gone to the movies, but you're still here. Momo. I'm not Toga in case you think that or twice. Izuku. Check it out. Momo. So far you've only defeated Air Izuku. Izuku. Okay, I believe you but what are you doing here? Momo. I told them I was sick so they left me alone so I could stay here. Besides, I knew you were going to do one of your tests, so that was even more reason to stay in case you don't come out of the fight so well. Izuku. But as you see, I'm fine. Momo. And who did you fight with Izuku? Izuku. With the Earth one, I have to admit that fighting him was really hard, it really hurt too much. Momo. Hit him or have him hit you. Izuku. Haha, you are seriously good at telling jokes. Momo. Thanks, I'm really good at telling some jokes. Izuku. It's sarcasm in case you didn't notice. Momo. It doesn't matter, you accept that I'm very funny. Izuku. And now you can show it off. The brunette noticed the kitchen things the boy had already started. Momo. What were you going to cook? Izuku. Katsudon. The boy looked at the brunette who obviously wanted some, so he started cooking until he left the 2 plates on the table in front of the brunette who accepted the plate to start eating without any problems. Izuku. It's obvious you didn't feel like cooking. Momo. It's just that in my house there is always a maid who cooks for everyone, so I didn't always have much time for my mother to teach me how to cook, although now that I think about it. The girl looked at Izuku who understood what he wanted the girl to do. Izuku. I'm not a cooking teacher, at most I can help you a little with your training, but cooking is not that. Momo. Please, it will just be a little learning. Izuku. Okay, if you're not going to bother me that way, but more importantly, why didn't you tell Melissa to take care of me occasionally? Momo. It's just that she's a bit busy and she doesn't have the keys to enter the bedrooms, that's why I stayed there myself on occasion. Izuku. You really think more than you think. Momo. There's a reason I'm the smartest girl in the class. Izuku. I'll have to start being more careful when messing with you. The two talked to a little until they finished eating, so they just stayed to clean the plates and talked to a little in the living room until the rest of the class arrived, who looked at the two who were talking, although a certain brunette was a little jealous when she saw how the two were talking. Chapter 17. After Izuku had done one more test by defeating the Earth Izuku and spending some time with Momo and giving some of the boys which showed that they could really earn the green-haired boy's forgiveness, at this moment everyone was in their classroom, although they noticed something very important, and that was that the green-haired boy apart from being with Momo, Tsuyu and Todoroki, there were more of his classmates with him, as if it were happening from one day to the next, as if nothing until Izawa came in with those who were in the medical part. Izawa. Okay, guys, I have to tell you that today you have to do some things with the doctors, they will see if they form training groups to be your personal doctors. And that they began to pass between them until Melissa arrived with Izuku. Melissa. Do you have a group, Izuku? Izuku. Yes, in my group are Todoroki, Tsuyu, Momo, Kirishima, Tokoyami, Shoji and Ijiro. The blonde wrote down the names on a sheet, while everyone in the class couldn't believe how the boy already had a group to train with, since they also participated when they beat Izuku. Melissa. Well, myself and a few other people are their personal doctors during training or after training. The girl left the place with the others so that the classes began to pass normally as always until the end of the class came, so everyone began to leave, although they stood at the door blocking it, not letting those in Izuku's group leave. Izuku. Can I know what the hell do you want? The boy did not seem very happy, making those blocking the nervous exit. Lita. Calm down, Midoriya, we just wanted to know if you could come with us to the mall to hang out. The green-haired man looked at this seriously, thinking about every possible case of something happening, but before he had an answer someone spoke for him. Momo. Yes, we will all be there until Izuku ready for whatever. Uraraka. That's good to know. Finally they left, leaving the exit clear for the group to begin walking away from the place. Izuku. There was no need for you to butt in. Momo. You still have to spend some time with your friends after all, they have to earn your trust. Izuku looked at the group that came with him for a moment before sighing. Izuku. Okay, I'll go, but if anything happens that I don't like, I'll leave. Momo. Okay. The girl smiled in victory as everyone changed just to go to the mall with Izuku wearing clothes like yesterday, only now it was a short-sleeved shirt that said Calcio Storico Rojos on the back. When they arrived they just started walking calmly, even though they were accompanied by Class B. Kirishima. Hey Izu bro, what do those words on the back of your shirt mean? Izuku. These words are from a game I was in another country, we won the tournament. Ijiro. Then I hope I can play that game with you one of these days. Izuku. I don't know if it's going to be possible. Ijiro. Why? Izuku. Because the game is made every year, it is only played once a year. Monoma. It must be a very simple and boring game, that's why it is played only once a year. Izuku. Yes, a game like that where they break your bones, give you multiple bruises or even operations due to serious injuries, a simple game. Kirishima. Why don't you show us one of those games on video? The green-haired man took out his phone to show a video of a match. Hendo. They are animals, how can they fight like that? Izuku. It's the way he plays, as long as the ball doesn't reach the net to score, everything will be fine. That day I had at least 3 broken ribs and a broken arm. Momo. So that's why it's done once a year apart from no one using their quirk. Izuku. No, everyone has to play as quirkless, that way they can put a quirkless on the team without having problems. Hiroshima. Then hardening is not allowed. Man. Hey, what are you doing showing an old game and not a current one? Izuku turned around seeing a group of 26 men whose bodies showed that they trained very often, so he smiled. Izuku. My friends, it's been a while since I saw you around here. How are you? Man. It's really good, but most importantly, why don't you show them a current game? Izuku. You know it takes some time for me to show a game. Sai. And who are they? Izuku. They are the ones I played with recently in a tournament that we ended up winning. He is the captain of the group. John. John. You went too far when you broke the white team member's arm. Izuku. And when you broke 7 of someone's ribs, but I have something more important. What are you doing in Japan? You are supposed to be in Italy. John. What can I say? We just wanted to hang out a little to feel better, you know. Izuku. Well, this is my class along with class B. John. Nice to meet you, but we don't have much time. We arrived a few days ago, but we have to leave now. We don't have much time. Since we arrived in Japan, you know, there are many things we have to do. Izuku. If I understand you, bye. The group separated, although Izuku had a smile on his face, meaning that he liked his meeting with the group being noticed by everyone who couldn't believe how they took something like that as a game. Hiroshima. So Izuku, you literally broke a person's arm. Izuku. Yes, I broke it when he stood in front of me, although they went a little too far by breaking more than one bone and leaving them in a hospital. Mina. I imagine that after they played they all went to the hospital. Izuku. What? No, we spent our time celebrating as much as we could until midnight. Lita. But it's dangerous to celebrate after a match as if nothing happened considering they were very hurt. Izuku. And who do you care? We played so much that in one of the tournament games one of us had a broken arm, but he kept playing and fighting with only one arm. Yujiro. They must love that game a lot. Izuku. It's a town game, obviously they love it very much, all the players fight for the love of the game and nothing else. They all stayed for a while longer until they ended up returning to UA, while Izuku's group talked for a while. Sai. I know it's none of my business, but Momo, did you forgive Todoroki? I mean in case they get back together. Momo. No, at least he would have told me why he did it before he had relations with Uraraka, but he did it without saying a single word. Todoroki. What can I say? I deserve it a little bit, apart from the fact that my father initially wanted me to be with her, so it was out of obligation, and not because I wanted to, so it was a good thing that separated us. Izuku. It's getting late, you better go to your rooms. They all left, although the green-haired man noticed that the brunette felt bad. Izuku. Say it, Momo. Momo. What are you talking about? Izuku. Since Todoroki said that, I noticed that you got a little upset, so I just let it out. The brunette began to cry on her green-haired man's chest, showing everything she had inside her. Momo. I can't believe he actually did that to me. At least he should have told me that he was with me out of obligation. Izuku. You better get some sleep around here, since no one's going to want to see the vice president of Class A like this. The brunette did as she was told and ended up falling asleep in the boy's bed, who just sat on a part of the floor in a way to watch over anyone who entered to end up badly, until she finished her meditation by entering her mind, which now had an enormous mountain that rose above the sky, allowing the clouds to be seen above them. Izuku. Well, I'm here. Order Izuku. It's about time. Fire Izuku. It took you too long. Izuku. Fine, just say which one of you is next to test my strength. Lightning Izuku. Water Izuku will be the next to fight you, so you better get ready. The boy agreed as everything changed as the huge mountain became just a small rock surrounded by water, while in front of him was the Water Izuku. Water Izuku. Do you want some advice on how to win? Izuku. Sometimes a little help doesn't hurt. Izuku. About water. Sometimes you have to be like water, just as calm, to be able to hurt her, that's all I'll tell you. Izuku. A good riddle. The Water Izuku made a whip with which he attacked the original Izuku, who had to jump, dodging the attack, and start walking on the water while looking at his copy of him. Izuku. You start using your weapon early on. Water Izuku. What did you expect? The Water Izuku continued attacking with his whip, so the original had to start dodging every attack he threw at him as he began to approach the Water Izuku in order to hit him, having to block the whip on some occasions with his sword, which had blue letters on it. He came to the front of him to kick him, but when he tried it, the Water Izuku ended up moving away to send a wave against the original, who, faced with this, had to jump avoiding the huge wave, which, because of this, he took advantage of the whip to throw it at Izuku's foot, tangling it around his leg to in one movement throw him into the water, but the boy was able to free himself to fall on his feet as if nothing had happened, getting up again. Looking at the copy which hid a smile without knowing why, so he had to look at his foot where he had the whip, noticing how now he had it a little hurt. Izuku. Now I have more reasons to avoid that whip. Water Izuku. And I'll give you even more reasons to do so. He began to attack with a whip, so the original Izuku had to dodge everything he could to get closer again, to try to hit him, succeeding, but something he noticed was that he ended up going through him, so that the water Izuku ended up closing where he went through him, causing the boy to be trapped only for the water Izuku to make a sphere in his hand which collided with the original, raising him into the air due to the explosion of water it made, but when he was about to fall, the water Izuku with his whip began to attack him, hitting the boy squarely, who in the face of this could do nothing but receive them all, suffering great damage until a moment when a large whirlpool of water hit the boy squarely, which ended up falling on that rock he was on before so that he would be face down while the water approached Izuku, although the original began to rise little by little in a very slow way. Water Izuku. It seems that you defeat the ground Izuku and see by pure luck, but well this has to end. Izuku just started making slow movements on the rock, with his eyes closed as if he was preparing for something. Water Izuku. Apparently you already know that you're going to lose, so I'm going to have to end this once and for all. The water Izuku launched himself towards the urinal, with the hopes of ending this once and for all, by getting in front of it, but when he was going to hit it, he received a blow from the original Izuku in the stomach, pushing him away. Water Izuku. Let's try one more time. He became intangible to launch himself against Izuku, but when he was about to pierce the original with the palm of his hand, he hit him on the chin, causing him to rise into the air, so that he received 2 blows with the palms of his hands in the stomach, knocking the air out of him while he was sent flying, but managed to get back up to see the original with those slow movements. Water Izuku. It doesn't make sense, how can you do that? Izuku. You gave me the answer yourself. At that moment he remembered when he gave him that supposed advice to defeat him, so he just prepared to launch himself against the original, but he himself began to walk in the water to begin blocking all the attacks to begin with his counterattack reaching to give a large number of blows to the water Izuku, causing him to be on his knees so that he can get up with difficulty. Water Izuku. Cursed. At one point he noticed how the environment was getting somewhat cold as he noticed how the water began to turn into ice, reaching his feet to freeze half of his body while the other half began to freeze. Izuku. This is over now. He arrived in front of the other Izuku who, at this, ended up freezing his entire body to receive the blow full on, causing his body to end up as common snow before the eyes of the original Izuku, who began to open his eyes, looking at the whole place, only to leave his mind. When he woke up he noticed how the brunette was still asleep in her bed. Izuku. It's good to see you're still asleep. The boy watched as his wounds began to heal so he could get up and start walking to prepare breakfast, just went to his room where he entered, seeing that the brunette was just beginning to wake up, who smiled when she saw the boy, and even more when she noticed the breakfast, since for her his food was delicious. Izuku. Looks like if I want to wake you up or something I just have to bring some food, and that's it. Momo. You don't have many more options if what you want is for me to leave your bed, although. Izuku. What though? Momo. If I keep sleeping here and you bring me breakfast, then I'd better stay more often or just go to your room. Izuku. I don't think that's going to happen. The boy left the tray of food on a small table for them to start eating, although they heard a knock on the door, so he got up to start walking only to open the door a little, noticing Uraraka. Izuku. And what do you want? Uraraka. I just want to talk to a little, you know, to pass the time, and if you want, I brought you some food. The girl showed some food that was for just one person, understanding that her strategy was for them to share the food as if they were a couple. Izuku. No thanks, I already have my own food and I'm too busy to start being bothered early. The boy closed the door but was knocked on again to open it, noticing Lita. Izuku. And what do you want? Lita. Come on doubt, I just want to spend some time with my best friend like I used to. I slammed the door in his face as he turned around. Momo. It seems they don't want to leave you alone. Izuku. If they don't start doing it then we will have to go through the worst decisions. Out of nowhere his door was knocked on again, making the boy now get upset and starting to take out his revolver ready to shoot, but when he opened it, he noticed Kirishima. Izuku. Is something wrong Kirishima? Kirishima. I'd just like to talk to a little. He said it in a slightly low and discouraged tone, so the boy let him in so he could start walking without paying much attention to Momo taking a seat. Izuku. Luckily I made a little more food in case Momo wanted it, but what do you want to talk about? Kirishima. As you know, Mina and I are a couple. Izuku. Yes, I know. Kirishima. But I recently found out that he was cheating on me with someone else. Izuku. How do you know? Kirishima. I saw her having sex with Tesu from Class B, so I want to know, how can I get over this? You guys went through this and I understand if you don't want to help me, but I just don't know how to put this aside, how to get over it. 20. Momo. That's too bad Kirishima, but we'll try to get something for you, something like a hobby or something, so you can have a good time and forget about Mina. For example, I surpassed Todoroki with training thinking every day that the bag I hit was him or Uraraka. Izuku. Look Kirishima, I'm not going to say the same old thing about there being more fish in the sea or any of that shit, but the most important thing is that you have to get over it. Kirishima. Yes, but how did you get over Uraraka? Izuku. Look at the time, Momo, you've already finished breakfast so it would be better if you go to your room to get ready. The brunette left, but when Kirishima was about to get up he was stopped by Izuku. Izuku. Wait Kirishima, I made him leave because I don't want him to hear me, but you do, what I'm going to tell you don't have to tell anyone. Kirishima. Okay. Izuku. You see, I haven't forgotten Uraraka yet, that damn thing left parts of me that I still can't get out, that's why you have to do it, but for now let's try to get out all the feelings you have for Mina. The red-haired man agreed, not knowing that the brunette was at the half-closed door, listening to everything so he could leave. Chapter 18. After Izuku went to the mall to meet some of his friends from those Florida games, and also to have taken another test and listened to Kirishima's problems, causing him to tell him some things that he still had inside. At this moment everyone was in class being calm, while Present Might was talking since it was his English class until they finished so everyone began to leave, although Izuku was able to stop the red-haired boy who was a little discouraged. Izuku. Where do you think you're going Kirishima? You and I have some things to talk about, even for you know what problems. Kirishima. Do we really have to keep talking? Izuku. Yeah, we're going to the mall today to talk to a little guy. The red-haired boy got ready to leave with the green-haired boy to start walking in the mall, spending some time with each other. Izuku. So Mina is still your girlfriend, even though she doesn't know that you discovered her being unfaithful, although they still don't show anything that they love each other. Kirishima. I'm afraid so, but I still don't know how to get over this. Izuku. Well, you're lucky because I did have a small idea at least, and I hope it works. Kirishima. And what is it? Izuku. Do you remember Kami from the other school? Kirishima. Yes, Bakugo's girlfriend. Izuku. In fact, the girl's ex-girlfriend found out that Bakugo was cheating on her with Uraraka, so I'm going to use that as an advantage to see what happens. Kirishima. What are you talking about? Izuku. You'll see. The green-haired boy pushed Kirishima aside, causing him to end up tripping over the girl who was Kami, who looked at the red-haired boy with a slight blush like Kirishima being on top of each other and being very close until they reacted so they got up. Kirishima. I'm really sorry, my friend pushed me. I look at where Izuku was, noticing that he was no longer there. Kami. Your secret friend. The girl gave a small laugh, making Kirishima nervous as he thought of a way to escape from her. Kami. Wait, I know you, you're Bakugo's best friend. Kirishima. Actually ex-best friend, some things happened and we are not anymore. Kami. I'm sorry. The boy put his hands in his pockets, noticing some movie tickets taking them out and seeing that there were 2 tickets. Kami. Were you going to the movies with your secret friend? The red-haired man noticed that Izuku was behind Kami at a considerable distance, with a sign that said invites her. Kirishima. Yes, but I think he's not coming anymore, so do you want to eat? Kami thought for a bit until she came up with an answer. Kami. Okay, I'm going. I just hope you don't make too much noise in the cinema. The two of them went although someone with a hood bumped his shoulder with Kirishima, although he noticed that it was Izuku who left money in his pocket which he had a note. Izuku's note. After the movie, take her out to eat something and walk her home or wherever she is. The red-haired man mentally thanked the green-haired man who watched from afar as his partner began to have a good time. Izuku. Well, my mission is over at this point. The boy left as he walked down the street to a part where he was alone, but he noticed something, and it was that they were following him until he went into an alley where there was no one. Izuku. I know you're there, let me see you. Out of nowhere he had to dodge a kick followed by a slash from a dagger, so that he ended up blocking 2 blows which were going to his face, so that he would move away taking out his sword, noticing that they were people who had suits like the one he had as a hero, only that they were white and brown. Izuku. Now who do I have to fight? He pulled out his sword waiting for someone to move to start the fight, but people left their fighting poses to look at Izuku. Man. Actually Ryu told us the truth, his son is good. Izuku. Wait, you know my father. Man. Yes, he was our leader for years. At that moment he remembered when his father told him about his old friends who were going to see him. Izuku. I never thought that when my father told me about his friends, I didn't think about possible murderers. Man. In fact we are Assassin's Creed, an organization of assassins where we only do a couple of things that you don't have to know about. 11. Izuku. I guess you didn't just come to talk. Man. No, we just kindly ask that you don't wear one of our suits. Izuku understood what they meant, so he just looked at them. Izuku. Okay, then I'll change my hero costume. I was thinking about changing it because it limited me in some things. Man. Okay, group, let's go. The group left the place before Izuku's eyes, who began to walk to Yue, arriving there walking towards his group of friends while being with them. May. And where is Kirishima? Izuku. About him, I think he'll come back a little better than before. Shoji. Why do you say that? Everyone watched as the door opened again, noticing Kirishima, who had a small smile on his face, already knowing from Izuku how it was, while the rest thought that whatever the green-haired man had done was good for the boy. Izuku. And how did it go? Kirishima. Pretty good, I think we'll see each other again. Izuku. Then I did well to show you the. Kirishima. Yes, but don't you think that pushing me was a little bad? I say. Izuku. I don't think so, you did well anyway. Yujiro. What's going on? Izuku. Well. At that moment Mina appeared, throwing herself on Kirishima. Mina. How is my little Riti doing? Kirishima. Fine, but I'm with the guys talking about some important things between us, can you leave us alone? Mina. But there's no way I'm staying. Izuku. No, now go away. The girl left while everyone noticed how the boy showed a little displeasure towards the pink-haired girl. Okoyami. Well, now I really want a good explanation. Izuku. Let's begin then. And that they began to talk about how the pink-haired girl was unfaithful to Kirishima with Tesu until Izuku made her get closer to Kami, making a sort of date with her, and apparently it went quite well for the red-haired girl. Izuku. And that was all that happened. Shoji. Then another day you will see her. Kirishima. Yes, I don't know how it will go, but I hope it's okay. Shoji. By the way, Izuku, I was thinking and I agreed that it would be okay with you if one of these days we played that sport you were in, Calcio Storico. Izuku. I'd have to talk to those in Florida about that. Yujiro. Why? Izuku. Well, it's a game from a city where it's traditional, so you can't just play like that. Melissa. It was to be expected coming from a traditional game. Izuku. I can talk to the guys who are currently in Japan and we'll see what they say. Kirishima. I hope they accept, I wanted to participate. Todoroki. If you remember, it's a game where they don't use a quirk. Izuku. Anyway, I have to do something a little important. Momo. You're not talking about doing another test or not? Izuku. I have to do it, it's almost time to finish. The boy left the place although the others had doubts in their heads about what test the green-haired boy had to do. Yujiro. What do you have to do? Momo. Nothing is a small thing in part for us. Kirishima. What are you talking about? Melissa. Nothing in particular, let's leave that aside. Izuku arrived at his room where he closed the door to walk to the center of his room, to sit in a lotus pose to begin meditating, entering his mind, seeing that he was now in a beautiful landscape, since he was in a meadow, which in front had a lake that reflected the beautiful clouds, until he noticed the two remaining Izukus. Izuku. Now which one of you comes next to start fighting? Lightning Izuku. Wait a bit, at least you just got here. Pyrizuku. Keep in mind that after this test you will be able to enter your mind to begin training your monster form. Izuku. I think it's fine, but you know I'm here for one thing. Lightning Izuku. In that case you have to face me. At that moment the Fire Izuku left as the place changed to being a combat platform, while a huge storm was above them with some lightning bolts, making their presence felt, illuminating the two fighters. Izuku. Then I have to face you. Lightning Izuku. I just hope you're fast enough to fight. By saying that he began to take out yellow rays from his body so that he would launch himself against the boy going at great speed, while Izuku instinctively covered himself, avoiding a blow to the face, causing him to move away a little, while he took out some rays from his body to see the Izuku of lightning. He launched himself again into combat, appearing behind Izuku, giving him a kick, throwing him upward so that he would appear above Izuku, trying to give him a kick that the boy blocked so that he went directly to the platform, causing him to land on his feet, breaking the floor a little, while he looked at the Izuku of lightning, who disappeared to kick him from the side of Izuku, who moved away to block the blow. Lightning Izuku. You are seriously strong, you withstand my attacks very well, and you got a little used to my speed, but for how long you can? As he said those words, Izuku lowered his head, avoiding a kick from Lightning Izuku, who disappeared again, leaving some electricity to try to hit him again, but Izuku barely managed to dodge all the blows, making the blows graze, so that at one point the original Izuku managed to see a possible opportunity to hit him, so he took the opportunity to try to hit him, but Lightning Izuku blocked it, but do To the force of the attack he ended up moving away, making me look at him a little surprised at how the original Izuku, without using his quirk, still had great strength. Izuku. Looks like you're not that fast anymore. Lightning Izuku. You're seriously very good, but out of shame I have to end this. The lightning Izuku went against the original, trying to hit him, but he managed to dodge it. Well, he managed to block some blows, being attentive to each movement, until at one point, he managed to hit him in the face, moving him away, so that he would spin in the air. But before he did something, Izuku from one moment to the next, took out his sword, which had yellow colors, to block some bullets so that the lightning Izuku could be seen with some pistols. Lightning Izuku. It's unbelievable that you forced me to use my weapons. He fired more shots that were blocked by the original, who began to look at him. Izuku. Do you really think it'll be that easy to beat me? Lightning Izuku launched himself at him, the original starting to shoot while the original was blocking the shots as if they were nothing against him, but at one point he managed to get close enough to kick him in the stomach, causing him to move away a little, and with one jump, he would be in front of him to start giving him more blows, until at one point the lightning Izuku managed to get out too. That away, starting to spin around the original, who only looked at him attentively, waiting for any movement that the lightning Izuku would make, but from one moment to another, he had to start blocking the shots he gave. But since he was around him, some shots began to hit Izuku's body, causing him to have some wounds on his body, being from the lightning Izuku's bullets, until a moment in which he got tired and raised his sword up to hit the floor, causing it to shake a little, so that the lightning Izuku would slow down enough so that the original spun with his sword and ended up breaking one gun followed by a kick, sending him flying crashing into a wall. But before he could do anything, the original Izuku threw the sword, breaking the last gun. Lightning Izuku. Great, I don't have any weapons anymore. Izuku. And it's just you and me, without weapons, without many powers of a bare knuckle quirk. Lightning Izuku. Sounds good to me. The boy began to take out a few rays, meaning that he was not going to use much speed, so that he would launch himself against the original Izuku like himself, so that they would end up hitting each other in the face, so that they would look at each other. The other even having their fists in their faces to start hitting each other without limiting themselves, being some kicks to the knees or the head, trying to make one end up knocking down the other, until at one point the original managed to hit him in the face, causing him to be a little in shock, to give him another blow to the face, followed by another to finish with a kick to the chest, sending him to the floor so that he would begin to walk towards him with clear intentions of ending this. But before the lightning Izuku arrived, he caused some rays to fall from the sky that hit him, causing the original to put his hands out to prevent the light from hitting his eyes. Lightning Izuku. Now we're going to fight in a better way. He said this as a huge amount of lightning came out of his body. Izuku. So now I really can't hold back. The lightning Izuku launched himself at full speed, beginning to give quick and consecutive blows to the original, who could not do anything against the enormous speed of the original, who did not stop receiving blows, while the lightning one did not leave him a chance to defend himself, until he ended up giving him one more blow, causing him to be sent flying against a wall, causing him to be left next to his sword. Izuku. It seems I don't have many opportunities right now. Lightning Izuku. Well, no, I'm as good as new, but you're totally cornered against me. He launched himself at the original to end this, but before they did anything, the original took out his sword so that it would end up blocking Izuku's lightning strike, beginning to hold him in place while the sword showed how it could withstand the enormous amount of electricity from his opponent, who was trying hard to push the sword back. But at one point the original Izuku began to take the advantage until he managed to push him, throwing him to the ground so that he would come closer and stare at him so that they would get on top of him. Izuku. This is over. He raised his sword, causing lightning from the sky to begin to fall on his sword, causing great electricity to begin to show so that he could direct the sword against the lightning Izuku, causing him to hit his chest, causing an explosion of electricity all over the place, illuminating it completely. Out of the green-haired man's mind, he woke up, opening his eyes, seeing that he was in his room still alive. Izuku. Another test one, and each one is worse than the other. Izuku got up to start walking when he heard a knock on his door. Izuku. Who is it? Momo. It's me, Momo, you can open the door. Izuku. Are you sure? Momo. Yes. The boy opened the door slightly, unaware of his wounds that had not yet healed, causing the brunette to see his wounds in time, causing her to end up worrying about him. Momo. Izuku, what happened to you? Izuku. A little test with someone fast leads to this. Momo. Just look at how you are, you have bullet wounds all over you. Izuku. It's okay, this will go away on its own. He said this as he began to heal, acting as if nothing had happened in front of the brunette's gaze of her, who continued to show her concern for the boy, showing how he was beginning to heal more and more, so that it would end as if nothing had happened. Izuku. As you see, there's nothing wrong with me, just like I said. Momo. Even so, you had to see that you were totally injured all over your body, and that is something I cannot allow. Izuku. And why not? As far as I know, we don't have a relationship that goes beyond colleagues or friends, but after that, nothing more. Momo. That doesn't matter, you just had to look at how you were, even though I'm your friend, I can't allow you to hurt yourself. Izuku. It was the 4th test anyway, just one more and that's it, everything will be over once and for all with this physical self-harm. Momo. Just promise that you'll take better care of yourself instead of hurting yourself all the time you have. Izuku. After the 5th test I can promise that, before no but more importantly with other things. The boy looked at a part where the brunette had her things to sleep making Momo lower her head with a little shame. Momo. You know. Izuku. Go to sleep now, I'll take care of thinking about what I'll do for breakfast tomorrow. The brunette, happy as if it were her birthday, lay down on the bed ready to sleep. Momo. Aren't you going to sleep, are you? Izuku. Yes, I'm going to sleep, but I'll be sleeping in a while. The brunette just started to sleep while the boy just looked calmly out the window at the sky, since it was nighttime. Chapter 19. After Izuku had helped Kirishima a little with the issue of looking for another person ending up with him being with Kami for a few hours apart from the boy ending up facing the lightning Izuku emerging victorious. At this moment the green-haired boy was waking up noticing that he was in his bed being something strange for him because he remembered that he ended up falling asleep on the floor with the sword on the wall until he saw Momo who was lying next to him, already knowing what happened after he fell asleep. Izuku. Making yourself sleep works quite well for you Momo, and you didn't let me sleep on the wall, but well, I have to get up now. The boy stood up to notice how his arm was grabbed, not letting go of what he was thinking until something occurred to him. Izuku. I'm going to make breakfast. At that moment the brunette let go of his arm so that the green-haired man could calmly leave the place and go to the kitchen to start making breakfast so that in a moment he could go to his room since he had finished making breakfast and returned to the room, seeing the brunette who woke up. Izuku. I definitely need to do more with breakfast to get some control. Momo. Shut up and let's start eating. At that moment they had to start eating quietly between the two of them enjoying the little moment they had. Momo. Then you just need one more test to end all this. Izuku. Yes, I will try to do it today to end all this. Momo. I just hope you don't end up worse than yesterday. The girl said it with a little fear that was noticed by Izuku as she had a little tremors. Izuku. I'll be fine, when I finish the test once and for all you'll see that everything will be fine. Momo. Okay, I trust you. When they finished breakfast they went to prepare for classes having normal classes until they had to leave to start training with Izawa, although the class noticed Class B in the place again. Izawa. Guys, today we will have one more training class with B so that you have a little more camaraderie between the two classes. Saying that, they all came closer to each other. Izuku. I imagine we have to make teams in order to train, especially if they plan to train that way. He said this while watching how everyone was meditating in Class B except Mei who was with an invention. Izuku. Hey Shinso, do you want to train with us? Shinso. It's okay, I don't have anything better to do anyway. Momo. And you, Mei, do you want to eat? Mei. Yes. The two approached the group so they could start walking towards the forest as they entered the cave, noticing that now where the hole should have been, there were crystals that illuminated the cave better, and they were accompanied by Melissa as she was the group's medic. Melissa. It's a beautiful place. Izuku. And perfect for training, the whole place is prepared to withstand attacks from any of us. Shoji. Although I imagine that if you attack with all your might you will end up destroying the place. Izuku. Yes, that is more than possible. Melissa. Are you going to meditate again? Izuku. No, I have to make a small detail that I want to try something before anything else. The boy walked starting to look at his hands, only to start taking off the jacket he had, leaving him so muscular that his marked physique with some scars was visible before the eyes of his companions. Mei. What are you going to do? Izuku. Todoroki, sometimes if necessary I want you to freeze me. The boy began to change parts of his body before the eyes of everyone as the boy began to take out bat wings which were black as night, he began to have claws on his hands and feet which began to turn black. Instead of teeth he began to have fangs and his eyes changed to be totally emerald green with totally black pupils, although slanted like those of a snake too barely getting to see the pupils since it was noted that it was in an aggressive way apart from a black tail like his wings, while at the tip he had a kind of fins which were noticeable that they served to help in flight apart from his hair. Changing from dark green to black like the same night being smooth at the tips downwards. Momo. Izuku, is it really you? The boy looked at her threateningly with those dilated pupils so that she would start to approach. Well, he began to show his fangs as little by little. He showed that he had a light that became a light from his mouth ready to shoot, but the girl brought her hand closer to be able to touch the boy's head a little. Todoroki. Momo, stay away from him, he's very dangerous. Momo. I'm not sure if Izuku will recognize me. The brunette looked at the green-haired man who was becoming more and more threatening. Momo. Izuku, it's me Momo, I know you recognize me just as I know that you are not going to hurt me. The boy gradually began to show that his pupils, instead of dilating, began to return to normal, enlarging until they returned to normal. Izuku. I'm back. Todoroki. That's good to know, I was about to freeze tea. Izuku. Well, you see, no. May. And that form? Izuku. It's my monster form, although now that I look at it closely, it would be a dragon form. The boy began to fly through the cave before the eyes of his classmates who stared at him as he began to fly until he left the cave, causing everyone to come out seeing the boy flying through the sky, calmly passing between the clouds being seen by the entire UA, and more by the two classes who looked at this with a bit of astonishment, so that the boy fell to the ground. Momo. It seems that you look better than now. Izuku. Yes, a little more. Todoroki. Can you do something new now? The boy threw a purple fireball that ended up crashing into a tree, destroying it as if it were nothing. Izuku. Does that answer your question? Todoroki. You went a little too far, but oh well. After finishing the training, the group stayed in the room, talking quietly among themselves. Yujiro. Now you practically have the abilities of a dragon. Izuku. Yes, among them I can howl in a cave like a bat, among other abilities such as being able to hear further, increase my instincts, among other things. Todoroki. By the way, what happens when you meditate? Izuku. What are you talking about? Todoroki. We only saw you training once, and when that happened you ended up with a wound on your arm being a cut because of that. Izuku. Do you really want to know what happened to me? Everyone showed a more than determined face in wanting to know what happened that day. Izuku. Well, in that case we'll have to start meditating a little, get into the lotus position and hold hands. Everyone did as they were told, although Momo and Melissa were already expecting what was going to happen. When Izuku took everyone's hand, they ended up closing their eyes. When they did, they all entered Naruto's mind, seeing a beautiful landscape, a meadow with a lake in front that reflected, but it would only be beautiful if it weren't for a huge storm that was in the place, causing them to become covered. Shinso. Where are we? Izuku. It's my mind. Momo. It's changed a lot since the last time we were here. Izuku. Well, what did you expect? After defeating the other 4 of my copies, this happens. Shoji. Wait, do you copy? In that, between the enormous storm with that rain, they heard the sound of steam, so they looked to a part where they began to hear footsteps, until they saw someone began to walk who was like Izuku, only this one had fire coming out of his body, and every drop of rain that hit his body turned into steam. Shinso. I think you did it with your mind. Izuku. I'm afraid not. Izuku. I am the fire side of Izuku. Sai. Could you explain to us what's happening? At that point they began to talk, saying the same thing about the original story of how the copies of Izuku were born, being his elemental parts apart from how Melissa and Momo arrived before them, and how the wounds that happened in his mind passed to his body outside of his mind, leaving everyone more than surprised except the 2 girls by this. Todoroki. This is new. Izuku. Well, since I'm here I want to fight you and end this damn test once and for all. Izuku. I just hope you give me as much of a fight as you gave the others. Izuku. Then you're in for a big fight. Melissa. Wait, we can watch the fight. Saying that, everyone was surprised by the blonde's words from her. Izuku. Yes, you can see it, but don't get involved in the fight. At that they appeared on a kind of platform which had some benches for them to sit on, so they could see Izuku who was looking seriously at the other. Izuku. Alright, let's get started. At that moment, to everyone's surprise, the whole environment changed into a kind of mountains, although it had more volcanoes because of the lava that was coming out of the tip. In the sky, instead of being white clouds, there was smoke everywhere because of how black they were, while the 2 looked at each other in a very serious way. Izuku. I hope you're ready to fight. Izuku. I'm always ready and you know it, I don't think I have to say it outright. The 2 of them got into a combat stance, more than ready to start fighting before everyone's eyes. May. We're about to see how the 2 Izukus fight. Yujiro. It will definitely be a great fight between the 2 of them. They kept looking at each other until a rock fell hitting the ground, so they would throw themselves at each other, so they would end up colliding with their forearms, causing the volcanoes to start releasing more lava, so that Izuku would try to kick him, but ended up failing, so that the fire Izuku wanted to hit him, that ended up being dodged by the original, so that the 2 of them would collide fists. so that they would start a fist fight, making the place rumble due to the force of the blows that caused greater destruction in the place, until they saw an opening that they took advantage of to hit each other in the face, causing them to be sent flying, causing them to crash into some rocks. But when they came out of the rubble, the fire Izuku threw a large amount of fire that Izuku had to dodge to. See how he tried to throw more fire, but luckily for him he reached the ground to throw a rock, causing the attack not to hit him, which he took advantage of to go against his copy, reaching the front of it, giving it a kick, sending it flying against some rocks, but before it hit him, he noticed how the fire Izuku came out of the rubble and hit him, sending him flying, but he got back up in the air to land on his feet. Yujiro. Why doesn't he use his quirk? Momo. Izuku is someone with the pride of a warrior, he is not going to use his quirk or any other, because otherwise he will feel that it would be like cheating, so he would not be worthy of winning this test. Todoroki. It's something to respect, apart from the fact that he doesn't turn his back on him. They saw how the fire Izuku launched himself to try to hit him, but the original dodged him to knee him in the stomach, knocking the air out of him, followed by a punch to the face, sending him flying, so that he would end up on the floor only for him to get up. Fire Izuku. You're definitely putting up a good fight, but let's finish warming up and get serious. He said it while taking out his sword of fire, and at this the original took out his sword, which had the letters in red, so that they would launch themselves against each other, clashing swords to start a sword duel, colliding with each other, letting out huge amounts of fire, surprising everyone who came to cover themselves from the heat they were releasing, until Izuku saw an opening that he took advantage of to kick him in the stomach, followed by a punch, but the fire Izuku managed to dodge it to hit him in the face, moving him away. But when he was about to give him a cut, the original looked at him to block it with his sword, avoiding the cut so that they could see each other, while they used their strength to push until they moved away, so that the fire Izuku would throw fire, which the original used his sword to begin to avoid the fire to his surprise, so that he would throw himself against him, so that with his sword, he would try to cut him, but he ended up taking out his sword, although the fire Izuku was not far behind, since he kicked the original's hand, causing him to release the sword, so that he would receive a blow moving away. Fire Izuku. I'm already tired of games. Izuku. I say the same, hand to hand. The two looked at each other until the fire Izuku released a huge amount of fire before everyone's eyes, so that he would launch himself against the original, giving him a punch in the face, followed by a kick in the ribs, causing him to spit out a little blood, so that he would begin to give him a quantity of fire in the body of the original, which was not far behind, since he noticed some openings that he took advantage of to give him some blows, managing to get him away. But when he did so, everyone saw the burns that Izuku had, causing Momo to put her hands to her mouth because of how the boy was left. Izuku. Do you really think that will be enough to finish me? You'll need more than that. Fire Izuku. I figured that out. From one moment to another he launched himself against the original Izuku, starting to give him a few blows all over his body, until in one, he sent him into the air to jump and begin to hit the green-haired boy mercilessly, who in the face of this tried to do something, but could not do anything against his copy, which launched himself into the sky, being seen by everyone, so that the fire Izuku launched himself at full speed against the original, giving him a blow that was full of fire, and with the speed he took, it was even worse, causing him to be sent down, causing an explosion in front of everyone who watched as the smoke began to appear, revealing a large crater in which Izuku was, with large burns all over his body, causing everyone to be surprised by this, although Momo, she could hardly stand what she was seeing, while the boys wanted to get in. Hiroshima. Come on Izuku, you have to get up. Todoroki. Don't you dare lose Izuku. Yujiro. Come on, stand up. The fire Izuku grabbed him by the neck to begin dragging him upwards, taking him towards the top of the volcano. Mei. What are you planning to do? Shinso. He plans to throw him into the volcano, so he will die. At that everyone started to get nervous watching how he took Izuku to finish him off. Momo. Izuku, get up, don't let me finish killing you, come on Izuku. The boy began to open his eyes a little, getting to see how everyone was watching him fight, but he noticed that they were yelling at him, as if they were to tell him something, but he couldn't hear what they were saying, until he reached the top of the volcano. Fire Izuku. Last words. Izuku. They trust me. Fire Izuku. I'm sorry I didn't hear you, can you repeat that? Izuku. They trust. Before he finished speaking, he ended up hitting Fire Izuku in the face, causing him to move away and look at the boy, who jumped back up to show him. Izuku. In me, they trust me. At that moment he made his sword appear as well as the Fire Izuku, so that they would launch themselves against each other, so that their swords would clash while the great volcano where they were threw lava into the sky when they collided, the sword making a pillar of lava. Everyone was surprised by this, although they began to feel happy to see the boy who got up again, and now they were fighting, clashing their swords, which with each clash caused the volcanoes to erupt, taking out all the lacquer they had, causing everyone to be surprised with the fight they were witnessing between the two green-haired boys, who did not stop in any way between them, which did not stop. Until the last clash they began to force each other until they separated, so that they would return to the clash of swords, but in one part the boy managed to give a cut on his right arm, followed by another clash on his left leg to push him, although the fire Izuku did not stop, as he managed to make a cut on his left leg, apart from his left arm, but the boy did not care about this, that remained standing. Izuku. Looks like we're almost even. Fire Izuku. You should have died a long time ago, why are you still alive? Izuku. Unlike you, at least I have friends to fight to stay alive and see them one more day. And that the swords collided, but this time the original Izuku began to fall by the force of the fire Izuku, who just looked at him. Fire Izuku. Then if you're going to die I'll have to take them with you. At those words the original Izuku began to get angrier and angrier, the volcano they were in began to produce more lava than normal, so that between the two of them, you could see how the original began to rise, well you could see how lava began to come out of his body, until they were in the same place between the two of them, until at one point the original Izuku managed to break the fire Izuku's sword to make a cut in his chest. Izuku. Or you'll die. But those last words that the fire Izuku heard, he ended up falling into the lava of the volcano, causing a huge explosion in the place that illuminated everything. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.